This podcast is powered by As Always Entertainment. If you enjoy this content, consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/asalways. Other than to support this show for just $1 a month or more, you get access to over 50 exclusive episodes of the Kill Connor Clubhouse podcast that release every week the Kill Connor Club podcast isn't on. You also get a week's early access to the Spoilercast show, The Cinema Room, and plenty of cool perks such as being part of polls for future videos on our channels, as well as other early access material. With that said, please enjoy the podcast. Before we get into this podcast, I just want to say that there is a little bit of an echo issue at times. Syncing all of our audio is a bit of a bitch, and there was a little bit of an echo coming from Eddie and Shep's side, so I did the best thing that I could, and I think it sounds fine. Just in case you noticed that, I wanted to address it so I don't get a million comments saying, oh, there's an echo there. I know, Anyway, enjoy the podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Room podcast, the Spoilercast podcast, that we talk about movies, or video games, or TV show seasons, and we spoil the fuck out of them for your enjoyment. I am one of your hosts, Tyler, joined, as always, by James. How's it going?
As always, how's it going, everybody? And Tyler.
Good.
How are you?
Yep, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, man.
I'm also good, by the way.
Thanks, man. Anyway, whatever the fuck. I don't actually
ever.
care how you are. I don't actually care how you are. But this
really?
isn't just the Cinema Room podcast. This is a hybrid special collaboration event to be the final Cinema Room of the year. It is also combining with our friends Eddie and Shep from Conbrosations and their Movie Club podcast, the Kmart version of the Cinema Room. Oh. So this is both Movie Club and the Cinema Room podcast all in one to talk about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So Eddie, Sheps, how's it going, guys?
It's going good.
I think there's going to have to be some supreme photoshops in our version
Oh,
when we
yeah.
upload or something like that. Just him in a kangaroo pouch or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us, bro. Thanks for having us. It's a really good time.
That's good. I'm excited to talk about Star Wars with you guys.
Yes, I'm really excited.
And how this all came together. It's going to be good. So again, if you haven't seen Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, go see it.
Spoiler alert.
Don't be here for this because we're going to spoil everything in the movie. We're going to talk about literally
heavy
everything.
Spoiler warning. There will be spoilers here.
Yeah, spoilers beware.
Yeah.
Our beer be spoilers. All that kind of stuff.
So yes, it's exciting times. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. We've all seen it. I think we've all seen it multiple times except Eddie.
Yeah. I was going to see it hopefully before this, but things came up. I was going to watch it yesterday, but that didn't work out.
What came up? Pornhub? Is that about it?
No,
It's like, look at this guy prioritizing family and friends.
In it, God,
Fake.
That's
family.
ridiculous.
Fake gamer.
Yeah. That's disgusting. But anyway, I do want to know. I do want to know. Just in general, just quick, we'll just touch over before we get into anything too specific, because I know there's a lot to cover both in the movie and then just in the Star Wars universe in general. We'll talk about what's next in our opinions for Star Wars and the franchise, and especially with Disney Plus and the games. It's a lot of Star Wars lately. It's been a lot of Star Wars,
Yeah.
but the Rise of Skywalker and the end of this Disney trilogy, the sequel trilogy. I'll start with you, Eddie. What did you think of the Rise of Skywalker?
I am very much in the liked it a lot camp. It's definitely got some issues, and where we know where some of those issues stemmed from like the Last Jedi and all the switching directors and things like that. But as a Star Wars movie and the amount of stuff that happened in it, I felt like there was a lot of cool things that happened, a lot of Star Wars things that happened in this, and I was like, wow, a lot of the times. They went JJ. I mean, God, we all love JJ and whatnot, and his the way he directs Star Wars movies, The Force Awakens. After that, we're so glad we got him back. I think it was good. It was a little bit rushed, and there were some things where we felt like there was too many movies trying to be combined into one. So there was some pacing issues there, and there were some things that were left unanswered, and some theories that we had because we're proper Star Wars fans and stuff like that. That we're like, man, if only it went this way, it could have been like right now. If I was to say hypothetically, if this was an 8, that would have made it a 10. Our thing right there, that would have made it a 10, and it would have been so amazing, and everyone would have been able to finish off this saga and everything. But it is a weird way that they ended the saga for the Skywalker saga. It's not the most satisfying ending to it. And that's the only thing that brings it down for me from the best movie ever and the best Star Wars conclusion ever. Yeah, that's my thing.
Right. Okay. And Sheps, how are you? Are you on the same page as Eddie here?
I think maybe a bit less. Like, I do enjoy it, especially after seeing it a second time.
Wait
I
a
enjoy
minute,
it a lot
you're
more.
not as optimistic as I am?
Believe it or not.
That's really strange. That doesn't happen on our channel, just for the people that don't know our stuff.
Having seen it a second time, I think the first time I thought it was a 6 out of 10. Now I think it's probably a 7 out of 10.
Yeah?
Yeah, I enjoyed it more the second time. I allowed myself to enjoy it more the second time.
Good, yeah.
I did like it, but I think the ending is lackluster.
I agree.
Because, like you said, it's rushed. It feels like they had to... And I understand JJ needed 2 movies to get to where he was going, and they only had 1.
Yeah.
That's why the movie kind of has this weird pacing to it.
Telling you, JJ cut. We need the 6-hour JJ cut.
Right, exactly. So I think it definitely feels like JJ's trying to fit 2 movies into 1 and cover a lot of ground. And it goes pretty well for the most part. It's just that the ending in particular, like that last final scene, is just a bit... I don't know, it doesn't feel like a satisfying goodbye to the franchise. And like we spoke about, we compared it to Endgame in the final Kill Connor Club,
Which you
brought
can
to you
watch.
by the great Patreons over at patreon.com/as always.
That's it. Here we go.
Love
Got
it.
it
And
right,
this is-
thanks. Fuck.
Sheps,
That's
you're
it.
Nailed
fucking...
it.
I actually need to start paying you. I'm not gonna, but maybe. I
I need to, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah. He's doing it for free. Why pay? It's not broken. Don't fix it. Like, in a similar sense, Endgame was a really great send-off to an amazing
best.
franchise. That
some would say the best. Some would say
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
and I think that's a perfectly reasonable position. Say
Yeah.
Endgame is the greatest finale to a multi-movie.
culmination of
yeah,
long movies,
exactly. And this one wasn't that good. It wasn't as good as Endgame. It was a little lackluster, which is why it doesn't go above an 8 for me, because I just felt like we didn't get a good enough send-off.
Yeah.
And why did we only get 1 Force Ghost? Come on, man. There was primed.
A lot of people were saying, wouldn't it have been amazing for Hayden Christensen just to come back to give his one appearance?
That's part of my... hopefully, guys, will do the how would we do it differently, and we're on record from, I think, episode
Time
8.
ago. Yeah, oh, so long ago.
talking about what we would do with stuff. Hayden Christensen's one of the ways I would have taken it personally.
Head over to youtube.com/conversation and check out Movie
Right,
Club.
for-
All amazing stuff.
For
right there.
quality YouTubers,
Yes.
quality content, great presentation skills,
Exactly.
and tech issues.
Exactly. I mean, that's the part of the brand. I mean,
Right.
they love that kind of
Exactly.
stuff over there. You guys should go check that out. You don't have tech issues over here, do you, James?
Never.
Never.
No.
Not with
No, we
PC.
wouldn't.
No.
James,
do
what
you-
did,
Now,
what
I
did
mean,
you think?
I want to know what before we get into, because I want to talk about the Hayden Christensen thing is something
There's
that
so many things.
James and I have definitely talked about. There's so many things, but before I don't want to get too deep. James, where are you
Yeah,
at?
okay.
What did you think of the last Skywalker?
Honestly, I'm more worried about how I'm going to feel about it in 6 months' time.
Sure.
Because it was like when The Last Jedi came out, me and you were both defending it and saying it was great, and now we're in a
But
completely
we knew,
different
no, but to
position.
be fair, looking back, you listen to that cinema room, we acknowledged all the faults with it. We just liked the things we
Sure.
liked about it more than we ended up liking about it. Whereas there's not half a movie I hate in this. Like, I hated half the movie in
Yeah, sure, that's
The
a good
Last
point.
Jedi
Yes.
from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that this. I think we're all pretty much on the same page with this. Is that this movie is a good movie and feels like a good Star Wars movie, and it's a really good time. But it's almost like if for the conclusion to the MCU, we didn't get an Endgame, we just got Infinity War, and the first 10 minutes of Endgame was the end of Infinity War, and that was the end of that era of the MCU. And you never got that final conclusion. It's just you got Infinity War and then Thanos is dead, and that's sort of it. Even that would probably be a little bit better than the Rise of Skywalker's ending. I just feel like you said, it's very lackluster, because although it's a great movie and I like it a lot, it feels like it doesn't. Maybe it's a more of a satisfying conclusion to this trilogy, but
doesn't feel
to
like
the
the
overall
end of
saga,
a
not
9-movie
really.
journey.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at with it. But overall, like, I do really like it, and it's a great film. But I think the flaws stand out a lot. When we're sitting here talking about it and what our thoughts are on it, I think those flaws stand out a lot more than some of the good things. But I mean, we'll get into that as we break down the film. We can talk about some of the moments we really liked. But overall, I think that's where I'm at with it. I really like it, but the conclusion just wasn't quite there. They didn't go far enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Interesting. For me, I loved it. I liked it the first time. I loved it the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I know that I liked about it is, well, The Force Awakens is pretty much my favorite Star Wars movie. It was
enough.
from the moment I watched it for the first time, just because it felt like finally I got a Star Wars movie that was made for me. Whereas we talked about this on Kill Connor Club yesterday. I felt like the original trilogy, when I saw it, it was already old when I was a kid, and I felt like they were great movies that I fucking love and I still love today, but they were movies that weren't made for me. They were made for, like, my dad.
Yeah.
And a different generation. They're made for a different generation. And the prequels are the ones I grew up with, and sure, I love, and I still love, like, Revenge of the Sith, and I really enjoyed the prequels as a kid, and I loved playing Star Wars with Star Wars Legos and all this sort of shit that came along with Star Wars. But when you get older and you watch movies for movies, the prequels weren't there. They weren't that thing I could go back and really enjoy other than maybe Revenge of the Sith. And then I got The Force Awakens. I'm like, this is my Star Wars that I get to love, like everyone talks about the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. Because it felt like it was like a remake of A New Hope in the best way, and I loved all these new characters. And I just loved the direction. I was so curious, and there were so many questions, and there were so many mysteries. I was like, wow, this is an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. Then The Last Jedi came out. It made me love only one character, which was Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Took away Rey, who was my favourite character in The Force Awakens. And I didn't really even like her after The Last Jedi at all. I was like, nah, they've ruined her. I felt her acting was stiff. I didn't like any of her lines. But I'm like, I know her acting can be good because I saw it before. So what the fuck happened here? I have to blame the writing on some level, and even the directing of Daisy Ridley. And Finn had the same exact character development. Poe didn't really get anywhere. It was really just frustrating to watch. So these characters that I loved in Force Awakens, I didn't really like them in The Last Jedi. And then you got this movie. And what I know about this movie from only the first viewing, I'm like, sure, I need to think about these story points. I need to see it again, all that. But I know I love these characters. And JJ knows these characters.
Yeah.
And he can obviously direct them as well, because they were all so much more likable in this movie, all so much more interesting in this movie. They all had deeper character development that pushed forward from their first movie. And I really enjoyed them as a group together. And I feel like if you don't like these characters, you will not like this movie at all, because it's a character-focused movie. And I love the characters, and therefore I think I end up loving the movie. And I felt like this movie was a great resolution to this trilogy and these characters for what was set up in The Force Awakens. But also, it's the best movie that they could possibly have made because of The Last Jedi.
Yes.
And whether you like The Last Jedi or not, it completely fucked up The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It just simply did. I don't care how much you like The Last Jedi, it fucked up The Force Awakens. It so obviously had so little to do with what The Force Awakens set up. The Force Awakens felt like cliche Star Wars, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And it felt like you were setting up these Star Wars mysteries. And then you watch The Last Jedi, and it felt like this movie that was trying to make you think too much. Like, it was like, oh, I know you're used to this with Star Wars, but we're going to change the tone completely and make you think so much differently about all these characters. And it just didn't fit at all. It didn't feel like these two movies fit together at all. They felt completely different. And then you watch Rise of Skywalker, and it felt like The Force Awakens. And I loved it. But yes, definitely felt rushed. Definitely felt like JJ's 8th movie and 9th movie combined into one, with missing pieces of that 8th movie.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Definitely.
you're missing the first half of JJ's 8th movie, and like you've got a quarter of it crammed into the start, right?
Yeah.
Like this small section of his 8th movie that you kind of told about, but you didn't get to see. Like, simply from the opening crawl, it's the dead speak, a mysterious message from the return of Emperor Palpatine. Like, if you had JJ's 8th movie, you would have let's just say Snoke dies still and everything like that, but you would have had the Palpatine reveal at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And you leave the cinema going, oh my fucking god, Palpatine's back.
I have to wait a whole
And you
2
spend
years to see him come back. What am I going to do? How am I
instead
gonna
of all
do-
these,
Oh my god!
instead of like,
it would have been. That's
He would've-
genuinely
he
Exactly.
would've
It
set
would've
it up,
been.
like, there would have been just a couple of little clues here and there throughout the movie, and then the reveal at the end, and it would have set us up for something, and it would have also given him a way out of. He doesn't have to like square the Snoke circle and figure it all out, because we already knew Palpatine was the one pulling all the strings, right? He had to set that up, go through the motions, conclude it, and then start Palpatine as the big bad in this movie all in one go.
can I just pitch you something here?
Go
The
ahead.
end of the 8th of JJ's 8th movie, let's just say everything's the same in terms of like the Snoke dying throne room scene, and then you have this kind of cut to Exegol. And you hear this like voice, not Palpatine, but someone just explaining, obviously, you know, some dark side users, some cultists, explaining like what happened to Snoke. And then you hear like someone like, so them explaining this wasn't supposed to be part of the plan, that wasn't supposed to happen. And then you hear Palpatine reveal like, almost like a Thanos at the end of like the Avengers movies before he's revealed. Like he's just like, fine, I'll do this myself. Like Age of Ultron, like, fine, I'll do this myself sort of thing. And you're like, what the fuck? And that's the end of your movie.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what you could have done. If at that moment, I think Palpatine is like, he probably would have killed off anyone and whatnot. Would have killed off Snoke or whatever, Dooku'd him essentially and whatnot. And it would have been like someone explaining to a figure that you're only looking at from behind, connected to all that machinery that he was in the movie. And it would have just been Snoke has been killed by Kylo Ren and Rey and whatnot. And then it just would have been good. And then that would have been the end of it. No, what the hell? Is that him? Is that him? And then that's just the end of it. And then it would have been that for 2 years.
Well, also we could have had that scene, you know, the beginning scene when we meet the Emperor and there's Snoke's in the Snoke clones bubbling away in petri dishes and whatever in those big water tanks. Suddenly that would have set the whole thing, and it makes sense for the Emperor to have clones of stuff. He literally made a clone army. Like, clones are the way this guy operates. So having that as the
he always has a
scene,
plan B. He always has a plan B.
He always has a plan B.
Which was set up in Battlefront 2 as well, with like all his different contingency plans and shit. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and it would have been a good way to end that, where Snoke's dead, and then the next shot you see is Snoke's face, and you're like, hold on a minute, and then it comes out, and he's in a tube, and it's bubbling away, and there's multiple of him there.
Yeah, and then the cultist is explaining what's happened, bang, and then you say...
And that, because Snoke was the big bad for 2 movies, right?
Yeah.
And so to suddenly just be like, oh, wait, not really, that sucks, but at the end of the movie to realise that, hold on, he isn't the big bad. He was a puppet the whole time.
Then it makes sense.
Suddenly, just where you put that scene in these 2 movies really changes things.
That's the thing that I really... That's the reason why, and I've said it in our Last of Jedi movie club thing, that's the reason why I hate... I don't think I could ever forgive Rian Johnson for what he did, because even if he decided he was going to make his own sort of take on this thing, he took the big bad, which is arguably the most important piece on the board for a trilogy, and he just killed him as if it was, that means it doesn't matter what you made, because it means literally nothing to me. Even my professionalism, it means nothing to me. And I was like,
it just also is like he took Star Wars and he's like, I know Star Wars is everyone's, but no, I want to make this mine.
Yes.
It's like, dude, it's the most selfish directing I've ever seen in my life to a big franchise.
I think as well.
Like but it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault, because you would
completely.
never see Kevin Feige allow one of the directors, like the Russos, do something like that where they're making Infinity War and they decide, I know there's a movie after this, but we're gonna end everything that we want to end in this movie, and you just have to figure out whatever's next, because this is just our movie and it stands alone. It's like, no, that's not how it fucking works. And as a producer, how that was allowed to occur is so insane to me. And what The Rise of Skywalker showed me is that if JJ directed all 3 movies, everything would be fine. Now, not everything would be fine. I'm sure we'd still have things we didn't like, and you know, I'm not happy with this. But ultimately, it would be a very good trilogy.
Okay, there's always going to be some. It's Star Wars. There's always going to be something you don't like, right? It's Star Wars, and that's what you get. I have said this, and this is quite controversial, that I think if Rian Johnson had Episode 9, it would have been better as well. Not that he would have made a better movie, but there would have been consistency. Like, I felt he was teeing up Kylo to be the big bad, which is why he would have made a great villain. He's been a great villain. In fact, he's been the only solid character throughout the 3 movies. Kylo is
incredibly consistent.
He's amazing.
100%. He's my favorite character in Star Wars other than Darth Vader. Like, he's number 2.
Agree.
I like him better than Han and Luke, and he is the fucking best. Adam Driver is so amazing.
Yeah, so amazing.
In fact, he honestly, like, if in 5 years' time I might look back and be like, Kylo Ren is my favorite Star Wars character of all time.
I'm completely there with you. He's so good, and I've loved Kylo. And people really bagged on him in Episode 7, and I came out straight away and I was like, yeah, you were, and you said, you know, he's a whiny child and he's
like
having
an emo
tantrums.
child with tantrums.
And I even said, That's the point of the dark side. The Sith
Yeah.
are all about the emotions and stuff. I loved him the whole way through.
Yeah, agreed. 100%
Yeah,
with you,
yeah,
Ships.
very
100% with you. But I kind of thought, I was like, this is who Anakin was supposed to be in Attack of the Clones.
Oh my god! Imagine
You know what
we
I
could
mean?
have
He is
him-
literally who Anakin was
Yes.
supposed to be in Attack of the
Completely.
Clones. I'm like, this is an Anakin apology. This is how you do Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
This is how you do Anakin
Yes.
Skywalker. And that's what I loved about him, because I'm like, he's fucking Anakin Skywalker's grandson. Of course this is how he's behaving.
Yeah.
This is exactly how he should behave. And everything they did with him in Force Awakens I loved. And then they stepped him up in The Last Jedi so much.
Yeah.
But every other character they lost is just so confusing. It was like
I got-
they did such a good job in that movie with Kylo, but no one else. It's
Yeah.
strange.
I completely agree with you that they lost the other characters. In this movie in particular, in The Rise of Skywalker, I finally felt like we had Finn back.
Yeah.
He was
So good.
nothing
Very
character in episode
Last
8.
Jedi.
In The Last Jedi, he was a nobody basically, and in this I'm like, hold on, did Finn just become a man?
Yeah, he just
Like,
became.
He's so awesome.
a
I
solid
love John
character.
Boyega.
Yeah, like I'm
He's
like,
so
what?
awesome in this movie.
Yeah, let's have some
Yeah.
more Finn and some more Poe and some more Rey and more Kylo. Let's have more of all of them.
Fuck it, let's have all of them.
Yeah, like it was awesome.
Just no more Rose. You sit back
Yeah.
there. You sit back in the corner. And JJ
But
did,
I
did
love-
us all a favor.
I love what they did, finally giving these three characters their movie where they were together,
Yeah.
because that's what I wanted from 8, and they didn't. It
Absolutely,
annoyed me
yeah.
that we didn't see it. Like they met at the end. I'm like, no, it's she trains with Luke at the start, and then she realizes she has to help her friends. Not at the end. Like
No, yeah.
they're not friends yet. Like especially like Poe, like they haven't all met. Like they hadn't done the Han, Luke, Leia together yet. So you needed to have it in that 8th movie to make this mean more, but
Absolutely.
I still thought they did a really good job with this movie because I liked them all separately, and Finn and Rey, you know, are good together. But
Yeah.
I loved them as a team. Honestly, this might be controversial because some people might not like him in this movie. They might not like this character that much. But I thought of all 9 movies, this is C-3PO's best movie.
Oh
Yes.
my god, he is
Yeah.
such a meme in this movie, and I love it. He's incredible. It's just so funny. Everything he said was so fucking funny. He was brilliant. And I think people might be mad at it. They might be like, "Oh, they turned him into just a walking gag." But like,
He's
he was
But
so
he's a walking
fucking
gag.
funny.
He's
Yeah.
already a
Yeah.
walking gag.
But it's like, but he's almost like what Jar Jar was supposed to be, like in
What,
George
funny,
Lucas's head, where he's like, oh, this will
compelling,
be like the funny
interesting.
character, but like 3PO fucking nails it. He's brilliant in this
The
film.
other thing is 3PO, because of the way he moves so awkwardly, he can have like a physical comedy about him. Like you know when
Yeah.
they get to the big festival,
Yeah.
And he
they
turns
just-
around like they're all looking at him.
They turn around to look at him, and he's like, "Oh, there must be something behind me." He just turns around.
Oh,
and
that's
he's
Turns his whole
completely
body.
silent. That
You
killed
didn't
me.
say my name, sir, but I'm all right. Like, you know.
Oh yeah.
just-
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
thought it was C-3PO's best performance. I thought it was the best use of Chewie in the trilogy.
Yeah,
Mate,
As
there's
well?
there's a moment. We'll save it for the actual thing, but I cried.
Well,
little
we're in the
bit
actual thing.
Just,
Oh
so,
yeah.
just when Chewie. Oh,
yeah.
that was
I know
a
what you
moment.
mean.
That was a moment.
It was a very impactful moment for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this a Leia thing? That's
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah.
like.
We can
yeah,
we can
yeah.
break
I
it
was-
down
what
when we
we
get there, but
It was
but
also
yeah,
JJ's
that was-
apology to how he dealt with Leia, Chewie with the Han situation as well in
Yeah.
Force Awakens. You know, he fucked that up.
Yeah.
Just going back to Kylo, because I really, I love him so much. I really want to say that throughout this trilogy, mostly with even in the Last Jedi, what I love so much about Kylo is my favorite Star Wars character is Anakin Skywalker, as in Darth Vader, but also I love Revenge of the Sith Anakin. Like I love the whole journey. I really love Anakin Skywalker. I'm a Hayden Christensen lover, apologist. I stand by it. I love Hayden Christensen. Attack of the Clones, I get it, but I blame George Lucas for that.
Yeah.
I thought Revenge of the Sith, like the scene, my go-to scene, and people might not be enough. I get it, but my go-to scene in Revenge of the Sith is like the best scene of the whole movie in terms of his acting that you see is when he doesn't have to read a line of dialogue George Lucas wrote, and he's sitting in the Jedi Council
Yeah,
chambers,
I knew you were gonna say
looking
this,
into
yeah.
the distance, and Padme's looking out of their apartment, and there's like a force connection between
Yeah,
them, and he
yeah,
starts
yeah,
crying, and I'm like, that's Hayden Christensen acting without having to say a line that George Lucas wrote him.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
And I stand by that it was the writing. And I love Hayden Christensen's character. I love his physicality. And then I love the Anakin character. But what I love about what they've done with Kylo Ren is they also, to me, vindicated Anakin in the prequels in some ways because they did such good mirroring with Kylo to Anakin
Yeah.
throughout this whole trilogy. And again, like we talked about, the best character in this trilogy is, well, I think everyone can agree, is Kylo Ren, because he's the only consistent one. And they consistently mirrored him to Darth Vader in like ways that they didn't do the same thing. He deals with the same problems, but is almost like not fucking it up as bad.
Yeah.
Or his Padme is Rey in so many ways. That moment in Revenge of the Sith where he's like, I can destroy him. Together we can rule the galaxy. Like make things the way what we want them to be. Like that Revenge of the Sith moment.
Yeah,
We got
Revenge
that
of
so
the Sith,
much
yeah.
with this. He's trying to do that with Rey, and I just felt like this is the Padme Anakin, struggle that he's got. Like he has those same sort of feelings that Anakin's dealing with, but for Rey. And that's why I kind of could believe the romance to it at the end as well.
Yeah.
Because it felt like Anakin. It felt like I was watching... I felt like I've seen this before.
Yeah. I get that.
Like, it felt like he was trying to do it right. And then when he... And as well, I got to tell you, because I love the Skywalkers, and that's partly why Kylo's also, like, has a special place in my heart, because he's a Skywalker, and he's the only Skywalker that's new in this movie, in this trilogy. When and we're skipping ahead, we'll come back, when he held Anakin's lightsaber and went to town, I came so hard. Like, I was like, this is all I've wanted. This is all I've wanted. I've wanted Ben Solo, the grandson of Anakin Skywalker, to hold Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber and go to fucking town. Because I love Luke, but Luke isn't Anakin. He's such a different character. Whereas I love Luke, but I love Anakin better. I love Darth Vader more.
Yeah.
He's just a more complicated character. So to me, it's
Kylo's
more.
the Anakin we all deserve.
Needed. Exactly. He's the one we needed too. He's the one we deserved and needed. And to me, Ben Solo holding Anakin's lightsaber is more impactful to me than Luke holding Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
it's
how
like
I
a mirror
feel.
image of Anakin. So
It's
seeing
exactly
him
because
hold
it's
the
like
Skywalker saber is like it's very
It's like
special.
it's like
Because
seeing
also
Hayden
that
Christensen's
moment
Anakin redeemed.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
It's that moment he turned back to the light, which Anakin never had until he was Darth Vader, and then he wasn't Anakin anymore.
Yes.
Or he wasn't Anakin to do anymore. He was still Darth Vader. Do you know what
Yes.
I mean?
Yeah.
But we got to see what happened if he had said no. If he had come back and said, "Okay, well, I won't save the Emperor." Basically, there's a lot of closure actually in this, but you have to read into it like nerds like us.
But
do.
but
Like
this
we
is
do, like
but
we
this
do
is
now.
how but this is honestly, like, you guys say something like, I don't feel it's a great conclusion of the Skywalker saga. I'm like, well, if you look at Kylo
In
Ren as the
particular,
main
the
character of this
last
trilogy,
In
well,
particular,
I'm
the
like
last
this.
scene.
If
Yeah,
you
it's
are
the last
talking
scene.
about
Yeah.
Kylo
Yeah.
Ren as the main character of this trilogy, which I choose to view Kylo Ren as the main
I
character of
agree.
this
He
trilogy.
is the main character.
is.
100%.
He absolutely 100%. This is the best conclusion you could. Because why did Anakin go to the dark side? He wanted to bring the woman he loved back to life. That is exactly what Kylo Ren did. That's what Ben Solo did.
Yeah, true.
He
Learn to
used
stop
the
people from
power.
dying.
He
Yeah,
learned
fair
to
enough.
bring the woman he loved back to life. I'm like, are you fucking? This was.
Yeah.
This is the perfect
It's
fucking
true,
ending.
yeah. And it turns out, and the message is, it turns out he actually did it through the light side of the Force.
Yeah.
It didn't
And
take
it was
the dark
her-
side,
and it was
which is
her
the path that
love-
Anakin went
I'll
down.
tell you the
Yeah.
one way I would fix that final scene with Rey.
Yeah.
She
What's that?
puts her hand on her belly and it cuts. It ends. And the reason,
Nah,
and the reason
I get what you're saying. I see what you're saying. He force spunked her. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then-
yeah,
and
yeah,
then-
yeah.
Because there will be more,
Too much of a stretch for me, man.
and that's why she says she introduced herself as Rey Skywalker, right? She's like she's
100%.
basically
There's going to be an episode 10 in about 10 years' time. 100%.
yeah, well, there'll be more movies, and now by
JJ
the way,
better make all of them.
pardon?
JJ better just make all fucking 3 of them. Don't
Yeah,
fucking around
yeah,
with
yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I think now is the time for some standalones. I want to see Vader, Hero of the Empire, like we discussed, like both
Yes.
the halves of our movie as one, which
Yeah.
I think you were 100% vindicated with the way he took Palpatine in this. Where
Yes,
Palpatine's-
100. And I was like, I'm fucking. This is how I see Palpatine, and JJ feels the same
And
way.
he even said, Palpatine even says, "I've been every voice you've heard in your head."
Yeah, so it sets
And
it up nicely.
It sets up perfectly your vision for Vader. I want
Yeah.
to see Rise of Palpatine as like movie 0. If I discuss this
Yeah,
with
right.
you guys,
Yeah. About well, if that was our theory though, if he had been the one that manipulated the Force to create Anakin in
So,
the first place.
have I said this on one of our podcasts before?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
So
it?
the I want to see episode 0, which is Rise of
Yeah.
Palpatine, where we find young
Right.
Sheev Palpatine. He meets Plagueis as a child, is raised up to be the young Padawan, right? And we see this badass who goes to all the fights that he does with the lightsaber, and he becomes like, you know, this incredible Sith. And towards the end, we'll see either Plagueis or himself land on Tatooine, and he one of them, probably Plagueis, will position stuff so that Anakin comes into play as like the ultimate Padawan, like Sith apprentice. And
Well, there's a
Uses-
few
uses the
comics
Force.
that are canon that are around this as well, because Plagueis was alive during the Phantom Menace.
yeah, exactly. And so I want to see
And
the
he
movie.
tried to confront Anakin. He tried to look for Anakin. He felt the presence.
So this is the thing. I want in the Rise of Palpatine. No, Rise of Rise of Palpatine.
yeah.
My movie 0.
Well, it's the Rise of Skywalker. That's the same name because technically,
Well, you know, but fine, sure. Well, so
stole
this is
the
the thing.
name.
Is I want
Yeah,
Palpatine
yeah.
to be there when, like, there's scenes like of him in the shadows watching Anakin and deciding not to kill him, and that's when he decides to kill Plagueis. And then so the whole thing is Palpatine's there from the very beginning of the Anakin of the Skywalker bloodline. I even
And
said
he
like
sees where this could go in
Yeah.
the future. It's going to become
Exactly.
Darth Vader.
And
then it
I even had the idea that maybe he is the one, or he and Plagueis together create Anakin, because you know that his mum says that he was
she says that there was no father.
Right, exactly.
I gave birth. I carried him. I
Yeah.
gave birth to him. There was no
so
father.
so I think it would be very poetic for Palpatine to be the beginning and the end of the Skywalker bloodline, right? Or at least these 3
See,
generations.
I personally, I don't feel I need it because I feel like when I look at it, I feel like there's two main. The way that we've got 9 movies now, from 1 to 9, the two main threads are already Palpatine and the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
And to me, and George Lucas always said it's Anakin's the main character of all 6 movies. He's George Lucas has said that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
I mean,
well
it's-
then
any
the main
proper
character,
fan would
to
know
me,
that,
the
yeah.
main character of the new trilogy is, yes, it's Rey, but it's also Kylo Ren. So what that is, it's a Palpatine and a Skywalker, and it's the legacies of it being redone. It's like, what would this, Palpatine be? Well, what would the Emperor see in it? The Emperor always wants the power for himself anyway, so it's not like he's going to raise up his own child and treat them well. So you obviously get this son that didn't want to be. He didn't want to be his father's son. He wanted to be a good person, and that led to the granddaughter and this powerful bloodline. And you have this Jedi Palpatine, but then you have the Skywalker that's going through this mirror image that Anakin went through, except corrects it
Yeah.
through as well. He's turned to the good by what Anakin was turned to the dark side of Palpatine. But also by love, the reason he turned dark. Like, the reason Kylo Ren went good is the same reason Anakin went bad. For all the same
Yeah.
reasons. Love, and a Palpatine.
Yeah.
And it's this total mirror image. And even, like, the mirror image... He's a mirror image of Darth Vader. Because in A New Hope, Darth Vader we see him as most confident, his most evil, his darkest. And throughout the trilogy, he's broken down because of his son. And turns to good by the end. Whereas in the beginning of The Force Awakens, he's already that broken down character. And he becomes, at the start of The Rise of Skywalker, he's his most confident and most evil. And most in his own head. He has the opposite... progression of Vader and Anakin in both trilogies.
Yeah.
I think if you look at Kylo Ren as the main character, this is the perfect 9 movies. In some ways.
I think
Obviously, there's
for
a lot
Kylo
more than
Ren,
just Kylo Ren.
For
But if you're
Kylo
talking
Ren,
about
I
the
agree.
Skywalker
Yeah.
story, the Skywalker story, as in Anakin is the main character of 6 movies, and then Kylo's main character of 3 movies, it's a perfect Skywalker thread.
See, that's what you saying it that way makes a bit more sense,
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
movie
Yeah,
is
you're
the
not
rise
wrong.
of Skywalker, and it's the end of the Skywalker saga. If you follow the Skywalker in all of this, Kylo Ren, it does make more sense. Even though they're front and center, they put Rey and whatnot as the main character. It does make more
Yeah.
sense when you look at it that way. I
From a
agree.
marketing perspective, it also makes more sense to have Rey front and center.
Exactly,
Daisy Ridley
yes.
or Adam Driver, I want to look at Daisy Ridley.
Well, Ben Swolo,
Yeah, of
bro,
course.
I'm talking about. That's
Yeah,
a pretty
yeah, yeah.
nice image right there.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you guys. So, like we said before a million times, like this, JJ didn't get to do the 8th movie. He's done the 7th and the 9th. Do you believe that it was Palpatine? This was the idea all along, that Rey was going to be a Palpatine all along, and that he just brought it round towards the end.
That's the $1 million question. I
think so, to be honest.
I think, dude, I don't know.
It's tough,
I
I want to choose to believe it,
I think
but this is my thing. Why in the fuck didn't he tell anyone though? Like in terms of, did he not tell Ryan Johnson, hey, by the way, this is who Rey is? And
That's
Ryan
true.
goes, nah.
Yeah, I think
Is-
no.
I think
'Cause
he
that-
had it in mind, but I don't think... I think once he was off the project, I don't know, maybe he just thought, look, I'm just going to let the next director do what he wants, and then the third director
He
do
didn't
what
want
they
to put
want.
it on him.
Because...
Yeah,
But like by the time he'd come back, like Ryan was already doing his film. We don't know what went on behind the scenes, but I think he might have had it in his mind that, you know, I want Palpatine to come
Love to
back,
see a
Rey will be a
documentary on this.
Palpatine. It felt because if that wasn't his idea from the start, why do it now? Because it is rushed.
Well,
why
because
do it
Ryan
now?
killed Snoke and he needed a big bad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
Well,
even
Well, I
Kylo,
don't
because
think,
his
no, I
idea
don't
for
think it
Kylo...
was ever going to be Snoke.
Yeah,
though.
Snoke
I don't.
was never. He was even
I-
intimidating enough.
I think
I think
Kylo,
Snoke was going to die.
I think
all
Kylo
along.
was intended to be the big bad
Yeah.
early on.
From Ryan, in Ryan's eyes. I don't think in JJ's eyes. I think JJ
Well-
did what with Kylo everything he wanted to do with
Yeah,
Kylo.
I think there was already going to be always going to be a redemption story
Yeah,
for Kylo.
Completely agree. But so, if you have Snoke killed off, then you have to have
Like he takes up the mantle.
right. Well, you need if you need Kylo to be redeemed, you need a big bad alive.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you kill Snoke, which is not what I think
So you
JJ's
think he would
plan.
have gone another movie and
I
Snoke
think-
would have died in the
Yeah,
last one?
I think Snoke would have died a la Palpatine in the next movie.
Right.
I'm
Like
gonna
Kylo
choose,
Ren.
but then how do you explain Snoke? I think Palpatine pulling the strings on Snoke makes the most sense, and
I agree,
it's
I
the
like
only
it.
thing that makes sense. So I'm gonna choose to believe that it was always the plan, but it just as easily could not have been. It could be full of shit.
If it wasn't the plan though, I think Snoke is a terrible idea. Like if that was never his plan, and his plan was to
Yeah,
just have
yeah.
Snoke be the you know the Emperor character in this trilogy.
How many of you
I just
guys?
I just think that's a terrible idea.
How
So
many
I'm
of you guys
I'm
were
just gonna
scared?
believe that wasn't the plan.
How many of you guys were scared of Snoke after you saw him in Last Jedi? When you saw him in his gold spankly robes and whatnot? I was like, all right, he might be powerful and whatnot, but I'm in no way scared. I was scared of Palpatine because he had like the hood on and whatnot. He had sort of like half of his face was covered, and then he moved so slowly. And then the moment he wanted to
Yeah.
attack him, he would destroy you with lightning hands. And I was like,
He's
oh
also
my god,
like just
he's
a
insane.
guy
Yeah.
as well.
Palpatine-
Like he's just a man, which is
Yeah.
I think is a bit more threatening when you see just like this old guy, like, you know, he's
Yeah.
hunched over, he looks fucked up like in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then he can just absolutely fucking destroy you, you know, with like a flick of his wrist or whatever. Whereas when you look at Snoke, it's like he's just like a CGI alien looking guy.
Yeah,
And I don't think it has the
seem
same
right.
effect.
The CGI takes a lot away from it, and Palpatine's really intimidating for a lot of reasons. He's one of my favorite villains of all time.
Yes.
And it's because not only is he insanely powerful, right? And we've seen in the movies, we've seen not only he's incredibly strong in the Force. He's an amazing.
He takes out 5
Saber,
Jedis in
right.
in the third movie.
He,
Revenge
he
of the
knows
Sith.
his way around a lightsaber, but even more powerful than any of those things, the guy plans like 20 years ahead.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's like playing chess with somebody who's playing the game after this game. It's
Right.
like, how do you...
Exactly,
How do you even
and
get
that's the really scary thing about
Yeah.
Palpatine. That's the thing that takes him from being a strong adversary to being a real villain, because everything that happened even in like Episode 1 was already 10 years into the plan.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, that's one of the things that makes Palpatine such a brilliant villain.
That's one of the things that I dislike about him in this film specifically, is because he always has planned things. This seems like he was defeated in the most simple way possible.
I think that's
maybe
just
it's
because he
getting
didn't
to the
have
point
time.
where it's like maybe Palpatine didn't even think that he could be defeated in such a simple way. But it just feels so out of character for him to not have any sort of backup plan.
I'm
Like,
gonna
maybe
explain
stop
it. but
casting
the-
lightning though.
Yeah, no,
Like, stop
yeah,
doing
true.
that.
That was a bit
But
lazy,
now-
I agree.
Yeah, the other thing, but he's consistently bad at stopping casting lightning. To be fair, like in, you know,
keeps
Revenge of
doing
the
it.
Sith, Return of the
Return of the
Jedi. So
Jedi.
to be fair, it's pretty consistent.
Oh,
In the third movie of each of the trilogies, he hasn't refused to stop. Just to be fair, it's consistent with Star Wars. Now, my thing with Palpatine is as well, he the Jedi power is to heal, the Sith power is to drain the Force from a person. He didn't think it was possible for Rey to then gather the energy of all the Jedi, because that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know, she gathered all the energy of every Jedi,
And that
that's
was the
ever
perfect
been.
scene to have Force Ghost Yoda, Force Ghost Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
That's too much, and I get what I totally get what you're saying, and I think it would have been the coolest moment ever at the time.
Yeah.
But in 10 years' time, you look back and go, that was too much.
They could
No,
have
I
gone
would love
full
I think the
Harry Potter
longevity-
with this
At the
thing,
time
where they bring
and
back
10
the
years.
mother, the Weasleys, and all that
Yeah.
lot. The
I
father,
fucking hate Harry
Don't worry,
Potter,
Harry.
so no
we'll hold
thanks.
him back.
I just think it works in Star Wars. I just think it would look cool. Not even like, maybe just like for a split second as well. Or even if it was
like
just
a
Anakin.
glimpse, like a flash of lightning, and for a second you see them all there.
True.
Like
No,
hand in
I-
hand,
I-
holding on to Rey, like trying to keep her up.
Before
For
the
a
movie
second.
came out, I wanted it, but watching it the second time and listening to all the voices and knowing, you have Qui-Gon, when you hear this, your final steps, it's like, holy fuck, it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So I'm like, holy fuck, it's Obi-Wan. Then you hear Anakin go, balance the Force as I did, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Hayden Christensen, holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
And then you got Yoda, and you got Mace Windu, you then Qui-Gon, I was like, fucking, let's go Qui-Gon!
Hearing Liam Neeson
Like-
get
And
the
Liam,
chills.
I heard what's it called again?
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson as
Yeah.
well in there. I was like, oh
Yeah, yeah.
shit, get it on!
Like,
This
we're
was a
all
great
here.
moment,
We're-
great
well,
moment.
Yeah,
the
that's great.
And then there's characters that maybe I didn't know from, like, side
Ahsoka's
things.
in there, which is
Yeah, was
Maybe
that Ahsoka? Was that girl Ahsoka's voice?
in
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. Like, it's cool that they had all that. I don't think you needed the ghost there. I think I was fine with, keeping it a little simpler. Like, at the end, it would have been too much if you had Luke, Leia, and Anakin, and Ben all, you know what I mean, as Force Ghosts looking at her, like, you're a Skywalker now. It's like, no, you only need... It's her masters. It's
I will
Luke and
say-
Leia are her trained masters. They're two Skywalkers.
I will say it is supposed to be like the way that Yoda brings it up to Obi-Wan Kenobi on the last movie, Revenge of the Sith. He does bring it up as if it's like a part of the Force that you have to learn and really try to study to
Yeah.
get to, and you learn it before you die, and then you go. Whereas some people might not have been able to figure out that part of the Force yet.
Yeah.
So having people like Mace Windu come back, it might have been like, well, did he actually learn it though? I
I see
mean,
what
he's
you're saying.
powerful and
But
whatnot.
Anakin comes back in
Yeah,
Return of the Jedi,
Anakin-
and I
yeah,
don't think
that's
he
it.
ever learned it.
The Anakin, Yoda, Luke Skywalker, we already saw Luke as well come back. They should have all been there. They should have been ones. 'cause
What
they were
James
good.
is
You know,
saying is
Qui-Gon
Anakin
can.
comes back, and
Yeah,
didn't
Anakin
spend
comes
any time
back, yeah.
learning how to be a Force Ghost.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, like,
So-
when did he learn that?
There
we
is
don't know.
there is a lot of gaps though between. I guess no.
No.
He's more focused on
He
being
turns-
a Sith.
and
isn't
Anakin
he?
turns on the spot, kills
Yeah.
the Emperor, and dies.
Solid
He
point.
doesn't have the time to study for a decade
Listen,
on Tatooine.
This is
We don't
the
know what he did while the
Skywalker
Death Star was
decade to study
exploding.
Tatooine. Oh man.
Should we talk specifics now? Like, we've spoken about the film in general, but I
We
think
kind of jumped around a bit. Yeah, should we go to the just break down key points?
let's do it.
In
Yeah,
the
sure.
right order too.
Sure. Well,
You're asking
well,
a
what
lot
did you
from us,
think of-
James.
Yeah.
So the opening scene is like this Kylo montage. You're getting the Sith Wayfinder. It's definitely not a holocron. It's just a Wayfinder.
No, yeah,
no,
definitely not a
no,
holocron.
no,
No,
no.
for sure, definitely
They-
not.
yes, definitely.
They're very clear about that.
Yeah. And
That
then
was Mustafar at
you-
the beginning, right?
No, I thought it was
And it's
Mustafar, but
confirmed because Mustafar was like it became habitable after
Really?
Revenge of the
Really?
Sith at some point. I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
How
I
did the
feel like you
planet
can
just
Google
change?
it. There's a reason for it. I don't know why.
Alright.
But I'm pretty sure it's confirmed in like the visual dictionary or something, whatever it's fucking called, that it's Mustafar.
Okay.
All right.
So
oh,
I
that's
mean,
good.
it's
That's awesome.
It's
I
strange
did think
they
that the first
didn't-
thing I said to Harlan when we watched the movie, and it cut to this live plan, I'm like, dude, we were in Mustafar. And
Yeah,
then I was like, oh, maybe it's not because
It's weird that they didn't like use like the ruins of Vader's castle. Or
Yeah, I
something
was gonna say. So
to have
was
the
Kylo there
Wayfinder
because
there.
of that then.
Yeah, that would have been a cool shot for
That
sure.
would have been cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll explain it in a comic, like how he found the Wayfinder. Maybe
Oh, there's
he did
definitely
going to
be a
Vader's
book
castle.
telling Kylo's story of looking
Oh,
for
yeah.
this fucking shit.
I
Yeah.
think he found the location of the Wayfinder in Vader's castle. There was a clue or something, and that led him to a location on Mustafar with the Wayfinder. They just didn't have time to do it in the film.
Yeah, well, definitely didn't have
would
time.
make sense.
Well, I'm
Yeah, they
hoping
definitely
there's
didn't have
a,
fucking time.
Definitely didn't
I'm
have
hoping
time.
there's a 2-hour extended cut that comes
man.
out because
I'll be there with my popcorn and my dick in hand and just all day, all day.
agreed.
I'd pay for it. I would pay for it and go watch it.
Jesus.
You mean pay to
What?
watch the movie, right? Not me with my dick in my hand and.
Either
Oh
one.
no, yeah,
Both,
I definitely
why
meant,
not?
no, I meant the movie.
Oh,
no, I'm sure I meant the movie.
Oh, I mean, Shep says he'll do my one,
Yeah.
but that's good. Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
yeah,
You're
I
a
support
bro,
you,
so
bros.
Thanks, man.
What did we think of that opening with Kylo then? With
I dig it.
the Emperor and him, he's like, "What can you give me?" It's like, okay, that's a fair thing a Sith would say to,
That was good.
to the Emperor. He wants to know what. I mean, he'll kill him if he can, or he'll be like, "Well, what can you give me?"
Yeah, I mean,
only
it's a
issue-
bit
okay.
weird though because it like goes back on the Last Jedi where Kylo was obsessed with like letting the past die, and then he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, I'll just join with the Sith." I guess it's because he wants.
But his
power,
whole plan,
and so he's
but
gonna
also
kill
his whole
him and
plan
then
was still to
move
kill the
forward,
Emperor
yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah,
but he
it's
wanted
true.
to
It's a good
get
point.
something.
But the one thing I don't like is that he rebuilds his helmet. Because I feel like the reason he smashed up his helmet is because he was ready to let the past die.
Yeah.
I don't think when he joined, like I get he's joining the Emperor because he wants power, he wants the fleet, and then he's gonna kill him and take over and whatever. But like rebuilding the helmet just felt like a step back. I feel like there was no need for that. I get it's for toys or whatever.
I know what
but
you mean.
The thing
There was no
And for
need.
Battlefront skins.
Yeah, Battlefront skins
Of course,
as well.
yeah.
The
Which
thing
I
that
do
But
love.
also, I do love his helmet and his voice in the helmet. So
It does look
I
cool.
don't care.
And we need
It
a
didn't do
Palpatine in the
anything-
red robes skin for
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
He
for
looks
sure.
so good.
The thing that I didn't really, he had so much rage and so much anger, and there was this beat, in that musical beat going in the back where it was like, yes, I found the Wayfinder. I'm gonna go through this fucking maze of clouds of gases and stuff like that. He gets to Exegol and he's like, yes, walking all the way up to him, gets into this big chamber. There you are, Palpatine. Okay, I'm gonna listen to exactly what you say and I'm gonna go along
That's
with it.
the
And
thing.
it's like, oh.
In
right.
fairness, in fairness to Kylo, as he's walking through the what would you call it, like the palace
Yeah.
on Exegol, he says, he's speaking to this voice presumably in his head, which is Palpatine, I killed
Talking to-
Snoke and
yeah.
I'll kill you too, and then Palpatine starts unraveling his whole identity. He's like,
Starts whispering.
Snoke was not a big, but Snoke was a puppet.
Yeah.
I sent Snoke, I trained Snoke, and I've been every voice you've ever heard you've heard in your head. That's all been me. And by the time Kylo gets to him, suddenly because he
All that
didn't
rage has
actually.
been brought
Well,
down.
he also didn't fight Snoke.
Yeah.
He assassinated him at his absolute lowest. So he never had to face off against the guy.
Yeah.
Right? He betrayed him in his mind while Snoke's looking at what's going to happen. He even says he turns the lightsaber to his true
Lightsaber.
enemy and ignites it.
Yeah.
And he was able to deceive Snoke enough that the true enemy was Snoke.
Yeah.
That was it. He didn't face off against the guy. And now he's like face to face with
The
the guy that
Sith.
was controlling Snoke,
Yeah.
So I can see how he's sort of like losing steam on the way there.
And also, Palpatine is the biggest bad guy ever. If anyone is to talk someone out of assassinating someone, it would be him, right? And it was just that big energy that just dropped down into nothing for a moment.
Yeah.
That was like, oh.
So
okay.
I didn't actually mind that too much.
Yeah.
I agree with James though about the
Yeah,
helmet.
sure.
I didn't like that it was rebuilt, and also it looks silly with the red streaks.
But that's how you know he's
Yeah,
bad.
I'm not a huge fan.
I mean,
of it.
as if like the
that's a
big
good
black
point.
in this movie. Just in case you guys didn't know, if you ever see a red light on anything, that's how you know it's a bad guy.
True.
That's how you know it's a
Thank
bad
you.
guy.
Thank you.
I think I just like anything Kylo Ren, so I didn't care. I was like, I love the helmet, I love the red, whatever.
I know.
I
what you
could
mean.
see I could see Tyler in the cinema. He is genuinely touching himself every time
Yeah.
Adam Driver's on TV. On
I-
the screen. It's like,
Yeah.
God damn it! I love that face so much.
I do like Kylo Ren. He's great. I just felt that the red in the helmet what was the point of it?
Yeah.
It felt very much like an action figure.
It was
Yeah.
toys.
Yeah.
James hit it on the head. It's
Yeah.
toys.
for sure. But
What
other than that,
I really want to know is, are they gonna make a double flip out lightsaber for the one scene we saw of Dark Ray?
Oh, we need to talk about that because that was Tyler's whole thing. Was like, there's no way they just did that for one scene because that's like a
And they
ridiculous lightsaber design. And they did it
I
for
have
one
a-
scene so they
I-
could sell toys.
I have kind of a reimagining for this movie, and I don't want to take it because it needs to talk about that scene and then the final fight with Palpatine and the Knights of Ren and stuff. And I don't want to like just jump in. I think we should go through it
Yeah,
first.
go
But
through it, go through
I have this, and so
Okay.
remind me at the end because
I will remind.
I agree. The one scene with Dark Ray is and bizarre.
Yes. Next scene.
Yeah.
I was more okay with it than I thought I would be if it was just a vision because it was to do with her identity anyway.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was for. And I was
Well,
like, okay,
I have been saying since episode 7.
I'm more okay with that.
I felt since episode 7 that Kylo should come to the light and Rey should turn to the dark side. Main reason I wanted Rey with the red lightsaber in the tight black leather and the yellow eyes, and we need that.
That is what we need in life. I mean, I'm on DeviantArt all the time checking for that kind of stuff, but we need it in real life. That's what we need.
She looks good in it, man. Like, she would have been a great villain as well. And the Star Wars the movies have never had a badass female villain.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been
You can't make a female bad. Women are never bad. They're
Women are
good.
good.
True,
Women
it's
are
good
all
fact.
good.
Exactly.
True.
And women gamers are also men. You know that.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, that is
hashtag gamers are men, by the way.
Gamers are men.
Now, this is my thing with, I mean, again, if you make Rey bad, I guess I'm looking at it as it is now.
Yeah.
And why I wouldn't change it. I understand what you're saying. I'm like, yeah, if I hadn't seen what ended up happening, okay, yeah, that would have been great.
From day one.
But
it's a
now,
good idea.
I guess I think after seeing it twice, and I do love her, I fucking really do love her.
Yeah.
But I really look at this whole trilogy, especially after the second viewing, as Kylo Ren's trilogy.
Yeah.
As much as it is
so
Rey's.
do I.
And I think because, again, like I already said, Anakin's my favourite character, Kylo Ren next. And to me, they're two are the same. Like, they just are the same story arcs, but Kylo's the redemption story of Anakin in that way, and you need Rey and that relationship in there.
Yeah.
You need her to be the good to bring him back, and he did what Anakin couldn't, which is save the one he loved. And he gave his life to do it, and that was part of his redemption.
Seeing it as Star Wars, a Kylo Ren story across 3 movies, I completely agree. My thing would have been that in Return, what was the middle one called? I've completely forgot.
The Last Jedi?
The Last Jedi. Jesus.
The Last of the Jedi.
When
The second one.
Right. When
The second one.
The second one. When the TIE fighters blow up Leia's ship, he didn't do that, right? Ben Solo did not do that. And that would have been the perfect moment to be like, hold on, you killed my mum.
Yeah.
And forget if he's good or bad. The bad guys did it. He's going to kill them. Therefore, he's not the bad guy. Right? And starts his progression towards the grey, if not the light. And, into the middle a bit.
But that was what killing Snoke was to me. Was his grey. He's not that, he's evil, but he's his own evil.
Yeah, he's like an anti-hero.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So that's how I wanted it to go. But I actually haven't really enjoyed the Ben Solo Kylo Ren arc across these 3 movies in a way that I hadn't before. And I think you, Tyler, you said it in a way that I felt but couldn't put into words.
Yeah. Same here.
And what James was saying at the beginning, he said, he's worried where he'll place this movie in 6 months. And I think in 6 months I'll watch it again and really like it.
Yeah.
Really like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think again, like you said, you just got to look at it from a certain point of view, which is no pun
Which is
intended.
my point of
like.
view.
Yeah.
The only point of view. The Sith.
Well, no, there are things about Star Wars that you do have to choose to interpret things in a certain way.
Yeah,
And I said this, Revenge of the Sith, right? At the end, I choose to believe that Palpatine is siphoning Padme's life to save Anakin.
Do you know what?
Not
I
that
tell
she
you
just
what.
dies.
I don't even think that's a theory. I think that's heavily implied by the film.
I think
Because
I agree. There's a couple.
It makes no sense any other way.
Mate,
It has to be that.
Listen, she's dying from heartache, okay?
Right,
she
exactly.
just lost her boyfriend,
Exactly.
her boyfriend, the father to her children, and no amount of gorgeousness from Ewan McGregor and his awesome beard and
true.
everything like that can make up for it, okay? Obi-Wan,
Okay,
please.
that makes sense.
My only point is it's never explicitly said, and most of the time
It's
stuff
not,
is
no.
explicitly said. And so
Especially
if you
George
choose-
Lucas, yeah.
If you choose to view it that way, which I do, it just fits better. It just makes more sense that way.
Also, I have to say, they did try to save her in every single way. That robot thing was like, Umba.
Right, yeah.
And it didn't save her.
No, it didn't.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. They tried everything modern
Futuristic,
medicine
amazing
had.
techniques that didn't work.
Everything modern medicine had.
What was that?
We've tried everything.
Everything, guys.
We've said Mba like 15 times. She's not responding.
That is the most George Lucas robot idea concept that he approved ever. That's the fucking one. That's the one.
And what will the robot say? Something like, Nga. So what the fuck is this guy smoking? Oh boy.
So yes.
Yeah, strange one.
Where
you have
were
to
we? We were
choose
at the start
to
of the
view
film.
Star Wars a certain way, And I think
I mean, James, I don't think we're going to go through every fucking scene.
no.
We're
I
gonna
don't
go
think
through
we
key
can.
scenes because
We
there's some
don't have
big
time.
moments in this
This
film.
was the issue for our normal movie club. We do break down pretty much all of the scenes, but this is the first movie that we're watching where we haven't been able to take notes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna sit in a cinema with a book light and a pen and a paper. I'm like, right, guys, I got this. Don't worry about it. So this is gonna be very much as we can cram in our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. There's too much to break down
Let's go
every
through-
single minute of every single character.
I think
but-
Yeah, of course,
we can
of
go
course.
through some of the key things. So like the next real thing is they find out that they need to find the Wayfinder, which isn't a holocron.
Yes, it isn't a holocron. Yes.
And our power
Very
team
important.
go to
Yeah, the power team of Finn, Ray,
Can-
and
Chewie
Poe,
and Poe.
Chewie and Poe. So they
And
come
thank you.
Can I just
Yeah.
ask this? Can I just ask this? Because a big thread throughout this whole opening half of the movie is you obviously know that you knew going into this movie. We all knew that the whole Ray, your parents are nobody, was not going to be the case in this movie.
Yeah.
We knew that this movie was actually going to tell us Ray's somebody.
Yeah.
And Ray's whole story arc has been who am I, and her trying to find herself, and in the end she finds who she really isn't important. She finds who she becomes who she
Chooses
wants
to be. Yeah.
who she chooses to be, not who she has to
I
be.
mean,
And
look,
Luke
she's
that
on
makes
her-
that line is like blood isn't everything,
Yeah.
and it's especially an important line for Luke's character. That's a big Luke moment because he was never his father.
Yeah.
He was never, that Kylo was like Vader, but Luke never was. So, not everyone's like their blood.
He was like Anakin in the sense that he was very impulsive and acted out of emotion.
Well,
like
he's
he
a little
went to save people that he
sociopath
cared
in,
about.
In the first movie, the guy's a little psychopath, man. He talks about like his family dying. He's like, well, fuck it, I guess I'll go to space. And then he sits down at the big briefing. And he's like, oh no, I used to murder little rat things in the desert all the time. Like it's totally makeable. You know that shit.
It's like 2 meters. That's no bigger than a womp rat. It's like 2 meters.
It's a big fucking rat.
That's a
things are
big
big.
animal you just killed right there. That's bigger than a human.
Anyway, I think the real key takeaway is Rey is alone. So I guess she's Rey Solo.
Yes, that's it. That's
I
She's
see
by
what you
herself.
did there.
So
you son of a
she's
bitch.
solo. Did you get that clever
Yeah,
thing? I
solo.
got that clever
Yeah,
thing you did
solo.
there. There we go. That's
That would have
Genius,
been an amazing
genius.
ending. She's
Great
like,
writing.
I don't have a last name, and the woman in the desert's like, oh, okay, so you're Rey Solo,
there you go.
and then she walks off.
Oh
So stupid.
Oh my god.
All right, so there is one thing that I wanted to say. So just before the power trio go off and whatnot, they have a meeting where they've got their resistance base, right?
Yeah.
And you've got all the familiar faces, a couple of older people from the previous movies, and you've got General Organa there, and she does give some.
And
amazing
Mary from Lord of the Rings.
Pardon?
Oh,
He's
yeah,
left-
yeah.
Mary from Lord of the Rings. He's
Oh,
left
yeah,
the Shire.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
yeah.
And they have Ray has a little conversation with Leia Organa. It's like, I don't believe I deserve this, and tries to give back the lightsaber
Yeah.
right to her. Say, I'll come back and get it back from you when I deserve it.
Yeah.
And they have like a hugging moment, and it is quite touching.
She's
at that
starting to
time
get
as well.
moody as well. She runs through some training.
Yes.
She's trying to contact the Force Ghost and can't. And then she runs through some training and starts to get more a la Kylo, like just really letting go and losing control and getting
Yeah.
aggressive with stuff.
Well, can I ask this, because Kylo's connecting to her and she starts to like lose balance?
Yeah.
My question is, who did you think she was before they revealed it? Who were you like? What they were hinting towards throughout the movie? You're like, okay, they're about to reveal someone. Where's it going? What were you guys thinking? I want to know.
As in who
Oh, I
she
knew
was,
it.
like who her lineage was and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you, were you sitting there like, she's Palpatine's granddaughter? Was that really where
Yeah.
you
I-
thought?
Clearly
what I-
one of
that's what I
Yoda's
thought.
kids, all right?
Yeah, Yoda. That's it. Yeah, she looks like a Yoda. That's what she looks like. I genuinely, I think because I wanted it to be the clone theory so bad, I was like, they're gonna say clone, and we saw those tubes with the clones, so that's even it. And I completely blinded myself with that I didn't even see the Palpatine thing coming. And when they said it, I was like, oh, they went the Palpatine route. Oh, well, I guess this is okay. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with it, but
Yeah,
it wasn't where I thought.
expected
I thought
it.
they were
I
going
completely
a
did.
direction I much would have preferred them go, especially if they're wrapping up all 9 movies. I thought because when Kylo, the first connection happened when Kylo touched the Vader mask, right?
Yeah.
And I said they're like bullshit. They're gonna go this route. they're gonna go like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Chosen One Reborn, reincarnation Anakin
Right.
sort of thing. That I almost thought that's where they were going with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
I
glad
didn't,
I
especially-
didn't
even
do
think
that.
about that.
Especially when you saw like when they go back and her parents were literally nobody,
Yeah.
and you saw them like, oh, the parents aren't recognizable. Okay, well then
So I have to say,
she has to be a reincarnation. Well, that's why Palpatine was searching.
the throne room scene is one of my all-time favorite scenes ever.
We know that. We know you have bad taste, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, it's one of my all-time favorite scenes ever. The whole thing, by the way. So like the start with everything, the build-up with Snoke, killing Snoke, the fight, and then their discussion afterwards.
You mean the throne room scene from
I
episode
agree.
1 in Naboo? That throne room.
That's the one.
That
yeah.
the one. The
Oh
best.
yeah, of
Definitely
course.
not that one.
Has to be.
But so Kylo says, "Look, you're nobody, but
Yeah.
not to me." And I actually didn't mind that. I didn't mind that she wasn't a Skywalker, wouldn't have been a Palpatine or a Windu or any of those, because
A Windu.
Yeah,
I wish she was a
anything,
Windu.
She
right?
looks like
I
Samuel
wish she was.
Jackson.
And she's got the voice. I'm sick of these motherfucking Sith. I actually didn't mind that because it was a bridge to us. Because suddenly now, assuming she was a nobody, you didn't have to be born into a family to be somebody. Ray got
Except
to be us.
why was she so perfect and so strong? That's why it didn't
Yeah,
make
yeah, well,
sense.
and we can cover
that's
that.
why it didn't make sense.
We can cover that, but the thing is, why was Yoda so strong? Why was Anakin so strong? Why was Palpatine so strong? At some point,
that doesn't matter,
somebody
though.
somebody just comes into strength in the Force, and it's okay to not come from one of these.
But Anakin
bloodlines.
was trained fucking years.
And
He
Anakin
was a
was
Padawan
important.
learner.
Like his lineage was important. That's why that's why like where Shmi explains it
That's the
in
thing.
the Phantom Menace because
Okay,
it's
but like
important.
Palpatine, Yoda, Windu, all of the Jedi Masters, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, their parents are nobodies. They were just kids that were strong in the Force and were trained.
But then she wasn't
Yeah,
trained
but
and
that
she
makes
just was
sense.
using the
Like-
Force.
Yeah, and I understand, and I also have
It
one of
would've-
those
it
choose
would've
to
made
believe
more
it
sense.
fixes for Rey. I do have
It-
That's why I thought that the clone thing would have worked, and that's
Clone
why I
would have
wanted
worked.
it to be. Because
Mm-hmm.
if she was a clone, then she is scientifically engineered to be sick, and
Yeah.
engineered to be epic. And I'm like, okay, it's like engineering anything
Yeah.
scientifically. It's gonna be amazing. The fact that she's a Palpatine and still is so amazing, kind of like. Well, still, I'm sure even Palpatine
It's
It's
had
better than
training
nothing.
as
It's
well.
better
Look,
than nothing.
I
It's
have a
better. It's better
fix
than
to-
nothing though. It's better
Yeah.
than nobody too.
Yeah.
And,
it
and
is.
I agree. I personally didn't mind the nobody thing, and my fix to Rey's huge leap in power so quickly without having to do any training is the Force Awakens. Rey is being interrogated by Kylo.
Oh yes, I remember this. Go
And
on.
they're-
Right, I remember.
and
I actually remember
she-
you saying this. Yeah.
Yeah. They push back to each other. They see into each other's minds, and I say at that moment, their minds touch up against each other, and she manages like to by osmosis pick up
Yeah.
his all the years of training. So she didn't need to be trained for 7 years or however long by Luke because she got it.
That's her
from
Force
Kylo.
ability.
And that's
Yeah.
why I actually wanted their fighting styles to be very similar. And in this movie, I felt
Would've been great.
that he should have changed style because she fights like he does because she learned the way he learned.
She's essentially Taskmaster from
Yeah,
from Avengers.
She just went into his brains, went how to use the Force, how to use the lightsaber, copy paste,
Download.exe.
and copy pasted it, and that's why she gets this huge leap
Yeah.
and sudden ability in the Force and to use a lightsaber and stuff.
Right.
Again, it's never explicitly said. You have to choose to view it that way. I really like Rey, so I will forgive that stuff. She is a Mary Sue completely.
She's given everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think, but I think they did way more with her in this movie. They
Oh,
gave
completely.
her
Oh, yeah, 100%.
adversity. They gave her
Yes.
actual flaws. They gave her struggles, and I was
Yes.
like,
They
"Fuck,
did.
this is what I'm talking about." Honestly,
I liked her
by the
most in
way,
this.
if yeah, 100%, this is my favorite movie with her. If you look at the throne room scene in Return of the Jedi, well, the throne room scene in this movie that's in the Death Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't do it. When Rey was sitting there going, give it to me. And it was like
Yeah.
almost Palpatine-esque. I was like, please don't say do it.
Oh,
Please do
God.
not say. I
Palpatine
almost
says
saw.
do it though. That was great.
Yeah, he does say do it. He does say the meme. He does say the
Oh,
meme.
that was really funny.
Okay, actually, can I go back? I know we're jumping all over the place, but Palpatine going, the dark side is a path to many abilities.
yeah. I
Some
loved
consider
it.
to be
I loved
unnatural.
it. Yeah,
I was like,
so
get
good.
fucking yes. Yes.
I
I
loved
fucking
it.
loved that.
I remember
I was
we,
like,
we were like children in the goddamn cinema. I remember turning to you, I was like, he's saying the thing.
We were grabbing
He's saying
each
the
other's
thing.
arms like, oh my god, he did it, he said it. I loved that. I absolutely loved that.
Yeah,
So,
that's very good.
100%.
what were we
That
saying?
was such a great moment.
Where were we?
We were very early in the thing, basically.
At the
Anyway,
festival
they head
thing or
off to
whatever?
try and find the Wayfinder.
Yeah.
And apparently it's on this planet. What was the... does
The
anyone know the
holocron.
name of
I
the
mean,
planet?
sorry. Yeah.
Sorry?
The holocron?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
yeah.
the Wayfinder.
Not the holocron.
Yeah, they're not holocron.
Yeah.
They go to some planet, another desert planet,
Desert
because
planet, yeah.
important things only happen on desert planets.
Exactly.
Tatooine 6.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, is this... yes, Tatooine. Here we go. Anyway, they go there. And there's like a big old festival happening. Ray gets to like smile a lot and see a lot of alien kids. Alien kid gives her like a nice necklace. And at that point, they bump minds again, Kylo and Ray. And they have another little conversation. He goes, I found out who you are. Your parents weren't nobody. And it doesn't say anything just yet, but also goes out with the Force and grabs the necklace from her.
Okay, I need to talk about this.
Go on.
This whole movie runs on MacGuffins.
Yeah.
And one of those MacGuffins is those two, and I get that they're like a dyad in the Force, and I actually really like that. I can completely
I do
buy
too.
that 3 generations of Skywalker and Palpatine interaction has meant that these two beings in the Force are interwoven,
They're meant
right?
to be
Yeah.
together.
100%.
I
100%.
love that. I love
Great,
it.
great.
I don't dig.
In fact, it's a great connector of the whole saga. if you
Yeah,
ask me.
Yeah.
it's brilliant, and it also makes sense why these two were so easy to connect by Snoke or Palpatine across such a great distance, right? Because
Yeah.
nobody else.
I
could
don't
do
even
that.
believe Snoke connected them. though,
Oh, I
to be
wasn't
honest.
Might
Snoke.
not have been. And
Definitely
No,
wasn't.
I think when Snoke goes, I'm the one that connects you, I think he was just lying. I think he
saw
sensed
that
that they were
happen, yeah.
connected. I think he knew they were talking, but I don't
Yeah.
think he
Maybe
had nothing to do with
Palpatine
it.
told him, because I assumed like Snoke just had the knowledge that Palpatine had. I don't really know how Palpatine was controlling it, whether it was like part of Palpatine was in Snoke, or whether it was just like his own free will being that just sort of did what Palpatine wanted or what that was
Yeah.
about. But I guess
And we'll
I feel
never
like he
know
could sense
because-
what Palpatine could sense or whatever. Like he knew they were connecting, but then he was just talking shit.
yeah, I mean, anyway, I love their connection. I don't love this MacGuffin though. I don't love this ability to like.
It was taken a little bit too far.
It was taken too
right?
far. Like, 'cause when it gets to the Vader mask.
Yeah, and later on it's like, okay, so he cut open what looked like a bag of red rocks and whatnot, and that spread all over his room. And then afterwards, they both hit the Vader
Yeah.
mask stand and whatnot, and that collapsed. And I was like,
But-
okay, so he might as well just be there then.
Yeah.
He might as well have been teleportation.
It's going to be used in the bit where it really bugs me is Luke's or Anakin's lightsaber, which while I love him with that lightsaber,
Yeah.
that's not where he needs to pick it up. I would have had that scene, and we're jumping now. Should I stop and we'll continue
Yeah.
the movie?
No. That's fine. This is fine.
I
I'd
love.
rather break down key points that are throughout the movie
Yeah.
than every scene one by one.
Cool. I love that Kylo faces off against the Knights of Ren. If JJ had had the 3 movies, we maybe would have met them like in movie 2, not in
100%
movie
would have,
3.
yeah.
Like, what the
Yes.
fuck? I think that fight should have been, he turns up, sort of as the Skywalker pauper, right?
Yeah.
He has nothing to him anymore. The Knights of Ren are there. They're not Kylo Ren. They're not Ben Solo. But he has to take them on with what he's got.
Yeah.
First scene, for the record, the way I would direct this, the first one, like the biggest or the weakest of them, gets turtle shelled.
Yeah.
Kylo reaches out with his hand, the guy's head, his fucking arms and legs just pull in like a turtle, and that guy's crushed and killed, dead.
Yeah.
Then they attack him. He gets into the fight, beats them, but takes some hits, and then he runs into the throne room to meet Rey, who has Leia and Anakin Skywalker's lightsabers,
Yeah.
and he takes Anakin's, and they face off.
Mm.
And that's where
Nah.
that's how I would have done that. And then this is where I would have gone, because Palpatine has the cloning technology.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen walks on, clone Anakin comes in, an Anakin that's never been in the suit, an Anakin that has been raised from the beginning as a Sith. That's the guy they face off against.
I
with
don't
those
like it.
lightsabers.
Which
it
I
would-
don't like it either.
It
We're
would
jumping.
ruin Anakin's image. It'd be like
Yes.
taking
But it's
him
not
back
Anakin.
because I feel like
It's not
I know,
Anakin.
But it
would
is. But it is.
still-
But it is. Yeah.
It'd still be like you'd still be seeing.
But and
like,
then
this
you'd have the
evil
dialogue
Anakin.
like, you're not. You can have Kylo saying, "You're not him." He spent his whole life looking up to Vader. You're not him. You'll never be him.
Well, it's-
They see
I think
to
it
him.
would be cool, but
Or it could have been.
I just
Clone Rey.
don't think
it could
there
have
can
also
be
been
anybody
Clone
else
Rey.
like
yeah,
Anakin.
It could have been
Rey.
Clone Rey,
Clone
and
Rey
that
would've
would
been
have
a thing.
explained, like, when she says to Force Ghost Luke says, what are you most afraid of? And she says herself. She hasn't been seeing visions of herself as a Sith. She's been seeing visions of herself as a Sith because there's a clone of her that's a Sith.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
But then
That's
she
the way
should be
I
a
would have
clone.
taken it.
If she was a clone, then I'd be okay with that.
Either
But
way.
her just being
Then
Palpatine's
it would have been
granddaughter,
a
and then
good
she's got
story.
Yeah. Or maybe they're both clones, right? And the
Yeah, but I'd be okay with it. I
That's how
honestly
I would have
like
taken
just. I guess, yeah. I
I'm
mean,
more happy with the way the movie handled it, to be honest. I don't think
I
there's
agree.
I just
major
I
things
hate
I
that
would
MacGuffin
change.
of just being able to transfer a lightsaber across the Force because they're connected.
I loved that.
I
I
like
fucking
it,
loved
but
that. That's
it
how they
doesn't-
did
It was incredible to watch.
It was just a bridge too far.
Yeah.
I feel like, and
Was
It was also
I
like,
think
but the
it
thing
was.
is, in the Last Jedi, that's not how that ability worked. Like they couldn't actually.
But
like,
okay,
touch
let me
each
ask.
other
Let me
and stuff.
let me
Why
say
can
this:
They do that now?
if you can't, because the connection's grown stronger over time. But if you can't invent new force powers in a new Star Wars movie, when can you invent new force powers?
But I feel like
Yeah,
if you can,
I'm
if you
cool
can do
with that.
whatever you want and then say, but that's just because we can do what we
yeah,
want.
I'm with James.
But
Because
it's
I
not
feel
that
this is
much
the
of a
thing,
stretch.
I wasn't
It's
mad-
not that much of a
Well, like
stretch.
the Holdo
Yeah, but
move.
you
It's
see
the
like
Holdo
Luke.
move.
It's the Holdo
Like-
move again. It's like now every ship is now a nuclear bomb. We've just invented this thing now that hasn't been around.
And
ever
JJ
since.
had to even say that's a 1 in a million.
I
shot.
love how
We
he
couldn't do-
retconned
we
that. It's
can't do
like,
that, don't
fuck you,
worry.
Ryan
Yeah,
Johnson.
we
This
can't
is
do
not
that.
going to happen.
But like Rey's ability to heal, I'm cool with her having that ability. But we've just been shown that she's had trouble learning stuff, and this is a whole new ability that's never been led up to. No one's talked about it. We haven't seen it in the cinematic universe. I'm cool that she can do it, but to the level that she does it, she just randomly does it to some snake thing, which like they become buds. She saves Kylo's life, and then Kylo presumably learns from her because now he's come back to the light and they
Yeah.
share some stuff.
And not every
It just
Jedi, they've
happens
said
to-
over years, not every Jedi is able to do every Force ability as well.
Yeah, and
like
I
there's
think-
like Anakin had the ability to see into the future and have those visions and stuff. Not every Jedi can do it,
Right.
but they've addressed in other Star Wars media
Yeah.
that there's Jedi that have that
I
ability
think
too.
Jedi Fallen Order helped with that if it had come out earlier, because we would have learnt that Cal Kestis seeing those echoes
Yeah.
is a really unusual thing to be able to do. And I'm cool with her being able to heal and stuff. And actually, it really fits well for the end of a light, a light side
Yeah.
coming it back into power. But it just sort of comes out of nowhere. Same as their connection to the ability that it had, to transfer stuff across great distances, like physical media.
Them connecting together and being able to talk as if they were in the same room was a new ability and whatnot.
And I freaking
And then
loved
it was like
by the way.
it was another add on top of that, and then it went a step further from
Yeah.
that, and it was like, okay, so at what point is it going to be? Now I'm teleporting to Tatooine. I'll see you guys later. I don't need speeders or anything.
You go
like
to
that.
hug Kylo, and then now you're on Tatooine.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
It was just like it was kept building and going until finally we said, all right, this is too
Yeah.
fun. All right.
don't get me wrong.
Well, I
did
feel
love
like
to
the
see-
fact they were a room away, I was more okay with it. Like
That makes it a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah.
they were
because they were so
weren't
close. Yeah,
That-
sure.
yeah,
they
that
were
makes
very
sense.
very
That is
yeah
better.
like
And they're on
Yeah,
Exegol,
so-
which presumably is a very force-sensitive world, right?
Yeah, so probably
Presumably.
boost their powers.
Yeah, so I'm cool with that. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, so
On top of it
So-
though, as well, it's
Sold.
only
I've sold
it's
you.
only
I'm
those
selling you on
two
this.
as well. It's just Kylo and Rey connecting.
Yeah.
It's not like Rey can just decide, oh, I want to connect to this person, go all the way over here, because
Agreed.
we see Luke
Agreed.
project himself, but like
Yeah.
that's him doing it himself, consciously making an effort to project himself, and then it is only a projection.
Yes.
Whereas with
Yeah.
Kylo and Rey, it's like they can almost pull each other through to each other where they are, sort of
Yeah.
thing. And like you see it
And-
with
and-
objects, and like now Ben's dead, Rey can't do that anymore. So,
Yeah, and that dyad and Palpatine literally says dyad in the Force have like this has not been seen for generations. I was like, I like that a lot.
yeah, I like that a lot.
And
I did like
if, like you said, Sheps, if there's any two people after generations of these two families being connected like
Yeah.
this that have this dyad, that have this like connection like this, it would be these two characters.
Yeah, and I fucking
so
loved it.
I fucking love it too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really love it, and I was totally fine with this ability that it got added on because their connection's grown stronger and stronger and stronger over time. And honestly, like for me, I know again we skip around this a lot, but I went in this movie not wanting Raylo, but they sold me enough on it in this movie
Yeah.
that I was okay with what they did. at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, I was okay with it. And that's also why I think the end scene should have just been her, very subtle, she puts her hand on her belly, and that's that. Cut. Dead. The movie ends.
I think you could probably stretch it either way anyway.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'd roll my eyes if that.
Well, that
happened.
because
would
then
just
I
roll
would
my
have said
eyes.
that's why she introduced herself as Rey Skywalker, because as far as she's concerned, in that
They're
moment,
married.
she saved. Well, yeah, like she saved Ben. It's the one true love, love's true kiss. He brought her back to life, and maintained. And it's the rise of Skywalker because now it's another Skywalker.
All right.
and it's an actual Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like it would be the actual bloodline, not just
Yeah.
Rey.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
I think you can still do it because where did Kylo touch her to bring her back to life?
Right, exactly,
vagina.
and that's why I'm saying. Yeah,
You
exactly.
could still do it
also-
though. Like in episode 10, you could say
could.
that happened.
You could, but
I
I
don't
think the way
think-
they're going with it is the whole point of the movie is bloodlines don't matter. So it's more what you do makes you a Skywalker more than what your blood says. Like even like Luke
okay.
saying that just because you're a Palpatine doesn't mean you have to be a Palpatine.
But I don't think she
So-
was a Skywalker. But like her calling herself a Skywalker to me was like who trained her, who raised her in a way, because
Well,
it
yeah,
was
it was that
Leia
as well,
and
but
Luke that did it. Like I don't think she would just say Skywalker because I'm a Skywalker now. Like I don't see it as Skywalker's like the next thing of a Jedi or something. No, I
neither
only
do
saw her
I.
call herself a Skywalker purely because it was Luke and Leia, and then whoever she trains would be a Skywalker too.
Yeah, and she's choosing who she wants to be. She's like, I want to be a Skywalker. I don't want to be a Palpatine. I still don't. I don't like the ending. to
Can
be
I
honest,
ask you guys a
but-
question? So we are pretty much we have the idea that the reason why like the hand was on the stomach and whatnot is that soon she's gonna be heir to she's gonna give birth to the next part of the Skywalker bloodline.
Maybe.
Possibly, right?
Mate, hey, look, you could do it,
They
and I'd
can
be
do
totally
it. I don't
fucking cool with it
think
because
that
I want
they
there to
were
be
planning
another
on that.
Skywalker.
That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Like, I don't want to see in episode 10 and there's no Skywalker.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm totally fine. But you do know that we live in 2019, and we do live in what's going to be 2020, which I'm sure is just going to be even worse and whatnot. And they're just going to they're going to take the whole of all of the Star Wars movies, and they're going to deduce it to this one thing that they're going to say: Disney, they made a woman just a mother again, didn't they? They just made, she's just a vessel
Yeah,
for
they
a
wouldn't
child
do
and
it.
whatnot. You know
Yeah,
it will
exactly.
happen. So I hope. I mean, I just don't want to hear idiots just moan about shit.
Those
you know?
people aren't actually fans of the franchise.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, I
just
don't care what they
people that
think.
like to be angry about things and want to be angry about this. Because
Yeah.
those aren't the people that watch 7 seasons of Clone Wars. Those aren't the
No.
people that watch all these films back to back and do movie clubs or cinema rooms and all this stuff, right? They don't really care.
Yeah.
We love these characters. I felt, fuck them. Fuck
Yeah.
them.
Fuck them. Fuck them to hell.
The only
Yeah.
problem is, fuck them all to death. The only problem is that the execs in Hollywood bow to them. Like at the
Yeah.
end,
That's
we
the
see
issue.
we saw these weird romance kisses and stuff in the background. Finn goes, "Oh Ray, I never told you," and then never gets to tell her the
what
thing.
was the thing that he was gonna say?
Right.
Right.
Oh my
And-
god, JJ's confirmed it, hasn't he?
No, he said it, and
So
no one believes him. I don't believe him.
He said it.
Wait,
to-
wait, what?
He said so. You know, Finn was saying about how I've got something to tell you, and then never mentions it in the movie, like never gets told.
Yeah.
Apparently, JJ said to a person. So this isn't JJ coming
I
on
thought
record.
it was
or
on
not.
like it was on a.
As far as I've seen,
It was
it's
like
only
a
to a
thing,
person.
yeah.
Okay.
And a person said, I've spoken to JJ, and he confirmed to me that Finn was going to say he is force sensitive. And I'm like, okay, it's probably you got us all thinking that he was going to say I love you, but
Which he does, obviously.
yeah.
Obviously,
But,
how
I
could
mean,
you not?
Fucking, do you remember Force Awakens where it's like, so you're a resistance fighter? I've never seen one before.
Yeah.
Wet as all hell,
Yeah.
right there.
Okay, well, let's relax. Yeah.
Anyway, even I was turned on by the motherfucker. Anyway, I was like, but is that really what you're gonna say, force sensitive?
No.
Because does it play a factor in anything?
This is one of the things, right? This is one people were saying at the end, the celebration, the gay kiss should have been Finn and Poe, which I don't agree with
I mean,
personally.
it
They're
doesn't
not.
sense.
Oh,
It just
what
doesn't
the
mean anything.
fuck?
They're best friends. Just
it's
to
a
be
Maybe if
bromance.
you
It's a
set it up
bromance.
from the beginning, sure,
It's-
whatever. I
it's
don't
a-
care.
yeah,
Like,
I don't care.
Oh
you,
my
it's
God.
not set up.
Who gives a
at all.
Yeah,
fuck about
it's
a
a
gay
bromance,
kiss
not a
in a movie or
romance.
any
It makes
kiss?
no
What the
sense.
fuck?
It doesn't add anything
Yeah,
to
it doesn't
So it's
add
like,
anything
These
at
guys are best friends. They will do anything for each
Yeah.
other. Why would a kiss help?
Right.
Why
so
would
the-
why would them being
and
in love help?
The reason that I was saying, fuck all the people that say all this shit, but the reason that I'm worried is because I think the reason that Finn didn't get to tell Rey was because, well, one, they didn't
Leaves
have
it open.
the second movie with JJ where he might have had the love triangle thing or something, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
two,
right.
because China won't buy a movie with the interracial kiss.
Yeah. First of all, a black guy because they're very, very racist.
Very
over there.
racist.
And also
Oh,
an
it's- yeah.
interracial gay. It would just
Yeah,
be, China
right.
would just be like, sorry, we're not showing.
So
this."
that's why that Finn didn't get to tell Rey that he loved her, which they've set up for many, many movies now, right?
Yeah.
So that is a problem. That I want these movies just to be made the best way, and I don't care if Finn's gay. I don't care. I wouldn't care if it was Finn and Poe. What I care about is that they haven't set that up.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
that's the issue.
the reason why we're watching it is, like we've always said, space wizards and laser swords.
Absolutely.
If two guys kiss on the side, that's cool. You guys are in love. I'm just gonna have a look at this laser sword over
what,
here.
what if? I just want to see space wizards fighting with laser swords.
Yeah, what if? Oh,
Like, that's
in a
it.
I
Star
can't
Wars
say I
movie?
watch Star Wars for love stories.
You sure?
Right.
They I mean, when you see Anakin rubbing Padme's back, by the way, I'm rubbing Shep's back right now as I
He
do
is.
this. It's true. Here he goes. I hate sand, but you're so smooth and soft.
Get off me!
You're right. No, that did get me hard, but beyond that, no love stories.
Oh boy.
So,
So, so what were you? How do you feel about Finn and Poe's relationship? I thought their bromance, their friendship was really good in this movie.
I thought it was really good.
Like,
There's
The best it's been.
It's great.
the best it's been. There's a scene I particularly like where Leia's just died. Poe runs up to Finn and he's like, "Look." They both go to do the speaking at once, and he's like, "No, I need you. I can't do this without you."
Yeah. You're general as well.
Yeah, I need you to be a general. And Finn starts saying what he's going to say. And he's like, wait, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks, General.
Yeah.
You're too general. And that, I think, is a throwback to the original trilogy because everybody becomes a general in seconds. Right?
Yeah.
Lando,
Yeah.
dear. Who just watched Han get taken away from Bespin, then just goes straight to Tatooine. He hasn't gone to the Resistance. They don't know him.
Yeah.
He's been on Tatooine for a week. They rescue Han. He's back, and suddenly he's General Holdo. No, General Lando.
General Lando.
God damn it! I'm so sorry.
He loves Lando. He loves Holdo so much that he just stuck in his mind.
But he's
the purple hair
like
does it for
he's
him.
just a general, right? When we see in Empire, Han and Luke, like Han's a commander, Luke's a general. You know, they're generals. It's been 2 days. And so I love the fact that he's like, General! They're like, hey, we're generals now!
Let's touch General
That is
Tips.
But I did love it. I thought their relationship was so good, and we finally got, in this movie, the bromance, the power couple, the power trio.
I'll tell you something. It was fantastic when they first met because they instantly had this amazing bro relationship.
I
I
didn't
love
like
their intro in
yeah.
Force
I didn't-
Awakens. I love them together.
I didn't
You
like it.
didn't
I didn't
like
like
it?
it to begin with because I
Really?
like early on when they're breaking out. It's like, I'm breaking you out because it's the right thing to do. You just need a pilot. That I digged.
Yeah.
But once they got on the TIE fighter and hit the ground, I didn't dig that. And I didn't dig their reunion back at the Rebel base. But after that,
See,
I
I
like
did.
it.
See, I
Okay.
did.
I think it's just too much too
I was
I
all
love
about
them
it.
in the TIE fighter together as they're escaping, going back to Jakku.
Yeah.
I was like,
that.
they
They're
made
back and
they
forth.
did more in 3 minutes with Finn and Poe making me believe they're best friends than Obi-Wan and Anakin in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I
Like,
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you know what it honestly is? Is because I do feel like, at least compared to the prequels, the sequels have such a higher level of quality in terms of like, well, let's say 7
Dialogue.
and 9 for like relationship building, character building, that I've set the bar much higher. And I do agree, the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan is not even close to how well set up Poe and Finn is.
No. I
Yeah.
am.
At least, I thought they did well. This first opening scene of Revenge of the Sith, they did. It was very similar to the
Yeah,
Finn and Poe
it's a good
opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did
Where
try-
they're
did
the
very well there.
they're in their Jedi Starfighters and that you have that. And I'm like, wow, they just did in 5 minutes what they couldn't do in the whole last movie.
Yeah, completely
yeah.
agree.
They have good chemistry in Revenge of the Sith, which is nice.
What I was going to say was
Yeah.
that in that Force Awakens, they have the amazing bro moments and they're good friends. And again, Ryan Johnson in the second movie completely just avoided that at all. Didn't do anything at all. there.
Everyone but Kylo's a 2D character.
Exactly.
in the-
Especially some anyway,
Yeah.
and then we go into the third movie, and again, there's that fantastic relationship with them. So it's all just. I mean, JJ can clearly do it, and some other people can't.
Some people seem to hate this movie though. Like I've been seeing people calling JJ
I think if you
Jar
hate the
Jar.
characters and you
What?
didn't,
They've been calling him Jar Jar Abrams.
No,
and I'm like,
these are the people
They
that
have
are
been.
butthurt. So there's a person I follow. I'm not going to say his name because then you go like people go follow him and whatnot. But there's a person that I follow, and he's got good takes on most things. And he's a cool guy, but he really latched onto this. What's the Rose's character's?
Rose Tico.
What's her name actually? What's her?
Oh,
her
Kelly
name?
Marie Tran.
I know.
that's
I already know who you're talking about.
Yes.
Like I literally already know who you're
Yeah,
talking
you know what I'm
about.
talking about. And he's defending her and saying like, you guys are being really terrible to her. And I'm like, the people who are sane, the people who aren't morons, the people that are going to be worried about Rey having a baby and stuff like that,
Yeah.
the people who are sane don't care about her. She hasn't done anything wrong as an actress.
I don't care that she's a woman. I don't care if she's gay.
Asian,
I
I
do.
don't care.
That's-
I don't care what her favorite color is. I don't care if she's.
I don't care if she likes to play with trains. Nothing
Yeah,
matters to us at all. We don't care about the actress. We care about that Ryan Johnson couldn't make a good character and made a very terrible character.
Yeah.
That detracted from the entire movie.
Rose is awful.
And that was what we had a problem with. And then Ryan Johnson, I think, he tweeted out a picture of her on the red carpet
Ugh.
and
Oh
With
god,
a
the
crown,
crowns,
with a
like,
crown
with a
emoji.
crown.
Such a
and I was
little
like,
bitch.
you I can't believe you have the audacity to do this. You have put her in this position by terrible,
You wrote her
terrible
badly,
writing.
cunt.
Exactly.
Your fault.
A terrible writing. That's your fault. And you are trying to make it sound like we're the ones that did something.
Yeah.
You're a bastard. You should be taking responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
completely agree. I did like as well. I did like that JJ retconned a lot of Rose, and
I
he even
love
gave
it.
her a
It's so
huge
great.
promotion. Like Finn, when
Yeah.
they're leaving, he goes, "Rose, you coming?" She goes, "I can't. Leia's asked me to research the Sith or whatever." you're a fucking
dumbest
you're a
fucking
maintenance
reason
worker, and your biggest plot point was complaining about casinos.
Yes.
That's who you are, and so you got the biggest fucking promotion. Like I was saying, imagine aliens invade, right? And a helicopter lands outside Ed's house. Guys fast rope down. They knock on the door, like, guys, we know you've done this YouTube channel. We need you to research these aliens and help us. Like that's what happened there. So I like that she
That is
got.
so funny.
Again, in my first watching, I was like, fuck, she's still here.
Yeah.
But in the second one, I was like, wait. She got a heavy air quote promotion.
A promotion
She's
to
not
stay
even
out
in
of the
it.
way.
Yeah. And then even on the big final battle, Finn's like, no, you leave. You can go.
You go on the land, the thing, the transport
Yeah,
ship,
yeah.
and I'll stay here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, no, I can help. It's like, no, we don't need you.
What did you guys think? Sorry for jumping around again. I know we're doing a lot of
We'll
jumping
be doing
around.
a lot of that.
But what did you think about the meeting of those people on the where they
The
were?
Death Star place.
The Death Star place where it landed and whatnot. What do you guys think of meeting of those people that were also stormtroopers and stuff like that?
What
What
the
do you think of
fuck?
that?
What the fuck was the point of that?
I
was a bit
know the
strange.
point. I'll tell you the point.
Go on, tell us
The
about it.
point is that the chick who has that very awkward "you too" moment with Finn, very
Oh,
awkward.
yeah.
She's
It was very
Lando's.
strange.
She's Lando's kid.
Oh really?
And they're gonna-
Lando?
Is that what
They're
they
gonna
were
do a
doing there? 'Cause
spin-off.
that
That's
They're gonna
that's
do a
what I
spin-off.
thought too. Is that what they were trying to
Fucking
do?
weird.
They're
That ending,
setting
I'm
up
like,
a
does he want
spin-off,
to
either
fuck
a
her?
show or a movie.
Let's find out. I was like, wait,
Yeah, I was
what?
like, does he want to fuck
That
her or
was
is that
the
his
weirdest
daughter? It's
scene.
one of the two, and I can't tell.
It was such an awkward scene. But so that's what
Or
I
they're
think
setting up
setting
some extra thing where that Lando does work, I don't know, to help displace Stormtroopers. I don't fucking know. Like, some separate side. It was so strange.
Oh yeah, maybe
that
that's
was a
what
strange
Lando's
one.
gonna do. He's gonna like find all the stormtroopers' homes. It's like that long lost family show, but it's
Yeah, like
Lando and stormtroopers.
It's
from the
Lando
First
Calrissian.
Order.
Lando Calrissian. Now,
That's what they're
this is
setting
here's
up.
a.
The problem is,
Here's a-
I don't want to watch that
here's a-
movie. I don't want to watch that show. I don't care about Lando and his kids. I don't care.
I got a question. I got a question here.
Okay.
This, well, not even a question, a statement then question.
Okay.
There was a scene with this girl and Finn that I got goosebumps the second time I watched it. When Finn, because I love Finn, when he was explaining, when he starts it, the Force brought me to Rey, and he did that explanation, and he understands the Force, and he clearly has like his I don't know. I just got fucking goosebumps when he explained it.
Yeah,
I
It's like
really
his
did.
Han Solo moment sort of thing.
Yeah, it
Where he's
felt like
like,
a
"Oh, the Force
callback
is
to
real."
when he was met Han,
Yeah.
and Han goes, "It's real,
Like,
all of it."
I didn't believe it then, but I do now.
Yeah.
It's a cool moment, but I also think it doesn't make a lot of sense because what reason does he have to never believe in the Force? Like, what does he mean? What, like, when he says I didn't believe in it then, when does he mean? When he was a stormtrooper,
Yeah.
or like when he met Rey for the first time, or like what? Because Han Solo
Being-
explains it all to him, and he sees Rey use the Force numerous times. He has
Well,
no
he's-
reason not to
he was
believe it.
He was there with Kylo. The very first scene when they attack the village.
Yeah, of course he
fucking
sees
stop the laser bolt
Kylo
in the
stop
air.
the
You
laser.
don't believe this shit, bitch?
I didn't believe it. It's all illusions. It's
But it could be like
wires.
growing up, you know.
I just didn't like the whole. Oh, all of us, the whole company of stormtroopers. We all just were like, "No, we won't do it." Like, no. That
I
didn't-
like to believe that happens incredibly frequently, and they're always losing stormtroopers all the time, but they just don't know how to deal with it. They just have to keep recruiting more kids, and they keep losing them all the time.
It's like, God, we lost another 20 today, and like we don't have their bodies for some reason. Where did they go? And it seems out of place because the way that they act about stormtroopers in the first movie, they're like, this is the first ever recorded incidence of unconformity. Did she
I don't
say?
know, something like that.
Phasma says
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
By
but
the
she
way,
said
we
that
need-
about him. It was about him, not you, stormtroopers.
Yeah, it was about Finn.
Oh,
she
so
says it's
it was-
his.
Yeah,
Yeah.
specifically.
He's
Okay,
never-
alright, maybe. Yeah.
yeah.
But the way that it seemed to me anyway, it was like this is the first time we've ever seen something like this. Maybe I read into it, maybe not. Also, we need to talk about how Phasma is never seen again. She
I
fell
love
down
it.
a hole.
Died.
You people do not die by falling down a hole.
It's
we
a
know
known
this.
fact. yeah.
Exactly.
No one
It
dies
is a
from
known Star
falling
Wars
down.
fact.
Yeah, that's true.
Can we talk
is
about
true.
other First Order people though? Hux.
Yes.
What did you think about Hux?
I hated that. They get captured. They're about to be executed.
First, let's talk about it in order. So, like in the first movie, he was fucking fantastic.
So
I wanted to
hateable.
chunk him, and that's what they went for. Second movie, he was a bit of a loser kid, and he tried.
But it was also very fun to watch him get murked by.
when he got slammed to the ground. Anyway, that was fun. Yeah. And in this movie, go ahead.
He was so good to hate. He was like Star Wars' Joffrey.
Yes.
You just love to hate him, and he was so good at it. And he's such a brilliant actor. And then in this, they capture Poe, Finn, and Chewie because they're there to rescue Chewie.
Rescue Chewie, yeah.
And which we actually need to get to that because that's a great scene for Rey.
Yeah.
But he just shoots the guys. He's like, "I'm the spy." Wait. Hold on. You just come out with like, "I'm the spy." What if they don't even know?
Yeah. That's
I didn't like that at all.
I had a good laugh at that because I thought Last Jedi kind of made him a little bitch anyway.
He's just
so
a bit of a meme,
I didn't even love to hate him at all. At any point, I always thought he was kind of just a bit of a bitch. I get that he hates Kylo Ren because Kylo just bullied him the whole time. They always had a rivalry, so I actually do get why he hated Kylo Ren.
You didn't like.
I liked him in 7.
Yeah, didn't you hate him?
I liked him.
When I say like him, did you not like to hate him because he was supposed to be a hateable character in 1? In the 7, sorry. Yeah. Well, the thing is that he was on that like ledge and he was pretending to be Hitler essentially, and you didn't hate him then. So do you like Hitler? Is that what you're saying?
I think we've confirmed that, right?
That's what you tried to imply at the start of this episode, but yeah.
There we go. Oh, but yeah. All right. So should we kick it over to the Chewie stuff then?
Yeah. Okay. So they've got the Sith dagger thing.
Yeah. So before we got sidetracked, we were on whatever desert Tatooine 5.0.
5.0.
They'd run off, found some guy who worked for the Sith ship.
Yeah.
And got sucked down into like quicksand and found his body and a dagger, and instantly Rey gets this like weird Force vision. She's like, terrible things have happened with this.
Yeah. And C-3PO gets to read it, and he's like, "Oh, it's got some Sith how to find the Wayfinder on it, but I can't translate it because my code forbids it and whatnot." He's like, "Are you motherfucking serious?"
I love that. One time we need you to speak,
the one time you're actually useful, and you're not gonna be useful. Anyway, they go along. They go, "All right, we found that," and they also have that snake scene where she like heals the snake, and then the snake's like, "Oh, thank you so much for that.
Thanks for healing me up. I guess I won't eat you now."
Yeah, I didn't have health insurance, so I guess I'll move on. You know. So they move on, and then they take the ship that's above ground. They're gonna try and get away.
Yeah.
At this point, she senses that Kylo's come in his ship. She goes out into the middle of the desert, and Chewie goes, "I'm gonna sort of like, I'm gonna go help, see if I can grab
I think
her."
Poe tells Chewie, "Go and get her, because we need to leave now, and the ship's about to be ready." Yeah.
He goes around the corner, and you see one of the Knights of Knights of Ren, and he gets taken away. Finn realizes it, sees like, he's being chained up, being put in one of the transports. They have that epic scene from the trailer where Kylo's barreling towards Rey,
and she does the epic flip and
huge backflip, cuts off a wing. There's a huge crash afterwards, and we're like, "Wow, that actually was a great thing."
In those TIE fighters,
fantastic.
You know, because Kylo's completely fine.
It must have been a seatbelt around his head as well, because there would have been some extreme whiplash.
Like, the thing fucking exploded. How did Kylo not even get, like, a little bit burned?
Let me explain to you exactly how that happened. Space wizards with laser swords. Yeah. That's exactly how that happens, all right?
Okay. I think that's pretty detailed.
That was pretty covered right there. Anyway, they come out and they face off and whatnot. And just as they're getting a little bit closer, Finn's
they don't even actually fight. Finn comes over and yells that they've got Chewie.
They've got Chewie! And sees like a transporter going off. Yeah. She grabs it with the Force in quite an epic way, I have to say.
It was
it's
great
like
scene.
A Star Killer moment, like Force Unleashed type thing.
Pulling it closer, it's almost, I was like, it's not coming close enough. I think that something is going to happen. It's going to explode. I could sense it happening. Yeah. And then she sort of, Kylo tries to fight her to try and push it away.
Yeah, they're pulling it each way.
And she gets angry, and the hugest lightning force comes out of her hand. And you're like, what?
I didn't see that coming. I saw the ship getting blown up.
Yeah.
I felt there was, I
thought they'd like rip it apart.
Yeah. I didn't see the Force lightning coming, and I gotta say, I fucking loved it.
I loved it as well, purely for her reaction. She acted the shit out of this at this moment.
That was one of her, that was a great
so
moment.
good.
It was a great
she
moment.
genuinely cried for killing one of her friends. I was like, no,
Yeah.
that would fuck me up if that was me. Into that if I had lightning hands and if I was the Force and the lightsaber.
And it's Chewie as well.
That
like,
moment,
the most
it fucking-
innocent soul.
Yeah.
My
Jesus.
God.
It was awful.
I didn't know what to do. It
No.
felt dreadful because
Yeah.
it's fucking
It was-
Chewie. But
And the thing is,
but-
it's like not only did Chewie die, not only is Rey responsible, but that's a dark side power.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? You just
and that was the beginning of her internal. That was the beginning of her struggles. That's what I loved about her story. Everyone calls her a fucking Mary Sue, but this movie, that was her big struggle.
Yeah.
Her big
Finally,
fault.
they
is-
really- Yeah.
Finally, she's had some hardship to overcome. Because I love Rey, and I've loved her the whole way through. She's static in the Last Jedi,
Last Jedi. Yeah.
which I didn't like too much. I felt that there was just because all of them were squandered, really, their talents and abilities, and the writing was terrible. But
except
I
Kylo
love
Ren.
Rey, and finally now she gets some hardship, some struggle, has to overcome something.
Yeah.
I really love that whole
Yeah.
scene, and she's so good.
And she gets back to the ship, and afterwards, once they finally escape, you do see like the look on her face. Finn's trying to console her, but even I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, dude, she killed.
Yeah, she even
The
says
most
that
innocent
power
person."
came from me.
Yeah,
Like I did that.
I did that, and they do not very easily brush it off, but they do move on because life does move on, and
Yeah.
there's a lot more to worry about here. And I think they go to that. What planet is they go to with the space chick, the sexy space chick with the gold helmet?
Kajimi.
Is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Kijimi?
So they
Yeah,
realized,
Kijimi.
They're like,
C-3PO says that the record because Chewie had the dagger with him, so it's gone.
Yes.
And he says
How are
it
we gonna
only
do-
lives on in my memory, but I can't tell you about it.
They have this moment where they're like, it only lives on in my memory now, and they all look down, they're like, it's in your memory?
I did love as well where he's like, oh, you'd have to do like a brain hacky thing. And they're like, what is that? And he goes, it's a very bad and simple procedure.
that would wipe my memory entirely, and I know you guys would never want to do that. Let's head over to a place that we can do that.
Yeah.
Oh shit, what?
I did love that. I actually really like this Kajimi planet as well. I think
Yeah.
it's like the mountain village at night in the snow. I loved
Yeah.
Kylo and Rey's fight there.
Well, it felt like a Norway or something in Nazi occupied Norway
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
That's a good
it did.
one. Yeah, I
Tyler
like
always
that.
finding the Nazi parallels.
He does,
yeah.
yes.
It's really good at that.
That's the first one. Hey, man, that's the first one.
But previous to this podcast starting, you had a lot of similarities to draw with
That
Nazi
is
Germany,
that
so-
you have no proof of that.
I mean,
and
you
that
were
is
really
not
pro
true.
Hux in The Force Awakens. But it's such a great. Kajimi's such a great visual, and finally we get to learn something about Poe.
Yeah, so his background, it's still a little bit, you barely get to know much about it, but it's like
He's a getaway driver.
But I love that.
We learn that he's a getaway
Essentially,
driver,
yeah, he's
and he
essentially a
ran
getaway
drugs basically.
a spice, a bit of
Spice.
paprika on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
side,
yeah.
you know what I mean? He's a spice dealer. Yeah.
And I do love that scene. It was like, well, you're a spice runner, you're a stormtrooper, you're a spice runner, you're a scavenger. I can do this all day. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
love
love that. It's
that
so
was
good.
great.
He's so quick on his feet. It was
And
great.
they have such amazing chemistry, the three
Yeah.
of them together.
They
It's
do. It's
so
brilliant.
good.
But some people it's interesting. Like people that hate the movie just don't agree with that.
What?
They didn't like the characters. But I'm like, but did you like The Force Awakens? Nah. Well, of course you didn't like The Rise of Skywalker.
Well,
like
that-
at no point.
yeah.
This is a trilogy based around the characters. You don't like the characters, you're not gonna like the movie. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
I think we all can say we love these characters on some
Oh, yeah.
level.
Yeah,
You-
Ray
we're
on a
gonna
different
enjoy
level to
the movie
everybody
that way.
else.
Yeah,
you know,
very in a
prefer-
very specific way.
Yeah, very, very specific.
You guys
way.
really want
And
to
Kylo
fuck
in that
Daisy
same way
Ridley
too.
bad.
Yeah, Kylo in the
clearly.
same way too. Ben spoiler right there. No, it's
Yeah,
it's
see,
like- they get to this planet and they're trying to find a person who can hack into C-3PO's head, and they bump into that chick
Who's super hot, by the way. You don't even see her
Super-
face, but something about it. I like the way she moves, and I also really dig her interaction with Rey.
Yes.
Where like they have this little fight. Rey beats up a couple people, and she ends up with a gun pointed at Rey. Rey with the lightsaber, and she says, "Not that you care, but I think you're okay." And Rey's like, "I care." There's something about that scene where you're just like, "That's right. Rey is this. Rey is
That is
still
Ray.
that
That was a
same
Ray
girl."
moment.
And Rey has another scene which maybe a lot of people wouldn't have noticed when she's flying Luke's X-wing.
Yeah.
And she has the helmet on. I loved that because
Yeah.
one of the first scenes, one of the things that made me know I loved Rey as a character is she's just got her 1/4 portion,
Yeah.
and she sat there watching a ship take off and then puts
Yes,
the
great
helmet on.
callback.
I fucking loved that, and then I loved that she got into Luke Skywalker's
Yes.
X-wing. She got into Red 5,
Yeah.
and has the helmet on. And
How's
and,
the other dude from Return of the Jedi, the other pilot, is just there as well back at the end?
Yes,
They got the actor. I was like,
that's
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor's uncle, I think.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Oh yes,
yeah.
no, yeah, I remember reading that as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently that's Ewan McGregor's uncle.
Yeah, I saw
was
an
like,
interview because
"That's
Ewan
insane."
McGregor was saying that he'd always loved Star Wars because they went to see the first one because his uncle was in it,
Yeah,
and that's him.
that's mad,
Yeah,
isn't it? That's
it's sick.
crazy.
Anyway,
Yeah, so where are we at in that? Yeah, so they meet this girl and one, they were saying we need to meet. What was the little dude's name?
something Frick.
Yeah, it's like a really cute, quiet name actually.
Yeah.
I did kind of like that character. We need that guy.
Babu Frick.
Yeah, that
Bubba
was it,
Frick.
that
Babu
was it.
Frick.
We need to take it to him. No problem. They go over and they're like hiding down in like a basement somewhere. The little Bubba Frick guy is like working on the back of C-3PO's head, trying to
This
mess
is the
around with
first
wires.
scene in 9 movies where I've actually liked C-3PO.
Yes.
C-3PO had to be there, but I've
Well,
actually.
I also
liked
think
him.
like C-3PO is always the character. Like, yes, he is very Star Wars. He's been there since the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yep.
But he's never been the character like, oh my god, I love C-3PO.
Yeah.
But I liked him in this
He's
movie
not
a lot.
personable. He's less personable than R2.
He makes an slightly out of character decision just here, because before it's just always like, I know the odds and I do what I'm told and I make a lot of like fuss in the background and very comical and nothing else. But in this he sort of goes, okay, we know what we have to do. I'm gonna get my memory wiped from this. If I don't do that, then everything we've been fighting for. He doesn't ever say these words because it's not in his character.
Yeah.
They say it. Everything will be for nothing. And then he turns around and he almost has a moment where he thinks, which he doesn't do in any other movie. And then he turns around and he says the famous lines that we see from the trailer. I'm just taking one more look at my friends.
Yeah. One last look.
One
at my
last
friends,
look at
yeah.
my friends. And then he sits down and he does it. And I'm like, wow. I never had any feelings towards
Oh wait,
you,
I
and
got
suddenly-
just thought of something else.
I love that.
I thought of a much simpler way and a safer.
Oh, I really want to know what he was gonna say.
I did love that.
He was gonna say, "I've just thought of something else. Go fuck yourselves. I'm gonna live in peace somewhere else. See you later."
I actually don't mind the First Order. Fuck all you.
Anyway, he gets knocked out, and then they bring him back, and his eyes all red, like he's just smoked a pound of weed or something like that. And he's like, and he speaks in a whole completely different voice and whatnot, and he reads what was on the wayfinder.
Yeah, that's how they know where to go, what the dagger
Where
is
to
for.
find the
Yeah,
wayfinder. That's it. So he goes, no, this is where it is. That's where you can find it. And then he goes back down, and they reset him, and he's just blank C-3PO, back from Phantom Menace, essentially.
I did love as well that someone says, oh, hey, it's Bubba Frick. And he's like, Bubba Frick? He's one of my oldest friends.
He's one of my oldest friends
Yeah.
from 15 minutes ago.
I did love that. But this is also, it leads on to Kylo turns up for some reason. I can't quite remember why. And
I think
Chasing down Ray.
chasing down, yeah, I guess, but how does he
he
know?
sense it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because remember the Knights of Ren, remember they were flying away in the asteroid field, and then the Knights of Ren ship was just following them?
Yes, the Knights of Ren
That is
followed
true.
them.
We
And
knew it was them because of the red thrusters.
the
at
red
end.
thrusters, and you know they're bad guys
100%.
for sure because they're giving off space smoke.
Exactly.
And dirty
yeah.
engines mean bad guys.
Bad guys, right there. That's how they do it. They don't mind polluting
Right.
the universe.
And she
Yeah.
comes out, she goes, oh, that's Kylo's destroyer, and Chewie's there.
yes.
And they realise
Okay, that's
that
a question with regards to Chewie. Do you think he should have stayed dead, or do you like that he actually got away and is alive?
Yes,
I know,
correct,
I
100%. You don't need to
I
kill
can't-
Chewie, that's ridiculous.
No, I can't kill Chewie.
Yeah, you can't kill Chewie. That's
Chewie.
like killing the
Okay,
Space
I
Dog. Do you want
agree. I was
Space
just
John
wondering,
Wick to
'cause I've
come
seen
in
a
and
lot of
destroy this whole
people
fucking
say-
thing?
Exactly. Is that what you want, James? Is that what you want, Chewie to die and then Space John Wick to kill us all? You disgusting
Yeah,
human.
look,
I can't-
I've seen a lot of people saying like, oh, it was a bitch move to bring him back. You should have just left him dead.
Well, first of all, they didn't bring
but
it back.
I disagree.
Also,
Yeah.
do you know what, James? I hate people as well. So I'm,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've never been so happy to see like a fake out, like a someone's gonna die and then they're not dead because it's Chewie. I was so happy when he was
Yeah.
still alive.
Yeah.
I agree. And the other thing is,
It was a great realization as well.
It
When
was
she
great.
looks up and she's like, Chewie! It's like she can sense him. I was like, that's so cool. That's
Yeah.
great right there.
And well, also, it's not just that Chewie died that was significant. That only this dagger tells. If Chewie's dead, the dagger's destroyed. You can't go any further. You can't
Yeah.
find the definitely not a holocron, and you can't get to
Yeah,
Exegol.
exactly, yeah.
So, so I'm glad that he was there, and it was also a good reason to go up there in the first place, because without that, you don't get Rey and Kylo having their interaction. You don't get forget about Hux and the spy thing, but we have this awesome rescue mission.
Yeah.
which is perfect Star Wars, and that's how it's one of the first things we did in.
It's almost like it's great storytelling, unlike what happens in 8. It's so strange.
Weird,
it's really
right?
great how they did that. Yeah. JJ almost understands. Anyway, so they then go, all right, we have to go save Chewie, and they have to go get the dagger. They do go up there, and there is some funny stuff that happens, like they split up. That's when the Hux thing happens, and what always like, I'm the spy, and it's like, no one cares, no one cares. And they have those scenes as well, where between Kylo and Rey, where they destroy the Darth Vader's helmet stand and stuff like that, which was odd between us. We all agree that was something at least. And they escape eventually. And then after this, where do they go after that?
It's to the moon on Endor. They
Oh,
go,
yes,
they
yeah,
go
they
to
go-
the moon on Endor to
obviously they
find the
have to go to
wreck
Endor.
of the Death Star.
Exactly.
We get the weird.
But before we go there, we find out Rey is Palpatine.
Is it before this?
No, he
Yes,
says,
it's on the
"Well,
ship.
I'll
The
come
ship.
and tell you."
Ship.
No, he says, your parents were nobody because they chose to. Do you know why Palpatine wanted you dead? No, I'll come and tell you because he's figured out where she is.
And then that's when he went. And then he went up
to Endor. He confronts her on in the hangar.
the
Oh
hangar,
yeah.
yeah.
No, you're right. You're completely right.
that is
You're
right.
completely right. Yeah.
He says, I'll come and tell her,
Yeah,
and then they meet
I know
in the
I am.
hangar.
That's why I
And
brought it
then-
up. But
and then he shows up.
There is an interesting moment with that as well. She's at the edge of the hangar. The Millennium Falcon comes up, and they blast their jets, pushing everybody back except for Rey, who's right in front somehow.
And
I think
Kylo's
she's
clearly
under it.
concentrating to be.
He's force grabbed himself to the ground, and Rey's just
I love
like,
that too,
I
by the
don't
way.
get affected by thrusters, unfortunately.
Well, I think it was above her, in front of her, she was out of the range of
Although
it.
the only thing is, how do space handbrakes work?
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't the Millennium Falcon have just moved?
Spinning your wheels.
Yeah, look, it doesn't make any sense. Just don't worry
Look,
about it.
we
It's
ha-
fine.
we didn't notice it as much because we had the terrible space physics in The Last Jedi, where bombs fall in space even though there's no gravity, and controls fall as well in space. But we'll just gloss over this part.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we'll gloss over this part.
Fair enough.
Anyway, they go off to the moon of Endor, where they go to find the wreckage of the Death Star, and that's where they meet all these extra stormtroopers and stuff.
Yeah, and there's
like
only one that's of any importance at
that. Yeah,
all.
the other ones are just in the background. You never see them.
And this is also why I worry about the dickheads that make all the decisions in Hollywood, because they tried to tick every single box. They're like, okay, she's got a gap in her teeth. She's black. She's a woman.
Yeah.
She was a stormtrooper.
She
They're
wasn't
like,
disabled, though, which
No,
really upset
exactly.
me when I watched it.
So,
Instead of the disabled.
Oh, she
thing,
wasn't born with a penis. Actually, is what upset me.
You don't know that. She
Yeah.
might have been.
The thing
Oh,
is,
true.
J.J. Abrams is going to say
identi-
that in a press conference.
she was
He's gonna let
told she was a
everyone know.
stormtrooper at birth, but she identifies as a space tree.
Skywalker.
I saw.
Yeah.
As a Skywalker.
I saw something really troubling on the internet, and I really do hate for humanity and how shit some people are. They were like, so they made Finn and this other woman essentially escapees from slavery because that's what stormtroopers are. I was like,
God.
fuck off. You know what?
Do you know-
I'm flip my table at that point.
The thing
could not be bothered.
I was really most worried about it because they had that weird scene where their legs are dangling into that little engineering pit, and she's like, "You too," and it was she was not good. Finn actually was really dragged down by her performance in that particular scene, and I was like, "Fuck." If they make this Finn's romance, what a waste.
Yeah.
I
I'm
would
so
rather.
glad
Thank God
they
they
didn't do
didn't.
that.
Thank God they didn't.
I'm so glad they did.
I think Finn and Rey will be like, if they make a 10, it'd be that's what ended up happening.
But then Finn would be cucked. He'd be raising little Kylo.
He already
Skywalker.
is.
Finn
He
was
already
very
is cucked.
cucked for
I
3
know,
He's
years.
It wouldn't be
already
too bad.
cucked.
It wouldn't be too bad if there was older Rey, older Finn, and the older white kid.
Yeah, 'cause it's like-
and then
it's
the
like,
younger,
yeah,
mixed race kid. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah,
Not too
it's
bad.
fine.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's like she has 2 loves in her life.
as we all
It's
do.
fine. That's okay. Some people do. Some people do.
Anyway, so they get to the wreckage and they see everything, and they manage to figure out using the dagger that this is where exactly where the
Yeah.
Wayfinder is. We need
It's
to
very
get there.
Indiana Jones. Maybe
Yes.
another throwback to
Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
exactly. Very Indiana Jones there. And they go, we can't get across the water, but have you seen it? It's
Oh,
terrible.
fuck it, they go anyway, right?
Well,
Rey
they're-
goes anyway.
They're like, well, let's repair the ship and we can go that way. Rey's just like, fuck you lot, I'm taking
I'm
a
stealing
skimmer
a car.
and I'm gonna go straight for it. She goes for it and eventually gets in there. I'm like, mad props to her. That must have been some tough water right there. Gets inside, and Finn as well. He's like, well, I've got to go after her because I love her. but doesn't say those words exactly.
agree.
And I'm like,
I've got to
No,
go
it's just
after
his-
because I've got to tell her that I'm force sensitive.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
that's
he
the most
says.
important thing right now.
The
I have to
most
say that.
compelling reason ever.
Exactly, yeah. Goes in. She does a bunch of climbing and a bunch of dropping, and I'm like, she has Nathan Drake fingers of steel in this.
Yes,
She's
she
jumping
does.
from
Oh,
one
yeah.
thing to another, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Gets up there and finds the Wayfinder.
In
When-
Palpatine's, in the previous
holocron.
throne room,
Yes.
in like, I guess
A
his
side
private,
room?
like his private quarters or something with
Yeah.
all his awesome Sith stuff.
Now, this
Definitely
is-
not holocron.
Oh,
was a-
can we just talk about the music in that scene when she enters the
Just
throne
gonna
room?
say
Yeah.
yes. Amazing
My
scenes.
God.
Music was fantastic.
Everything
Awesome.
about the
As
scene,
always.
it almost felt to me like he had a dark side cave in
It seemed that way, right?
his room. It was
Yeah.
so cool and like ominous. It felt
Yeah.
it felt very much like Luke walking into the cave on Yavin. Is it Yavin?
Dagobah.
Yeah,
Dagobah,
Dagobah.
that's
Yeah,
it,
yeah. It felt like her finding the cave under the
Where Luke
temple
was.
with Luke. Yeah,
yeah.
it felt really creepy.
Very, very cool, that scene. And I did love,
Mm-hmm.
because it was obviously a wreckage, it was slanted sideways and whatnot. Something about that just added to the
It was
darkness and the mystify. It was so cool. And like you said, James, the music was so perfect in that.
Oh,
It was
it's
great.
She goes in, she grabs that Wayfinder, and that's where
Boys,
her
how
visions start to
how
hit
do you two feel about this scene with her fighting herself basically?
for that moment.
Yeah, it lasts about.
Fine, like not a lot.
7
of anything,
seconds.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
don't
was-
think a lot.
I'm
of
just
anything.
like, yeah, right. It didn't do much.
Yeah,
for
it's
me.
kind of it didn't do much for me.
What was
but I
interesting-
didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just
That's my
I didn't
problem.
get
It
mad
just is,
about
and I
it.
don't care.
That's my problem. That's why I think I'm kind of angry about this scene because it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's not a real fight. There's her weird like Bilbo Baggins.
Well, it's just more of a
I'm-
fear,
yeah.
right? Like it's just again more of a fear, and that's what she was dealing with, and she's just afraid of herself and who she is, and that was her fear, like coming fruition. This is the peak of what's making her angry. This is the turning point for both Rey and Kylo Ren. This moment where Kylo's out there, and she is so angry. She's like, "Give it to me." Give it to me. It's the first time you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, she is fucking unhinged right now.
I suppose that's
and in
what
this
pushes
battle,
her
she
as well.
and in this battle, she's unhinged. Like, let's think about this laser fight they have. It's a great fight and everything.
Laser
It's a cool
Because
lightsaber
we said
battle.
laser sword so much.
Laser
Because we
fight.
keep
It's a
saying laser battles.
fight.
Yeah, it's a laser sword fight. But their lightsaber battle, it's cool. But the thing is, we all talk about the Mary Sue. Is Rey lost this battle? Kylo
Yeah.
beat her ass.
Yeah.
Kylo beat her ass. The only reason, and it made her look like more of a fucking like loser of it. It's that he literally let her pretty much.
His
Kill
mum died. And
His
she doesn't
mum
care.
died.
She's super attached to Leia. She doesn't even care. She shanks the fool and then is like, oh shit, my notification took a little bit longer to come through.
A little bit of a delay, a little some lag there.
One of the things I disliked about this though, Kylo turns up and he's here in person, and we've had so many times this movie where they've turned up together.
But he had
started
to be
fighting.
there in person for this
Yeah,
one.
and I
That's the
like that he
difference.
is there in person, but I wasn't sure to begin with. I felt like he must
Oh,
have
right.
to be, but
Right, I see what you're saying.
Like-
I actually, you know what? The first one I watched, I was the same. I was like, wait, is he there? Is he not there? I
Yeah.
can't tell yet.
but
I
otherwise-
assumed
I thought
there's
he
something
was there.
different about it that I felt like he was there. Like when he picked it up and she goes, "Give it to me." I was like,
Yeah.
okay, he's surely there.
yeah,
Yeah, because
I agree.
every time they connect with the Force, it makes that sound like I don't even know what you call
It's
it.
like a
like-
deep
it's like
breath.
all the-
sound.
Yeah.
Everything
Well,
else
yeah.
becomes silent.
Plus the
It's like-
sound, yeah, everything else becomes silent. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and even when it doesn't become silent, like at the end when, or not at the end, there's another scene where it doesn't go silent, but it still makes the noise really subtly in the background, but it didn't do it on the Death Star.
Yeah, my only thing was like, how did Kylo know to come here? That was the bit that, like, how did he track
That's
him
true,
here?
actually. Yeah, how did you?
And why did he
Well,
come
did he?
alone? Because he can't
Yeah.
presumably can't read Sith, and so I was like, well, is he here or isn't he? And then there's that great exchange where he crushes the thing and she's like, give it to me. I think Kylo
Do
is,
it. Oh, she
yeah,
hasn't said that,
Kylo's
but-
great, but Rey is brilliant as well. I really liked her in this.
Maybe it's possible because he has that relationship with Palpatine. Maybe he asked Palpatine, "Where is the next Wayfinder?" And it's in my chambers in the old thing over there. Possibly.
Yeah, I suppose like off screen he could have spoken
Told
to
him and
Palpatine and
whatnot.
said they've got the dagger. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, it's some
Possibly.
place. Yeah.
But I actually did like this scene as well. The fight, and especially Adam Driver, especially Kylo Ren,
So
the
good.
way he like coming through the water, like we saw in the trailer as well.
Yeah.
So cool. So
He's such a
cool.
badass.
I was like, that
It's
this
a
guy's
great
fucking
lightsaber
awesome.
fight. Yeah, What do you guys think about the choice to have no music? I've seen a lot of people are like,
I liked
there
it.
should have been.
I like the fight.
Yeah.
I like everything.
There
Without
should have been a
well.
track in the background. If you had to pick some music to go in the background, what would you pick? If it was something from a previous Star Wars film.
The Obi-Wan Anakin.
Battle of Heroes? Yeah, I was going to
I was
say
just
that.
gonna
Yeah.
say that
Because-
as well.
Yeah.
Definitely
Because
Battle-
that's what
I thought that's what was going to play, and then it didn't, and it was silent, and I was like, okay, fair enough.
I
It's
like-
still
Yeah.
really cool.
I liked the
Especially
silence.
because it was Kylo Ren's or Ben Solo's Obi-Wan Anakin battle.
It was his moment to
Yeah.
where Anakin had his last chance, and
And
so
it was-
Ben did as well.
And it was a death as well, even though he
Yeah.
came back and whatnot, and he was healed.
It
and
wasn't
stuff like
Anakin it was Anakin died at the end of the Mustafar battle, whereas
Exactly.
Kylo Ren died.
Kylo
at the
Ren
end.
died,
Exactly.
yeah, which-
That would have been actually quite good. I wonder if
And once
download
again,
this movie and
perfect
do that, put it
mirroring
on
between
YouTube.
perfect mirroring between Ben Solo and Anakin.
Yeah.
Perfect mirroring. I just think they did Kylo Ren so fucking perfectly in this.
They
I
did.
really do.
They did.
So much mirroring, and then Rey runs off because Leia's died, and she sees what she's becoming, and she sees what she's done, and how she let anger drive her, and do what she did. And then she's also, you lose a part of yourself when she healed Ren, but then she flies off, and then you have Ben Solo standing there like looking on his own, and then you hear "Hey kid," and you're like, "Holy fuck!"
I got
Oh.
fucking chills.
Yeah,
Did anybody else
goosebumps.
think at this point, before Han Solo spoke, that Anakin would show up?
I did.
Or is that just me?
I actually
No,
did
I was
think.
just
Because when I
thought it
saw-
was,
when I
thought it was
saw
Luke.
Ben,
When he said "Hey
after
kid,"
this-
I thought it was Luke for a second.
Oh, I knew it was Han straight away.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I
it,
knew
it was
Han straight
before
away.
when Kylo was staring off into the distance and the camera was zooming in, I was like, someone's going to show up.
Yeah.
And part of me was like,
I thought it would be Anakin.
it might be Anakin.
I thought it would be Anakin.
But then it was Han, and I was like, of course it's Han. That actually makes more sense
Yeah.
because he's like
It's-
haunted by killing his father. It would make no sense to be Anakin other than to be a cool moment for us.
Yeah.
It makes more sense. for
Yeah,
the
see,
character to be
I
Han.
think as well, if it was Anakin, it would be like, I feel like Kylo Ren's being opposite to Anakin wouldn't be justified if he'd been handed the answer to do it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Ben did what Anakin couldn't do because he was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not because Anakin gave him the fucking, here's the blueprint of how not to do what I did at the end of it all.
Yeah, I agree.
That would annoy me. That would be a cop-out of Kylo Ren. To me, it's his journey. And yes, it was the perfect mirror, and I love that it was the perfect mirror, but it was his perfect mirror, not...
Yeah.
And it's really all about Anakin. No, it's
Yeah.
not. This is Ben Solo's story.
Yeah, completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
agree.
that. I agree.
was
I
a very
got
powerful
I got chills.
I did too.
Seeing
Yeah.
Harrison Ford again.
Oh
Yeah.
my
In
god,
another
I
Star
can't believe
Wars.
how much do
And
you
he
think they paid him.
he recreates the
So,
the
$15
scene.
million.
That moment that
He
he
recreates
died.
the exact
Yeah.
same moment, but now he saves his son.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's so
good.
amazing.
It's almost
It's
like he,
so good.
even though it's a memory, right? That's what he says. It's a memory of him. Do
Yeah,
you think
it's
it
not-
was
it's not a
actually his?
Force
I
ghost.
It's not his
No,
ghost.
it's not, but I don't give a fuck. I don't care if it's a memory or whatever, right?
It
This
would have
is-
been if it was him, his ghost and whatnot. Then it would have been like he gets a second chance and this time he succeeds, even though it was a memory of
Do you
him.
know
It
what's-
was cool though. It was very cool.
What's funny is I feel like that scene would have been cheap if he turned up and looked like a Force ghost. I feel like because
Also,
we
because he's
see-
not a Jedi.
you're right, but
Yeah.
I think because we see Harrison Ford there, that it's Kylo Ren died, and you see how that scene goes now. It's a literal reliving of that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, now Kylo's gone and it's just Ben.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved it.
it was great.
It was so good.
so good.
It's a fantastic moment, and also I like the little reference, the little callback to Empire as well. When Ben says "Dad," and he's gonna say "I love you," and Harrison Ford, Han Solo, cuts him off and says "I know,"
Yeah,
and it's like a little throwback to Leia and
Yeah.
Han in Empire, and that was
yeah.
just a nice little thing, which I thought was really nice.
I loved everything
Yeah.
about that scene in particular.
so good.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we haven't addressed this one thing this whole time, by the way.
Go on.
Mm-hmm.
How good was fucking Leia, and she wasn't even alive when they filmed it?
Woo. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was
I mean,
handled very well.
I wanna
I
know-
liked her a lot.
She
I
was
wanna
a
know what
main
she actually
character
did.
of this movie.
Yeah.
There was some like
She
you
did
can
zero.
Tell. I think,
She did
I think,
zero in this movie.
I
She
think
wasn't.
you can tell
Oh,
what they
shit.
did though.
So hold
She
on.
died
think.
in 2016.
So they
They
had
hadn't.
nothing
They'd only
recorded.
just. They just finished filming. The Last Jedi. They just finished filming The Last Jedi.
Oh,
So,
shit, I didn't
two
know
things.
that.
Obviously, we should all be justifiably afraid of Skynet.
Yes, because that's
Right.
true proof right there that computers are
And
gonna
now
take
you
us
can
over.
genuinely never believe anything you see online.
Exactly.
No, but and
Two.
the thing is, like, all of it was Carrie Fisher scenes that I've literally
Yeah.
seen those lines and scenes. You can watch the deleted scenes of
Yeah.
The Force
the
Awakens.
Force Awakens, and she's saying things like, "You never underestimate a droid." Like, all those lines are in there. But I love the way they put her in. They wrote the scenes around her, and they made her still a main character of
Yep.
the movie.
Yeah, it was amazing.
A really
And-
important character. Like, it felt like if you're talking about the old three characters, Han, Luke, and Leia. Force Awakens was Han movie, Last Jedi was Luke's movie, and this was Leia's.
Yep. Completely.
And she
agree.
wasn't even alive for a single scene.
It was.
Yeah.
It
They
was
did
very
they did her
impressive.
great justice.
And even though they had to recycle stuff for her, it never feels canned.
Never,
It
honestly.
feels really organic.
That's why I was shocked to hear you say that she had zero participation in this, because I was like,
Zero. Literally zero.
I know that technology is great, and I know there's a lot of adaptation they could have done, but something should have felt out of place if she wasn't there, and everything.
She was
felt
dead
so
before the
organic.
script of this movie was written.
That's
She was dead before the
amazing
script
to
of this
me.
movie was
That's
written.
amazing.
And really, what
Yeah.
they did is a lot of, because a lot of her scenes are CG painted from the previous movie.
Yeah.
They just changed the lighting on it, and then the background and foreground and stuff.
So
but
smart.
it's incredible. It's really
So
well done.
smart.
It is.
And even her hair, they changed her hair, her jewelry,
It's
her,
amazing.
like costume.
Yeah.
They did a great job, and then she was such an important figure, and they made her feel more important in this movie than any of the other two movies of this trilogy. And what she did for Ben, that she was what brought him back, was so perfect, and
Yep.
Han as well. Like, her and Han are what brought him back, and I don't know. It was so perfect. It was so perfect.
Agreed.
And
Also,
then
Chewie's
Leia
reaction.
Leia dying, Chewie's reaction, huh? Like,
Oh my god.
So this is I think that's the next scene, isn't it? So like she takes off in Kylo's ship, who's got the Wayfinder in it, so she's got a way to get to Exegol, and they all
No, she
manage-
goes straight to the island. She doesn't even know
she
about
goes to
the
Acto, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she
also,
doesn't
no,
even
she,
know the
well, she gets in the
Wayfinder's
ship
in
to
there.
go to Exegol. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
she gets in the ship to
She
go
goes
and
to
burn
go to
it.
the island.
She goes
to
to the island.
destroy
she
it.
burns
She
Kylo's
goes
ship,
to-
remember?
to
That's
the
Yeah,
right.
island.
That is
did,
my
yeah.
point. Sorry, that's right. But when that happens, they manage to fix their ship and they manage to go back to the Resistance base, and that's where they find out that Leia is dead.
Yeah.
And that
Yes.
moment.
Also, can I just say, when you say she's gone, my first question straight away was, where?
Where did she go?
Like, say the word, bitch.
Yeah. She's gone. They turn around, and my heart broke. I swear to God, I shed a tear. I was like, I was not ready for this. Seeing Chewie just like, and break down on his
Yeah.
knees, and it wasn't a focus
Yeah.
shot on him.
Fucked.
It was a shot of all of them, and he's just in the side part of the shot, just on his knees. I'm like, oh my God,
One of the things that makes
this
that...
pure
So fucking
thing.
sad.
I don't know if you
So
guys
sad.
agree, and maybe I'm just drawing parallels, but early on when they're playing the game,
Yeah.
it's Chewie, Finn and Poe.
Yeah.
And they say, he's 250 years old. Of course he's going to beat us, right?
Yeah.
The
Of course, you're not cheating. You're 250 years old. You can
Right.
beat us.
Well, so when they all hear the news that Leia's dead,
Yeah.
to Poe and to Finn, that is our leader, like the person that's kept us winning or succeeding or alive is dead.
Yeah.
To Chewie, he's known her for what, 40 years?
There was even a period where he was her sole protector
Yeah.
while Han was in Carbonite.
Yeah.
He was like, I am the one that's going to take care of you.
He's known her for however, let's say she's 20, let's say she's 30 even in the first movie.
Yeah.
So 50 years.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And if you
Yeah,
look at
it's
the...
a long
And has known her kid and her husband and has seen her
Exactly.
go through all this stuff and they're like best friends. They're sad. They don't know what to do. They're lost. He's broken.
He's
And something
absolutely
about
broken.
seeing Chewie, who's like one of the greatest warriors of let alone his species, the galaxy.
Yeah.
Right? When Chewie turns up to a fight with that bowcaster, people are going to get wrecked.
people getting down.
And this guy, like this walking bear, just breaks down. I fucking loved it. It was so powerful.
so
Yeah,
powerful.
and it's like it's the last of his friends as well. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Luke's gone, Han's gone. Lando's about, but he's not there at the time, or at least Chewie doesn't know that.
If you
And
could...
it's like everyone's gone that he was friends with from the old days. So
Yeah.
it's just even worse for him.
Even Chewie's reaction when he saw Lando for the first Lando.
Yeah,
Lando.
you need to
Lando
refer him by his
Lando.
correct name, please. Lando. That's the way it's said. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? It's such a small
is
shift,
weird.
but once you say it once, you can't say it right ever again.
Oh, fuck, I'm fucked. So Rey goes to the island after that,
Yeah.
and
Burns the ship.
the Luke moment happens.
Oh,
where Luke,
my
when
God.
you knew that was coming to, you're like, this is where Luke shows up,
Yeah.
obviously.
burns the ship, and also tries to. Throw
And
the
how's that
lightsaber.
just giving the middle finger to Ryan Johnson?
Oh, I loved it
as
so
well.
much.
Innit?
Where he's
Fuck
like,
you, Ryan
he's
Johnson.
like, a Jedi's weapon
Weapon
deserves more respect.
Oh,
And I'm like, that
So
is
good.
so disrespectful to
'cause-
The Last Jedi, and I love it.
I said that in the movie club that we did, that the beginning of Last Jedi, of him throwing the lightsaber over, was literally Ryan Johnson throwing the entire movie of The Force Awakens and everything JJ's done over his shoulder because he doesn't give a fuck. And this is literally him coming back saying, "Fuck you, bitch! I'm bringing it back."
I agree.
It was so great.
I gotta
was
say, like,
fantastic.
personally, as watching that scene where Luke throws the lightsaber, for Luke and where he was in that movie, I didn't mind it. As a directing choice and a writing choice, it really annoyed me.
Yeah,
But
really.
I think it made sense for Luke.
Yeah.
But you know, because he blocked himself off and all that stuff. But I agree, like from a writing and directing point, like fuck you, Ryan
Yeah.
Johnson, fuck you.
Really bad.
Anyway,
Yeah.
he saves the lightsaber, the lightsaber.
The lightsaber, and he talks to him, and he's like, she goes, "I'm doing what you did. I've seen the visions of me becoming like on the throne and whatnot. I'm not gonna do that. I'm doing what you do. I'm gonna cut myself off from the Force so it never happens." And they have a little back and forth there, talking like, "No, this is not the way to do it." And eventually, she decides she's gonna grab the Wayfinder from the burning wreckage, which doesn't burn her and doesn't burn the Wayfinder somehow. Don't know
Well,
how that happens.
I don't know. I mean, maybe Wayfinders are as strong as holocrons, and they're very difficult to destroy.
Yeah, they could be.
Maybe.
Yeah, they could be. But they're not the
So
same
the
thing.
Kylo
they're
Ren just
definitely not.
crushed it as well, by the way.
Definitely not.
So
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, and she gets in the X-wing, as he said before.
Oh, well, before that, we have a little moment where Luke says, "Oh, there's something that my sister would want you to have," and that's when they go up
Yes.
into
Oh,
his hut,
Yes.
pulls out the lightsaber, it's Leia's lightsaber, and then you get the little flashback.
How do you feel
of-
about that? How do you feel
I
about
loved it.
I
This whole
loved it.
time we didn't
Absolutely
seeing
know
loved it.
anything
young
about-
Luke,
Oh my god, when he
Oh,
lifts
great.
up his visor and it's young Mark Hamill,
Yeah.
it was just
and it looks so much like him too. I'm like, what
like that
technology's
was
fucked?
it. So
I didn't
good.
like the way Leia looked, though. The saying
No,
about
I-
she looked
She
strange.
She looked a bit weird
Yeah.
compared to.
But
Mark
Luke
Hamill,
looked
but-
perfect.
So
Yeah,
I
Luke
want
Did you
to.
like the idea that Leia was trained in the Force? Did you? Because there was
Yes,
no
of course.
mention
Yes,
of it at all
yes.
before, but then suddenly it just popped out. of nowhere.
It definitely.
I'm okay with that.
I think it probably wouldn't have been in there if it weren't for the fact that Ryan Johnson just pissed all over the franchise and made it do the Force spacewalky thing.
Right.
And so once
The
that's done,
Force Mary Poppins.
yeah,
Yeah.
Force Mary Poppins.
exactly.
That's it.
So he Mary
Yeah.
Poppins.
She went
her.
through a hologram.
Oh,
then-
Mary Poppins! Like, I'm Mary
Poppins,
Guardians of the
yo!
Galaxy Volume 2.
Like,
Like-
I think because of that we got that scene. Otherwise we wouldn't have. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
But I
And
wanted
it,
to throw back
it
to
also
something-
helped Ryan Johnson's moment in The Last Jedi too.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
she was
yeah.
trained.
There were so many fuck
yeah.
yous that we gave you.
I mean,
one
you can
thing, right?
assume
Yeah.
she was trained, though. I don't think we had to necessarily.
I mean,
be
I don't
shown
think
it.
it
think it was a
I
nice
didn't assume she
scene.
was trained. I didn't assume she
I
was
don't
trained. I
think
Of course
assumed
she was
she
trained.
lived-
Luke even says
I
in
don't
Return
think
of the
it's
Jedi when he's like,
ridiculous.
"You'll learn to use that power too."
Yeah. He
Yeah,
does
but
say
we
that.
don't.
in
But
the
but
Ewok
no,
town.
no. That is not enough because you don't know that
course
she
it's
decided.
enough.
No, it's not, man. Because at no point in The Force Awakens do you
Fight.
ever fucking know that she was trained. At no point is it ever mentioned. All you know is that she has continued to live that life. She goes back to the only life she ever knew, which is what she did. You know, all you know is that all she's ever done is be a leader of the resistance, of the rebellion, and that she chose not to be a Force user. She chose not to do that thing. That's what it turned out to be. Just because Luke said
Sure.
you'll learn how to use that power, but fucking what if she doesn't want to?
There's a couple
As
of
far as I was
Yeah, but
concerned, she
then
chose not
uses
to.
the Force, and it's like, well, then obviously she was trained.
No, I didn't think that.
She
I
just
thought
didn't
Ryan
say
Johnson was a
it.
cunt. I just thought Ryan Johnson was a cunt. That's what I was thinking the entire time.
Nah, that's still just
In my-
use your brain. Like, oh, she used the
Use your
Force.
brain.
No, there's no way she was trained. It can't. Ryan Johnson's just
That's
wrong. There's no way in that 30 years
then tell me
she's
she
ever
was
trained in
trained.
the Force.
All you've
by her
got to say
brother,
was she was
Luke
trained. All you've got to say is she
Skywalker.
was trained.
It's not
All you've got to say
possible.
is she was trained one time and you didn't say it. It's not that hard to
But
say
you don't
it.
have to say it. You have to
Yes,
say
you do.
everything.
Yes, you do.
You
Yes,
don't.
you do.
You don't.
Especially when it's almost explicitly gone around where they weren't trained. It's explicitly gone around
Look.
like pretty much where it's like, oh, there's literally no mention. We keep talking about training, and at no point have you ever mentioned being involved in it. But your son was, and fucking, you know, when? Fuck off.
Look,
And
I don't
but
think they
now
have to explicitly say it, but I do think the scene in The Last Jedi looks silly. I think it's a silly scene,
Yeah.
like what she did. But I don't think that necessarily meant we had to have this scene in.
But I
this
think
movie.
Leia
think
getting
it was just
trained
like
as a
nice
Jedi is pretty
moment for
fucking
Carrie
important.
Fisher.
So I feel like
Well,
the fact that
yeah,
it wasn't
I think so
mentioned
too.
annoyed me.
I guess so.
See, so this is the thing.
You know what? Fuck you, man.
I was. I agree. Fuck you. I was always cool with Leia being force sensitive and being like using her abilities.
Of course, she's
not
a Skywalker,
passively, but just kind of a rare occurrence and whatnot. It was a very cool factor, very cool thing. The way that she could sense Luke when he was in trouble, it was sort of like their bond is strong and whatnot. And because she didn't have a laser sword and wasn't fighting in the battles with everyone else, it kind of didn't. She didn't need the training and whatnot. She wasn't doing that much.
Sure.
I think she could have been wise with the Force, as in like she's felt stuff over the years and she's kind of gained a bit of knowledge through just being around the Force and being so strong with it. She didn't necessarily need to be trained as a Jedi in order to help Rey with her powers and to become what she is. Because to be fair, up until now, she's managed to gain all her powers without Leia anyway. I don't know. It was odd. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think I hated it or anything like that.
I definitely agree that it was sprung on us.
Yes.
I don't think it's ridiculous to think that a Skywalker might say, "Hey, let's let me
Let's
do
teach
like
you."
the Skywalker 101 at least, right, Luke?"
Yeah.
Or like she's been around Luke. Her kid was trained by Luke. You know when parents take their kids to lessons, if it was say like a language, you might pick up a bit even though you're not in the lesson, right?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but it was sprung on us for sure.
Yeah.
But I do want to make a throwback to something Tyler said at the beginning, where he said that this trilogy has been movies, Star Wars movies made for him, made for us.
Yeah.
Which the the original trilogy weren't, and the
Original
prequels are a
trilogy
bit.
was for me. That was the one that I grew up with.
I feel that
I'm
way
old.
as well. But I do feel that way, but I also agree as well. It sounds weird. I find
I
it,
agree with
yeah. But one of the things I liked in particular, and it brings me back to what Tyler said, was Leia's lightsaber looks like it's been made in modern times, whereas the original lightsabers are all very big, they're very thick, they're very clunky, and Leia's is much more delicate, much more intricate, and it feels like a modernized version. If Star Wars the original, if Episode 4 was to be made today, things would look sleeker, and I felt like her lightsaber was a modern representation of what the lightsaber should have looked like.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand new one, we've never seen it before. And I don't know, that echoed with what Tyler said at the beginning, for me.
There is one other thing as well I want to say, that where would she have really found the time to do the training? Because, I mean, there's a huge gap between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, right? Massive gap.
Let's say even...
she's
it's got to be 10 or 15 years.
Got to be a lot. I mean, she becomes
say-
old. She becomes old in that
But let's
time.
say like Kylo, let's say she gets pregnant as soon as they beat the Empire.
Yeah.
Kylo doesn't leave Luke until he's in his late teens.
20s,
Yeah,
something
easily.
like- yeah.
So
there's a lot of time. Time is okay, but presumably in that time she's becoming. She's a general of the Resistance. There's not
they did the...
much time to go. I'm gonna take a year vacation to become a Jedi.
They
I'll
did
see
the
you
New
later.
Republic as well. Do you remember in the Force Awakens, Hux
And they
destroys
cut it
the
out.
Republic.
That's true. That's true.
They
So,
cut out a
maybe
lot
that
of
does
that stuff.
Maybe that does work. All right, yeah, that was just it was just an odd thing. It wasn't, again, I don't hate it. I don't think it was out of place or anything like that. It was just, as you said, sprung on us.
Yeah.
And that was the thing I had there. Oh, so it knocked over a can. My bad.
So if moving on from this scene, this is where we get to the Exegol stuff. So
Yes.
Oh, wait, before that though, there's an important moment with Luke lifting the X-wing.
yes,
That was
There's
very cool.
Another
Callback-
fuck you to
callback
Ryan
to-
Johnson as well.
Very
because
cool.
Yeah.
I did
Didn't
like
happen.
that. It was very much like he was on Dagobah.
You got the
trying
Yoda
to...
theme as well.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
the Yoda theme. It was so cool lifting that out.
It was very cool.
Very, very cool. She gets in it and goes to Exegol, and she's also projecting her track along the way so they can all get to Exegol.
I have
as
a
well.
problem with this,
Go on.
which is the Resistance. Poe says the line that the hot chick overseas says they win if they make you feel that you're alone.
Yes.
Lando and Chewie take the Falcon to go and raise everybody else that can come and fight.
Yeah.
Their small fleet needed the exact coordinates from Rey.
Yes.
How did everybody else get it?
Mate, that's a good one. That is a good one.
I assume Lando.
Lando, correct.
Lando, that's right.
Thank you very much.
I assume Lando had the exact same coordinates.
They sort of came
just
out.
gave
The
them.
Falcon. It's the Falcon.
It's a good
Yeah.
point. Actually, do you know what? Fair
Just
enough.
has
The
the
Falcon
coordinates.
can do anything, so fair.
Falcon. He could
And
do
of course the
Kessel Run in less
Falcon's
than
the one.
12
Of course,
parsecs.
Exactly, and of course the Falcon and Lando.
And we've infected the entire fucking
Alright.
network.
Yeah, of course. Chewie and Lando and the Falcon, that is a symbol of hope. So that makes sense that they're the ones going around to gather
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge deal, but I do understand logic-wise,
Yeah.
it's a bit weird. But them coming back, it seemed great. It was a
I
great
loved
moment when
it.
they did come
Yeah,
back.
I did love it. I kept thinking, how did this entire fucking fleet make its way in here?
And
when
it wasn't
the whole thing.
It wasn't like 100 ships. It was like 10,000 ships,
was-
just fucking bees in the
It was
sky.
easily the biggest fleet we've ever seen, including both sides in any of the movies.
Yes, it was
so
insane.
it was pretty big.
So yeah, they get to Exegol. She lands on there. And she has like the same path going into.
Can we just talk about Exegol really quick? The
Go on.
floating building,
Yeah.
creepy and awesome as
Woo!
heck. And then everything's under it anyway.
Yeah. It's
I-
like that big thing is just for nothing anyway. It's
It's
just
like
to
an
make you
umbrella.
shit your pants.
It's just an umbrella.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a summer home type thing, isn't it? Yeah, so she goes inside, makes the same trip, goes down and sees Palpatine there, and that's the way he starts to try and like twist her mind. and stuff
Palpatine
like
said
that.
some really interesting stuff here, and one of the things that I loved was he said, like, look, you know, it's in your bloodline to be Empress Palpatine, but the Sith become much more sinister by what Palpatine says. Well, he says, you know, when you strike me down, my power will flow into it's like a Highlander type deal. So he isn't really gonna die. He's gonna end up still kind of ruling in her.
Yeah.
Which makes the whole there can only be two and the Sith always kill their master thing a lot less sort of just destruction for its own need.
It's like a destruction for a reason. Because
It's
that's
even
the
Like
way
more
building
sinister.
up power with
Right.
every generation of Sith.
Exactly, and that also.
What do you
explains
think of all the like cultists like watching? That was
Who
creepy
the
as
Were
fuck.
they really
were
there?
they?
Were they really there? Because I couldn't
I hope
tell.
so, because
There
they
are a
get
few-
smashed by rocks at the end, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's like these powerful beings, whoever they are,
But
just get destroyed by
There's a
rocks.
couple of shots where I was pretty sure I could see through them, so I couldn't tell if these were all the Sith that had been defeated before.
Yeah, it could have been that. It could have been that was the power. All of the Sith before this is it. In
Yeah, what
visual
Palpatine
form.
represents.
Yeah.
That's all
Why
them.
were they there, and what was it like? Or was it? Are you saying like it was just like a projection of like his power or whatever?
Yeah, it was sort of like
No,
Sith
not. I didn't think
ghosts.
it's a prediction of his power. But it's like, you know, when you have
I
Jedi
think it was a
Force Ghost.
bunch of blokes, to be honest.
I
Yeah.
thought it was just cultists. Yeah, it was like a weird the Sith followers and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and I
cults
mean,
of the
it
Sith.
makes sense. Palpatine's not there on his own. He's got plenty of help.
Yeah, and there were people before, like, you know, the people that set up the tubes of like for the cloning
Yeah.
processes and stuff like that. So it could have been those, but it was creepy as fuck, whatever it was. And the way that they were completely silent until the lightning started to strike inside the building, and then you saw it's like a coliseum of.
And they start
of
making
cultists.
like a humming sound. Like it
Yeah.
reminded me of the Bane scene. You know, when Bane is fighting Batman in the
Yeah.
underground. They start making this very similar like chant.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was cool. I really enjoyed it.
Very, very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Yeah.
What did you think of Palpatine going? So he's like, you know, the I didn't want to kill you. I wanted to bring here to make you Empress. Like where he was going with that, what were you kind of thinking? And the way they did mirror Return of the Jedi, where you know Luke sees what's happening to his friends, and
Yeah.
they show that to Rey and use it to. Palpatine's using that, and it's what he did to Anakin. He used. You can
Yeah.
save the one you love if you join me, and he's
Yeah.
trying to do the same thing here with Rey.
It's all
But being like,
manipulation.
all you've got to do, you're the only one with the power to save them. You need to strike me down.
His motivation suddenly makes sense. Like he's trying to get Luke to kill him in.
Return of the Jedi.
Yes, yeah, Return of the Jedi, and okay, maybe Vader is there to defend him, but let's say Luke did manage it. Suddenly, it makes sense if you strike down the head Sith in anger, he gets to keep living. He gets to sort of like
Yeah,
transfer into
if that was
you
to
and-
be the play, if that was like, if you kill me, then I'm gonna go
But
through.
suddenly, it makes
Although
sense why he's always trying to get
He
people
did
are trying to kill it their way up the food chain.
in that movie. He didn't make it clear that was what he was trying to do. What he was trying to do is to get him to give in to his anger,
Yeah, yeah.
so he can then become a Sith.
But
and then when he is a Sith,
but there is always the risk
he's
that
gonna-
Luke is more powerful than Vader,
very true,
right?
very
Like
true.
that's definitely a thing. And Vader,
the son of Anakin.
right? And there's all these like fan theories that Anakin was kept weak by Palpatine and that the suit weakened him and stuff. That if he'd been like Hayden Christensen the whole way through,
He'd have
he'd be a
destroyed him.
very different thing. So there's the possibility that Luke can take them both.
Yeah.
He doesn't really know, but if he's killed in anger, he gets to sort of
Live through him.
Right, exactly.
The thing with that is though, why didn't he just get Kylo to kill him? Why does he want Rey specific? I get because like they're related, but like why?
Maybe Rey's more
Sounds
powerful.
like a harder.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
Might as well just played it safe. Been like, you know,
It might have been. It might have
grandson
been
of Vader. Just do me in. We'll keep living. With, you know.
Just do me in, will you?
Just do me in.
If we get Rey to try and do it, it's like maybe she won't.
All right,
so
James.
why
Fuck. That's
bother?
a good point.
Well,
Never mind. I retract everything I just said for the
fucking
last
hell,
5
James.
minutes.
It's almost like the
Jesus.
Emperor's an idiot. So I don't know.
Well, but I don't know. Like I kind of like he knew there was the dyad and the Force. He almost drew them together, and his plan B was really to have them both there, so he could suck the Force out of them and
I don't think
return
he
himself
did,
anyway.
though.
Yeah, do you think he
because
knew
when
that?
he does it, he's like shocked. He's like, oh shit. And as well, doesn't Kylo say like the Emperor doesn't know, like, oh, we're dying in the Force and whatever? Like that's his plan.
I
He's
didn't
like the
think
Emperor
he knew.
doesn't know
Yeah,
about
I
our
agree. I
connection.
didn't think he knew, but he found out and had the upper hand and just changed his plans to make the best of a good situation.
Yeah, to restore
It's like,
himself
instead
of
of
using
you
Rey.
being Empress and me living through you, I'm just gonna fuck you up and I'll be fucking Emperor. There you go.
Yeah. So you have that moment where obviously there's the whole battle going on. I don't feel like we need to break down the fucking battle because it just kind of was
I
what
think
it
we need
was.
to break down every single shot of the battle, Tyler.
The only things that I didn't like, something I did like actually, the mirroring was, I thought it was very funny that Rey Palpatine turns up in Red 5 and Ben, basically Skywalker, turns up in a TIE fighter.
Yeah, that
There's
was
more
funny.
of that like juxtaposition and mirroring.
So he comes in, he tries to like.
But even just I mean when I say I don't want to break down the battle, I'm talking about like the Finn resistance battle.
Oh, yeah,
I want to
yeah.
keep
And
breaking
there's some
down
really silly
the
stuff
Rey
in that,
Kylo
like-
stuff. We need to break down.
We
But
need
like
to talk
I feel
about
like
that.
it was just a space battle. That was a
The
space battle. It was
space battle
fine.
we don't really need to talk about. We don't need to know why they use the horse goats. Like it's just
Right.
it was
Oh, I
just
need to
silly.
know.
Jam their speeders. It's like you never knew you could jam speeders in the first place. So I
Right.
don't know why you think this is an
But
important
so-
thing to say.
They're
now.
not using speeders,
my-
and it was fine. It was fine, and
Yeah,
then
it was
they
okay.
had their Avengers Endgame attempt
Oh
moment.
my god, I actually
of,
really
you know,
like it. I actually really.
I like, but this is the thing. I like they do two big Avengers Endgame things in this ending.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I like both of those things, but they're in every way inferior to the way Avengers Endgame
Yes.
did
Yeah,
it.
definitely. But I think the first one's better. The one in space where everyone like the Resistance shows up
Yeah.
and Lando's there.
Yeah.
I think that's the better one.
Completely.
Yes,
That actually
okay.
got me hyped, and like the music is a really nice version of like the Star Wars theme, and it's just a really fucking good moment. I
I
think.
think
Agreed,
the only
yeah.
thing to mention in that fight was that when Lando does come with all the other fighters and whatnot,
The
they-
guy on the bridge. So the
Yes.
old dude from the original trilogy, he says, "Where did they get all these fighters in their navy?" And the guy next to him says, "That's not a navy. They're just people."
They're just
that
people.
was the best bit of that whole
Yeah.
space scene.
Mm.
Very, very
Because
good.
the whole
Yeah.
point is that the people stood up, and when the people
Against
stood
you
up,
guys.
they could overthrow the evil.
Yeah.
I like that.
And they just started firing
Yeah.
at all of the cannons underneath each one of the
Yeah.
destroyers because they're planet killers. Each gun destroyed is a world saved and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
It says. So they destroy those. That's the most interesting thing that happens in
Yeah.
that battle there. Also, there is
But
the,
it was good. It wasn't
It was
great.
fine.
It was
Nice to
good.
It was fine.
Yeah,
when I
it's a
say
nice
the most
spectacle.
interesting thing is that
Yeah.
we have space wizards on this side and we have fighters over here. You guys are great. It's just we got something else.
It's Return of
to talk about
it's
here.
Return of the Jedi. You know,
Yes,
like every time we cut away in Return of the Jedi, I'm like, yeah, I love this and all, but I want to go back to the Emperor, Vader, and Luke.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's what you want to watch. And
So they-
and with this, you know, Ben shows up, and it's no longer Kylo Ren, it's
Right.
Ben Solo.
The problem
He
with
shows up.
Sorry, bro. I cut
Go
it
on.
off.
Go
Well,
on.
just the Kylo fighting the Knights of Ren.
Yeah,
We don't know
Ben.
about the Knights of Ren. We don't give a fuck about them. They're not that
It
big a
would've
deal, and
been-
they don't even have lightsabers.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
The thing that bothered me about that most was that they were pitched as the way that I had it was almost like what's the name of goddamn Darth Vader's group? The sisters.
The Night Sisters.
The Night Sisters.
No,
It
Second
Oh,
was-
Sisters.
the Inquisitors.
Second-
The
The Inquisitors,
you mean.
that's
Yeah.
it. It was almost like that were his Inquisitors. And in my mind, it was always like, these guys are badass. They're not as
Yeah.
badass as Kylo, but they are not to be
No.
fucked with. But if ever there was ever a moment that Kylo was to turn on them, I would imagine it would be crack your skull, bend your spine in half, and you are dead. There is no way you're coming up against Kylo. In this, he does struggle a
Also,
bit.
they're like fucking Mad Max Tusken Raiders. They're like, what is the deal with these random like stormtroopers? That
Yeah,
all Mad
they didn't
Maxy?
really have the chance to
No, it
develop
just-
them. They just did what they could do with them by having them there, and they
Yeah,
did.
and they
Yeah.
don't have like even the red guards in the throne room scene in episode 8.
Yeah.
At least they had like these mini little laser lightsaber type deals.
All they did was have normal blades that had red lights on them for some reason.
But it shows you the villains.
Oh, so they're
Yeah,
villains.
that's
Okay,
it.
yeah, we just said
Right, so
there.
that scene, that fight's not as significant as it could have been because we don't know the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Of course, he's always going to win, but they don't even have like laser weapons. He's not really at risk, right?
And he gets the lightsaber from Rey behind his head and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, it was a sleight of
I
hand
loved.
magic
I
trick.
know we've talked about this, but I fucking love it. Every time I think
love
about
it
it,
too.
when I watched it the
The
second
more-
time, I fucking loved it. When Rey and like she's about to strike the Emperor down, he can't wait, and Rey and Ben are looking at each other, and they just have the nod to each other, and it's like, fuck yeah, I fucking love these two together. And I loved them in my favorite part of the Last Jedi is the fucking throne room, like in terms of the spectacle of it. I agree, like. That moment that Rey and Kylo find they're so fucking awesome, and to see them both blue lightsabers, Leia's lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber, it's like holy shit, here we go. And Ben Solo is using Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, and he's fucking up the Knights of Ren. I was like, fucking yes. I thought they were gonna give him Leia's, which would have made sense because that's who brought him back. But I prefer, and I'm very happy he had, because it's all about the mirroring to me of Anakin to Ben, like that's who he is.
Ben's
So to have
definitely
Anakin's
the
lightsaber.
highlight for sure. And even like
Yes.
his little nod where he pulls out the lightsaber and he's like, I've got a lightsaber
I've
now.
got a lightsaber
Guess
now,
you
guys."
all die.
And I love how he fucking fights with it. Like, he has it behind his back and he takes the deep breath
Yeah.
and then to
Yeah.
kind of like mid-rest. I fucking love that.
It's so
Like,
It was such an Anakin moment when he gets the lightsaber. He's like, "Yeah, well, you're all fucked now."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually
It
love
unleashes on them.
And-
It's very Anakin.
talking to
Yeah.
you guys as well. It has swayed me more towards liking the diet and they can transfer stuff.
Yeah.
Not as I still find it a bit of a MacGuffin, but
I mean, it is. It completely is.
yeah.
and they'll room to room.
I've
It's one
softened
room
on it
apart.
just in these last. By the way, we're at 2.5 hours.
You
Um,
softened on it? Let me help you out, bro. Let
Oh,
me get
thank
a bit
you. I
harder on
appreciate
that
it,
one.
appreciate
That's
it.
right.
So he beats
So they
the
come-
Knights of Ren and comes into
Yeah.
the throne room scene, and it's here for me that I would have had before the Palpatine becomes the big bad, before the died in the Force and he heals himself. I think Kylo and Rey should have teamed. Rey beats the other Red Guards. They're standing there, and then in from a side door should have been old Hayden Christensen, Dark Rey, something
No.
like that.
Completely in
Some
disagreement.
some
I don't
real
like that.
bodyguard,
No.
and they should have beaten him because the Emperor is.
What about just a Snoke clone? I would
That
have been
would've
more
been
okay
cool.
with that.
No, I would have
More okay with
that. Or like a
Just
two of
have
them.
just have
'Cause there's
Palpatine
two-
restore himself and have an actual fight with him.
That would have been
done it for
better.
me.
I have to say that the super lightning hands in the sky, nah, didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Oh,
with
I
you.
liked it. It felt very like
It would have been cool
like
if he'd done
extended
one.
universe Legends type deal.
Sure.
If he
where
had
he's
done,
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
a giant
super
I'm
powerful.
50-50. I'm 50-50. I could be swayed.
If he had done a giant blast that had gone like lightning, not maintained, it had gone up in the sky, hit everything, all the resistance, because it's force lightning, it's magic lightning,
Yeah.
and they'd all started to fall, like an EMP kind of deal, that would have been fine. And then he gets up to fight them, okay. But the
Yeah.
fact that he just stands there, lightning hands
Yeah,
to the
but,
sky.
But-
you don't understand.
because
This
the
is
ships-
Palpatine. He can't
the ships-
stop
but
doing
the ships
lightning.
are good
Stop
for
That's
doing
the
lightning.
problem.
The ships also have to
dying.
have their power restored, so the lightning has to be stopped by something. So it's when Ben gets up, after all that, and that's when you have Ben and him fight, and then and then he beats, and then he force pushes him down the hole after a fight, and then Rey gets up.
Yeah.
But
he
maybe
doesn't.
but I think Ben then actually destroys Sidious's lightsaber, right? So that's why then you just have the Rey light. That's why you
Yes.
use lightning on Rey, and you have the Rey moment.
And finally,
but
get
when-
to see
and when Rey-
black and gold red lightsaber, that would have been way better.
Yeah, and to see Palpatine and Ben Solo fighting
Yeah.
Anakin's lightsaber, Palpatine's red, it would have been like, holy shit, we've
It would have
come
been
all the way,
it
boys.
literally would have been that fight between Anakin and Palpatine that you never see, because Anakin wanted to overthrow the Emperor,
Yeah.
and that would have
Yeah.
been what would have happened if he wasn't beaten by Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So that would have been the fight that we never got to see, but that's not what happens.
It would have been.
I'm okay with it, but it could have been more.
I am
I'm
too.
okay with
That's what I'm saying. The whole of the ending could have been more. It felt like it was very condensed and like they were trying to get it done.
Yeah, in
Whereas if
movie-
you'd given it a bit more
They had
time, you
to.
could have
They
had a
also
lot
had to.
more.
They also had to get
this,
it done.
this movie should have been 3 hours.
We mentioned in the case. We mentioned
I don't
in the
think they had time to
KCC.
film 3 hours of
It
content. I don't
also
know.
should have been 2 movies, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
I think
We're
we
all, but we
mentioned-
know this.
We mentioned in the KCC that there were a lot of really great ideas that were executed 6 out of 10 completion.
Yeah.
Right, so like a lot of like the final fight, it's a 6 out of 10, or like 60% complete. You know, is a better way to view it. Like there's a lot of it that was left undone because of time constraints.
Yeah.
And I really feel for JJ on this, because the fact is he not only had to make 2 movies and fit it into one, he had to unfuck a movie as well.
Yeah, unfuck a movie, redo a movie, and then make the final movie on top of that.
And introduce a brand new villain.
Yeah.
And bring Kylo back to the light, and have Rey finally struggle,
Be a
go to the
Palpatine.
dark side and come back. Like he really be a Palpatine. He really had to do a lot.
He did the best possible movie. I truly believe this is the best movie we were ever going to get.
Yeah,
this is
from what
the
he was
best
given.
case scenario for the state of Star Wars. After The Last Jedi, this was the best case scenario. I truly, truly believe that. And at the end of it all, I was very satisfied with my favorite character, Kylo Ren's arc from start to finish. I was very satisfied with. I loved all the new characters. I loved how they handled Leia and wrapped up her story. Luke as well being in there. Even fucking Han was in it. Like we
was
got
awesome.
we got a lot of awesome stuff. And should Palpatine have come back? Definitely debatable.
Yeah,
definitely debatable. But the reality is, he was back.
Yes, he should have. I think.
I
On
agree with you,
paper,
James. I'm
should
with you, James.
Palpatine be the main
Palpatine's
villain for the new
always-
trilogy? Yes.
he's the greatest villain.
I would
Should he have?
Do you know,
But you needed 2 movies to do it. You can't.
Yes,
The way they
should
did
have
it wasn't.
planted the seed in the first one, developed it in the second one.
Saying he
and
just
had him come
lets send
back
out
at
a
the end of the
radio
second
signal, at the, in the crawl,
Yeah.
and start saying, "Oh yeah, I
The
guess he sent out a
execution's
signal." And now,
poor.
do we?
yeah.
But
But he had no
that's 'cause
choice.
of
They had no
circumstance.
choice. Yeah.
Do we all
Yeah.
think that Palpatine? Did at any point of you guys before the tease of Palpatine guy? Did you ever think that Palpatine was going to be around?
No.
Yes, I did.
No,
Yes, I did.
I didn't.
Yes,
I
I did.
didn't have an idea.
I've spent the first 6 months of 2019 obsessively watching every Star Wars podcast out there, and
Before
so
that-
many of them are talking about Palpatine. And no, it's before the movie was announced or anything. Like people were like this. There was one particular podcast I always watched, my favorite one, and they kept saying they're like, Palpatine's coming back. I'm telling you right now, he has to come back now. He has to come back.
I
They're
didn't
going to
get
bring
that
Palpatine
feeling
back.
at all, and I was just like, "What is gonna happen?" And when we heard Palpatine, I was like, "Of course, it's Palpatine. It's the big motherfucker of this whole."
I'm
of
down.
course.
I'm down, and I agree that Palpatine fell down a hole and went invisible, and you never saw him die. And unless you see him die, they're not dead. That's
not
a Star Wars thing, right? We know it, we love it. It's just the way that things are. However, until you show me, or at least allude or tease Palpatine, he's not in it.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that until the teaser, which was until past 2 movies.
Yeah.
There was no way
Yeah, that's
Palpatine
my
was coming
problem.
back. I loved Palpatine. I think he's the best villain. It would have been amazing to have like very subtle things in movie 7, and then like an actual reveal at the a couple of stronger things in movie 8 with an actual reveal at the end. I'd have lost my shit. I would have gone back and been like, "Oh look, that's a reference, and that's a thing." And they're talking about the Senate, but that doesn't exist anymore. And this place in Naboo where Palpatine was raised, but you'd have to like go through hours of Wikipedia entries or whatever to find that was the place that he was raised, right? From one obscure comic or something, right? That's the shit I would have wanted, but they didn't do that.
They didn't.
So
Do you mind if I continue with this and then we move along a little bit? With the
but
next
it's really the
story?
final scene, right?
Yeah, it's the final scene.
Well, no, hang on, no, but we've still got Rey calling on.
Oh, yeah.
the Jedi.
Just
Yeah,
before
we
we
talked
do
about this
that,
a little bit. But
Just before we do that, I didn't want to. We're not going to talk about this too much, but the thing that I did like, you said about how like his lightning in the sky was like overdone and whatnot. There is something that you think about as well, because like in the original trilogies, he did do his lightning hands, but that's obviously he's like an old man, and after he's been affected and been beaten by the Jedi. In the prequels as well, he'd been not beaten by the Jedi, but he's sort of forced lightning himself because he can't stop, like James said and whatnot.
he just cannot do it.
Yeah, so he's a.
But to be fair, if in this case, like if he stopped Force Lightning, he would have just been stabbed.
Yes. But
So his bet was that I'm stronger than she is. That was his
But
bet.
push her, like
Yeah.
force push her or something.
Well, what I'm
Well,
thinking
like if
about,
that doesn't work, force push yourself. I don't know.
What I'm thinking about in this one is that the reason why it was like so goddamn powerful and that he essentially lit up a solar system with his lightning powers is because he looked at his prime in this.
yeah.
Like the way his eyes were glowing, he had that beautiful red velvet on his inside of his robes.
Oh, I
as
love
well.
that. It was Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge
Yeah,
of the
so
Sith,
amazing.
Palpatine,
That needs to be a Battlefront skin, as we said at the beginning
Oh,
of this.
yes.
That needs to be. And was like, that's his prime, so maybe that's why he could conjure the entire Force universe of lightning in one fucking column right there.
The other thing,
Yeah.
That's what I choose.
I found that without a fight, the Rey and him, basically, it's 2 lightsabers against double lightning hands.
Yeah.
And I just found it a little bit lackluster again, because it was just like, oh, well, we can't beat him. We'll just double down on special effects.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she'll push a little bit harder, and then, oh, no, he gets lightninged, and then big lightning bolt and destroyed. It was just
It
a
felt
little
like
bit...
she was like winning with feelings rather than there being any actual like
Right,
battle
exactly.
to overcome.
Well, she was winning with the
She was
strength
like,
of all the Jedi
I'm
that had
believing
the,
really hard.
Well, but it was more than that. It was like he kept saying he was all the Sith, and it was, again, this is Avengers Endgame, the I am inevitable and I am Iron Man. I am all the Sith.
Yeah.
I
In the cinema, he
the
literally
Jedi.
The
I was
Jedi.
like,
went over to me and goes,
Iron Man.
yeah. And the thing is, I'm fine with it because she is all the Jedi. That's what we just established, and that was what the movie was establishing, and all this sort of shit. And you know, you hear Obi-Wan, Hayden Christensen, Anakin, Yoda, Qui-Gon,
all of them.
everybody,
Yeah.
Ahsoka,
Ahsoka.
and
Ayla
What's that?
Secura,
yeah,
another one. She was in
totally
there.
know who that is.
Yeah, same.
I don't know.
She was in there though. She's in the credits.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think she's the blue one. They get shot by all the clones in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh,
Oh,
under the
okay.
leaf. Under the leaf.
Yeah, under the leaf, yeah.
I remember her. But yeah, you have all the Jedi, and that's where her strength comes from. Like, it's a big moment, and it's trying to, round off. It's an attempt to round off the 9 movies or connect the 9 movies of the Jedi are all in her. Every Jedi that's ever been, and
You now.
and then she beats Palpatine.
She beats him.
And she dies. And she dies.
Yeah,
and she dies.
She does die, yeah.
And then the moment that is, to me, the best round off of the whole saga that this movie does, which is
The literal
rounding
rise
off
of
Ben.
Skywalker. He climbs out
One
the
one
hole.
is one is that the literal rise of Skywalker, but Ben Solo, whose story arc is one mirrored as the bad guy. It's mirrored Darth Vader's in the original trilogy, but the opposite, and it's also mirrored Anakin Skywalker's in the prequel trilogy, but the opposite. And then you have this Ben Solo. He's just fought with Anakin's goddamn lightsaber. He's fully redeemed, and he saves the woman he loves by finding the power to bring back life from a Palpatine where he learnt it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're
it's
telling me that's
perfect
not a
mirror
round
moment,
off
but the
mirror
opposite.
moment,
No.
but the opposite? It's a perfect mirror image of the entire saga, and that's what he did. And then they kissed, and it was I believed it. I loved the moment, and for a second I was like, well, he's gonna die because he's bringing someone back to life, so he's giving his own life for her. And then they kiss, and he's kind of standing there for a while. I'm like, wait, are they gonna actually keep Ben alive? And then then you're like, oh wait, fuck.
What
Damn
I
it.
don't understand is why he died the way that he did when he fades away. I thought when Jedi die like that, it's because they've mastered the ability to come back.
I think
Yeah.
it was almost Leia gave him that. Like, because Leia
Then
goes at
why
the exact
doesn't
same
he
time
come
as he
back?
goes.
Or why doesn't
What do you mean
Rey,
by come back?
Why doesn't Rey disappear when she's dead?
Maybe she was hanging on to life. Maybe she was like on the edge.
Well, the same thing
Yeah.
happened with
No,
Leia.
Tyler, you need to justify this. You
No.
need to tell us exactly how the Force works.
How does the Force work, Tyler? Please tell us.
Because
Okay,
it's
well,
weird to me that they set that up, because every Jedi that's able to manifest themselves as a Force ghost has died in that way, rather than just
the
sort of
other thing-
being cut in half or whatever.
Anakin's body remained and was cremated, and then he appears as a Force
That's
ghost.
Was it though?
Yeah. Because I think he takes. Well, he takes.
Yeah,
his,
but-
you didn't just strip him down and take his suit.
Well, we never see. We never see.
Could you imagine, Dad?
But he
Don't worry
might
about
have
it. You
put
just
the
died, I'll
helmet
take your
back
suit.
on, and then
Oh,
you don't know,
here
the
we go.
body disappears and he's just carrying a suit. We never see Anakin die, do we?
shut up, James. You fucking
Look,
idiot.
I'm finding ways around this, because obviously they didn't have this plan during the original trilogy. They added to the lore, obviously, like around prequels and stuff, to have it all
Yeah.
make sense. But you don't ever see
Hey,
Anakin
look,
actually
you're
close his eyes
overthinking
and
too
die,
much.
do you?
Yeah, you do.
It's
I
just
mean,
Cuts
look,
away.
he dies in his
You sure?
hands.
Yeah, and he
Does
doesn't
he?
disappear.
Yeah, he
I
doesn't.
swear he doesn't.
He dies in his hands. He's like, take off my mask, so that you'll die. And he goes, I want to look at you one last time upon my own eyes. And he looks at him,
he
and then he
doesn't
just sort
disappear,
of goes
James. He
back and
definitely
dies.
doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
And
doesn't
doesn't
disappear.
disappear.
And neither's
Oh, really?
Qui-Gon as well. He gets cremated.
True.
That's true. And
Oh,
also, he dies in
yeah.
Obi-Wan's arms right there. Like,
Yeah.
that's when he gives his last breath.
Then what
Yeah.
the fuck are the rules?
Mate, this is
That's what we're asking Tyler.
Space wizard laser swords.
Oh,
Maybe
fuck.
it's when you die of like if you're killed, your body doesn't. Oh no, because Obi-Wan. Fuck this shit.
No,
I don't
no,
like
no,
Star
no.
Wars anymore. None of this makes
Yeah,
sense.
the force ghost is where you're like, okay, this is it. The rules behind
There's
force
no
ghosts is-
there is no consistency. It doesn't make any. Why do they disappear sometimes?
James
I don't
is
care
about
no
2
sense
seconds
in
away from
any of
founding
it.
That
the
specific
Star
thing
Wars
that is gonna
Force
bother me.
Ghostbusters.
Yes,
It's like,
exactly
fuck
what it
these
is.
guys.
Force
Look,
Ghostbusters,
if-
fuck them all.
If we're talking about this, it doesn't make any sense though.
Stop
Like,
talking
I
about it.
don't
then.
actually care, but it's bothering me now. I've brought it up.
It's not bothering me at all. I
Space
need you to
wizards
stop, and I
with
need you to
laser
stop
swords.
bringing it up.
Yeah.
That's
Why
what
did he
really bothers me.
disappear though?
I don't know. Something to do with Leia and their connection, and because
Where
she didn't
is he?
disappear
Where's he
It takes
until
a
gone?
he
really long
died.
time to disappear.
Yeah, that's the other ones. At least you don't see them disappear. Leia dies, and I think about like 12 hours go by, and then suddenly her body's just like, and
Yeah,
now I'm
true.
a Force ghost, and it's
When
like,
Ben,
whoa,
goes-
no, no, no,
Ben
no.
goes and she
Maybe
goes,
it depends
that's
how long you
interesting.
sit in purgatory for before you slip
But
away.
she gave her life to connect with Kylo, so there was that mother and son connection there. And once he died, she was kind of set free.
Tyler's grasping at straws here.
Yeah, that's really grasping.
That makes
Okay.
sense. I'll go with it. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
good enough.
That's good
You
enough.
convinced
All right.
me.
There you go. I'm trying to explain the rules, guys.
Why
and you
doesn't
guys just-
Qui-Gon disappear?
Because he.
Qui-Gon
Hey, bro,
was holding on
you
to-
need
No, come on,
to
you're doing
stop.
good. You're doing good.
talking
Give me
about-
another one.
Qui-Gon was holding on to
Please,
Shmi.
I need it.
Qui-Gon
No,
was holding on to Shmi.
Qui-Gon, was connected. Everyone's Force essence goes like everyone's a Force ghost, but can't connect to the real world. Qui-Gon learnt it in whatever there is, whether it's purgatory or limbo or afterlife. Qui-Gon learnt in there
Actually,
to connect.
that's a good
back.
point, because he
and
doesn't
that's
come
what
straight
Yoda
back.
explains. That's
Anakin-
what Yoda
yeah,
explains.
Yoda says, "I've been contacted by an old friend," and that's 2 movies later.
Yeah.
So it took Qui-Gon
Yeah.
what, like 10 or 15 years.
So Qui-Gon didn't learn before he died. He learned
he learned
after.
He
died.
probably
He
had
learned it
correct.
while dead.
probably a mix of both. I think that's what they're.
Oh no! I figured it out. I figured
Okay,
it out.
James
right.
has got it, guys.
So,
James
no,
got
listen.
it.
Okay, so when you're Force sensitive and you die, you become one with the Force, right? And you're just sort of
Yes.
like you still exist, but like you don't. In order to actually manifest yourself as a physical being, you have to master that. So that's how Qui-Gon did it. So his body remained until he mastered that, and then he would. They must like you're kind of taking your body with you into this
Yeah.
like afterlife realm type thing. So that's
Yeah.
how it works. In order to manifest yourself, you need your body. If you're just dying and you're just sort of like Force
Yeah.
essence, you
Is
don't
that why-
need your body.
Is that why we never actually see Qui-Gon as a Force ghost? Because it would have been all mangled and eaten by maggots by then and stuff like that.
Oh God damn it!
He's in Clone Wars, isn't he?
I don't
Dunno,
know.
I
He
haven't
is.
seen
He
it,
is.
though.
Yeah, he is. He is. He talks to Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he talks, and
Or
he also talks to
Anakin?
Anakin
It's
as
Anakin,
well.
isn't
But
it?
Oh, yeah,
that's
talks to
in
Anakin,
Revenge of
yeah,
the
sorry,
Sith.
In
talks to
the Mortis
Anakin,
arc,
no,
whatever.
Anakin, no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after that we get to see them, and Adam Driver picks up Rey's body and sees her like dead, lifeless body right there. She's a bit pale and stuff like that, and then grabs her by just above the good area, just in the belly area, and
He force spunks her.
Yeah, he
Force
force
spunks
spunks
her.
her.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
This
why
is
he
what actually
dies.
happened in
You
the
think
film.
spunking
And
in
that's
real life
canon.
makes you tired.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
you almost
yeah.
feel like you're dying when you're coming. You're like, but he actually did. But it's weird because he doesn't die straight away. So she comes back to life, sees him, plants a kiss on him, a beautiful, like, heartfelt
Yeah.
kiss, like, I love you, you brought me back and whatnot.
I have to
They
say
smile to each other.
that's like especially his like really tired, exhausted,
yeah.
like half sigh, half smile. I can't believe it's come to this. Like this is it,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
worth it. I really enjoyed that. Like it's 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I just think Driver
Yeah.
sells it so well.
He's a great actor.
Yeah,
He
He's
does.
So good.
He
Very
really
good.
does.
Did anyone think that he was actually going to die at that moment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Yeah?
have
Yeah.
to.
100%.
Yeah.
I think because the way that my brain works is that I guess it wants to be surprised, and I don't, the same way I didn't see Palpatine coming for the whole thing. I just go in and wait to be experienced of it, and I was like, what's going to happen here? And then when he started to fade away, I was like, oh, he's dying.
You're the only one that can do that. Like I remember you saw spoilers for something and then managed to forget the
I
spoilers
saw-
and be surprised by it and then remember that you already knew it.
I saw spoilers for Force Awakens. I saw the first thing was like Han Solo died, and I was like, no. no! And then I went to go watch the movie, and somehow I'd forgotten I saw that spoiler. And when it happened, I was like, oh my god! Oh wait, that's what I saw. Oh, right.
You're the only person in the world.
Don't know how I do that.
All right, so now we need to talk about the final scene where Rey takes.
I mean, one last thing. How did you feel about once they won? They do the montage around all the different planets and everyone rising up against the First Order or the Last Order or the fucking Order, and then
order.
yeah, and
Last Orders.
The first,
the
second,
Templar
last
Order.
and final order.
Sorry, James. And then you have Rey, Finn, Poe, their hug, that moment together.
Yeah.
How did we feel? Did we
nice.
feel like we earned it? Yeah.
I really
good,
enjoyed
happy.
their hug.
Chewie finally got his medal as well. That was a thing.
Yeah.
Chewie got his medal. I enjoyed their hug. I thought a lot of the background stuff we just didn't matter. Like, oh, two chicks kiss, who cares? Whatever.
I care a
They
lot.
put that in the front and center as if that meant something to anybody.
I'm
And
gonna
Lando
post
tries to
25
fuck that
tweets
young
about
girl. It's
does
Who's
try to
gonna
do
be
that.
his daughter?
Lando, you know what's going on. Yeah, it was.
Fuck.
It did feel a little bit limp. Don't get me wrong. You have to have a
Sometimes
hug
you just
scene
gotta
at the
thumb
end.
it in.
You just gotta thumb it in a little bit. Exactly. No, you
There
had.
was no Return of the Jedi ending.
Yeah,
Well, it
you-
didn't
Yeah.
feel like that closure and that celebration. It felt like it was like, yeah, they're having a bit of fun.
Do you know what they were missing?
A medal ceremony.
A medal ceremony and a teddy bear party. That's what they were missing.
Teddy bear
there.
party, yeah.
Teddy bear
I
party.
love
was
that they
solid.
showed Ewoks. I fucking love they showed Ewoks. I just laughed. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah, so what it is, I think, is that you can't do a celebration ending well unless you have some sort of comic relief in it or something like that. It was,
And even Jakku, you had that shot of Jakku from the first teaser trailer of The Force Awakens. And I
with
did
the
love that.
Star
Star
Destroyer
Destroyer
that's
falling
in the sand
behind
and
the
one
Star
falling
Destroyer.
again. Yeah, brilliant. I love that.
Now, we get to the end.
Yeah.
Tatooine, which is like you're like okay.
I
That's
liked
yeah.
that.
strange.
whole
We've never
thing.
been here before.
The most significant.
most
we
part.
forgot a really important character death.
Go on.
Porkins 5.0.
Oh god, yes. So
Oh my god.
I don't know what his name is.
The
He's
guy- the
JJ's
cop
friend.
from-
I know
Yeah.
who you
Oh, is
mean
it?
though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he's JJ's friend. That's why he's always in all of his movies
But
and stuff
they
like that.
always have a fat star.
Fat guy
pilot.
in an X-wing, sorry, and he needs to die. And we're like,
Needs to
Porkins!
crash.
They're on your
5.0.
6. Oh no! Fuck.
No.
Every single movie. Anyway, so look, Tatooine. No one gives a fuck about Tatooine.
But we're back on Tatooine.
We're back at the same place.
Yes. There's nobody living there this time, and this is where like Luke grew up and whatnot, where he was dropped off and stuff like that. And it's
Is
all like
Luke's
standard-
aunt and uncle's skeleton still there?
Probably.
I
Yeah,
like
just-
to think they are.
All you see are the jawbone and teeth and whatnot, just to make it nice and homey.
We know that early Luke, he doesn't give a fuck.
No, he doesn't even bury them. I bet it just goes out.
No.
Anyway, we go there, and I'm just like, is there going to be a shot of blue milk somewhere? No, there isn't. Okay.
So
And then-
okay, I gotta ask you boys a question. How do you feel about her burying Anakin's Skywalker there? Anakin's lightsaber there. Sorry.
It seems
I
very
think-
clear they're setting something up with that.
Well, I think he would be incredibly disappointed that his lightsaber's been put in the sand.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He's
going
to be upset. That's why he didn't show up as a Force Ghost at the end. He was just so pissed off.
He
He
was like,
couldn't
"This
show up on this
bitch."
sand planet. His lightsaber's in the sand. He's not having it.
Yeah.
Not at all.
On Tatooine, he's not happy about
Oh,
sand.
Exactly,
definitely
sand
not.
is terrible.
It's gonna get everywhere.
Exactly. It's going to be all in the lightsaber. No one can ever use that thing again.
Can I just say this, and I'm going to say something controversial here.
There we go.
My favorite piece of Star Wars music is Rey's theme.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's maybe my
It's
second.
so
maybe my
fucking
third. I don't know.
beautiful. And when
do
you
love
had
it,
that Jakku callback with Rey sliding down into
Yes.
the house and everything,
Yeah.
and then burying the lightsaber and lightsabers and stuff, I was like, I think what JJ was doing was what he did in this movie was he ended it, but he also left some puzzle pieces there
Yeah.
for the future.
Well, I mean,
For one day when they inevitably will unbury this franchise.
Please don't do an episode 10. Like, if I could
They
have it
will.
my way, just don't
But,
do it.
but
No,
no,
I
I'm with
I
you.
think-
I'm with you. But I'm telling you, they will.
I know they
I
will.
think-
I know they will.
think
I just want to
now's
live in
prime
hope.
time for standalone movies.
Yeah.
So now's the time.
And they
to
will
get-
for a while. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, eventually, in 10,
I
15
reckon
years.
no. I reckon give them 5 years. They
I
can't
think
stay
James is
away.
right.
Yeah, can't wait 10 years.
Give them 5 years and they'll do
Wow.
it.
I mean, the thing is though that
Yeah.
Rey's not out of the game. Like the very next thing she does after burying the lightsabers, she lights up a sick orange lightsaber.
Yeah.
It's
I
now
love
now
that
also
saber.
I love her saber. It's also the handle looks like her
Star,
her
Staff.
big
Yeah.
staff.
which it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fucking sick. And that it's what orange yellow.
orange,
like I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Looks awesome. What's the
Like, it's like a
relevance of
gold.
that? I don't know, but
No,
I don't know.
I mean,
It's cool.
Who cares? It looks awesome, and the fact
It's
is,
cool.
I think it's kind of them saying Rey's going her own way with this thing. They know, we
Yeah,
know
she's
that
unique.
trying to rebuild the Jedi like Luke did doesn't work. We know that doing things the way they've been done in, say, like I don't know, the last 2 trilogies hasn't worked out well. So Rey has to find like her own way, and she's not really a Palpatine, but she's not really like, who is she? Does it matter? What is identity? So she's got this whole completely different lightsaber that's got the dark handle that looks very industrial, and then a totally different lightsaber color that we haven't seen in the movies yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we feel about her introducing herself to a random homeless lady, though?
Yeah,
so
so
dumb. That was so
random
fucking
random
dumb.
homeless lady one, as
I
it said
don't
in the
know.
credits.
I don't know. I'm fine. I'm just fine with it. I didn't love it. I didn't love
the
it,
meaning,
but like
the meaning behind it is nice. Like I get what they were trying to do with it, but like, who's the woman? Why does she give a shit?
they just
Yeah,
had to. Yeah, I know, but they just had to
honestly,
ask
Why are
because it's
family
Tatooine.
names
It had to
suddenly
be
so
someone.
important? That little kid
Right.
in the fair is like, "Oh, hey, what's your name? Ray. What's your family name? Just Ray."
I don't have
Oh,
one.
everyone keeps asking it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a really
Why does
important
anyone
thing
give
in
a
the Star
fuck?
Wars universe.
Do you
It's
know
a
what it
movie,
is?
guys. It's to make a through line through the story. Just let it happen. Stop fucking Jesus
Still
Christ.
fucking dumb. It's literally that is like George Lucas dialogue though.
Yeah,
the ending
for
of this
sure.
film. It's like George Lucas came in and was like, "Let me write the ending." Maybe he did. Oh, I don't know.
But and then
It's
you
fine,
had to have
however.
the staring in Ray and BB-8.
Oh, that's another
staring
thing,
into-
right? Why has Rey just stolen BB-8? It's not her droid.
Yeah, but BB-8 goes with her now. Like she didn't steal him. Like BB-8 made the choice.
He gave
BB-8 is
consent.
his own person, you know. He's
He
not a
gave
piece of
consent.
property.
Oh.
He's not some sort of droid, okay?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
That's so sad. Why wasn't she like with R2 or something? Like that would have been nice. R2 is so
R2 would have
underused
been
in this
cool.
new trilogy.
Oh
R2
yeah.
And it
R2
really
actually
upsets
kind
me.
of got
Very
snuffed in
obvious,
this
yeah.
movie. A
Yeah.
bit like Phasma. Didn't really top that much. Just,
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
the
it's
best in The Last Jedi. That was
Yeah.
that was his shining moment in this new
Which
trilogy.
still wasn't that good. Like his best scene was showing the
I mean, that
help me,
was
Obi-Wan
pretty.
Kenobi,
That whole
Obi-Wan,
scene
yeah.
is good though,
He
and I'll
was
still stand
basically
by
a
Luke
sex
was
Yeah.
Luke was done well in The Last Jedi. I'll stand by that. as
Do you
well.
know
Oh,
what's-
yeah, I'll agree with you. I'll
For the
stand by
most
it.
part, like 95%.
No, I was fine with him being that as long as he was redeemed by the end, which he was.
Yeah,
I'm
I
fine
think
with
it's
the
more.
way
I think
Luke
it's
was
more
last
the
year.
comedy in the film that puts me off some of Luke's moments, to be honest, and that was just Ryan Johnson's decision. But
Well,
the character
you have a
moments.
problem
are all
with him
there.
milking a four-titted land
Thing.
Actually, I
cow?
don't have a problem with that. Of all the moments, I don't actually have a problem with that. I'm
yeah,
like,
neither
that's
do I.
fine.
I don't care.
That doesn't bother me.
It's
I-
also
it's like-
boring.
How
but
about the
also,
big spear to try and catch that fish in the sea
That is
below?
that is classic Luke Skywalker. He does in every
Yeah,
film.
he does that a
so-
lot.
He
He does
does-
that a
he
lot.
does
He
do
does
that
it
in every
every. It's his signature move.
Signature
It's how he's introduced in A New Hope.
oh my
Don't you
God.
remember when he's called back into the house by his uncle and he puts a giant stick in between the big hole in the Tatooine house and he used it to launch
Yeah.
across.
That's
yeah,
it,
it's
yeah,
iconic.
that's it.
Oh yeah! Now that you
It is
say it's
iconic.
coming back,
In
yeah.
fact, for all the
Yeah.
fishing that he does on the desert planet,
Yeah,
yeah,
right, right.
that's the one. Yeah, right there.
So Ray looks at the two sunrise because the sunrise, even though it's in the same position where the sun sets in all the other movies, but it's a sunrise, and we get the classic Star Wars music, and that's where the saga ends.
Yeah,
Well, she introduces herself to the lady as Rey Skywalker.
yeah. But what?
True,
Who
she
are
does.
there's also the two Force ghosts that show up at the end as well.
Never seen them before. Don't
Never
know who
seen
you're talking
them.
about.
Don't know who they are at all. And then she does
Yeah,
look
so,
off into the
so she
distance.
sees Luke and Leia,
Yeah.
and then introduces herself as Rey Skywalker.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm
Uh,
fine with it. I don't
don't-
love it.
I
I don't.
don't
hate it.
like
I think the whole scene makes more sense if she says, "I'm Rey Skywalker, touch the belly, fade to black."
That's, by the way, that we're gonna do that. By the way, so we get that. But yeah, I feel like that they seem like they're setting something up, even though they're saying that this is the last of the Skywalker saga.
The lightsabers are there. She still has one.
They're
so
leaving
she's still
things in
relevant.
play.
Yeah,
They're
for
leaving
sure.
stuff in play.
Yeah.
And because they're going to make another one, and because I promise you, Kathleen Kennedy said, or Disney said, Bob Iger probably goes, leave something. Like, because let's be real, the real life emperor of the world is actually Bob Iger.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a
It's true.
fact.
He said,
It's a fucking fact.
I've been talking with Martin Scorsese, and we're gonna make another movie. He said he's on board. He's happy with everything we're doing over here at
Right.
Disney.
Yeah.
And whatnot. He's gonna
Yeah.
come back and do this. Anyway, she looks into the distance. The sun's rising this time. You said the sun's rising.
Even though it's in the same place, yeah, that is weird.
Exactly.
It's on the opposite side.
I
of the
didn't
planet,
notice that
but-
until you said it, and now I can't get that out of my head. That's really irritating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the music starts to go up. End of the show right there. And
Well, I was listening to the soundtrack and the credit song because it goes into through the credits all these different themes. It has a Darth Vader's theme and all these different things. And then I was playing Reyes and I'm like, fuck, of all of this, Reyes, that theme is my fucking favorite. I love
it's
that
very
theme so much. So much.
Mhm.
It also, maybe it's all to do with this whole trilogy. Just feels like my Star
Yeah, that
Wars.
John Williams guy, he's pretty decent.
I mean, it's for his first attempt. It's really
He's
quite
not bad.
interesting.
It is
The guy's
good.
barely known.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like an 8.5 out of 10.
yeah, I think maybe a bit
Pretty
high,
good.
but
That's
I
a bit
mean,
high, I think. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I'll
it's
go
not
a bit
too
lower.
bad for his first go around.
Yeah, for his first go.
I'm looking forward to see what this guy can do with a few more years of experience.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of experience under his belt. We'll see what happens. Oh boy. Yeah, and that was the movie.
All right, out of
As
10,
we've said-
out of 10, what do you boys think? Where are you going to put it?
I can't do ratings. I can't do it.
Where would you rank it in?
Yeah, we have rankings.
Yeah, so like
I don't even like doing this, but I'll do it. I'll do it.
Go on.
I've got it at number 5. I've got Empire Strikes Back, The Force Awakens, Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker very close behind Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
But then I think about this as like, what would I rather watch? Maybe it's because it's new. I'm putting it low because new. It's actually probably higher in my mind. Just because I'm like, I would watch that again right now. If you're like, what Star Wars movie do you want to watch right now? If someone's
Yeah.
like, let's put on Star Wars. That's how I rank my list. Sure, I get that A New Hope is fucking better because of this. I get it, but like, what would I rather watch for enjoyment, pure entertainment, to rewatch something?
Yeah.
Probably the Rise of Skywalker's up there.
Yeah.
I loved it. I really did love the movie.
My ranking, for the record, just so you guys know, because you guys don't know this, but people with Movie Club will know this. It goes, previous to this, it was The Force Awakens, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the
Disgusting.
Sith,
That's
Rogue One. What was 8 called again?
The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi. And then
The second one.
Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, sorry. I put this at 3rd place, just under Empire Strikes Back. I do think it is very, very good. I did like everything that happened in it, and the through lines we've all talked about, all the Palpatine stuff, all of the Kylo stuff. It is amazing. I do like Empire a lot because there's a lot of great Han in there as well. There's a lot of good, like the new characters that we get, like Lando and stuff like
Lando,
that.
yeah.
Lando.
Brand new character, never been in any other.
Never been done
movies.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
And Force Awakens, because like we said as well, Tyler, in the beginning, that this was the most Star Wars and the most up-to-date with the best looking version of
Yeah.
Star Wars. And it was essentially A New Hope, which
Great
was a great
script and
movie
actors
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
It was
I
fantastic.
think, I think this movie wrapped up this trilogy. If you'll go back and watch The Force Awakens, and you're like how it started to where it ends with all these characters, I think it did an amazing job wrapping the characters up in the end, in spite of the middle being so shit. And I think in terms of the Skywalker storyline, if Anakin's the main character and Ben's the main character at the end, they did do a great job of wrapping up the character Skywalker storyline of the whole 9 movies. Maybe not everything of the 9 movies, I get that, but to me, the way Kylo as a character is, and looking at Anakin from 1 to 6, they did a great job of completing like a legacy redemption of the bloodline. To me, sure, Darth Vader came back, but it was almost another redemption of the bloodline.
I think you're spot on that. This is a great ending to this trilogy, but it's just it was set up as
The saga.
The saga, an end to the saga,
Yeah.
to the 9 movies and all the other things that came out of it.
That's the only downside to it.
That's
'cause it
why
is
I
great.
said it was lackluster.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah,
isn't
I
the
mean-
end to this trilogy, which would have been fine. It's the end.
Have
to-
I not converted you though with the Ben Solo stuff though? Surely.
You
I mean,
It's
convert
there,
him-
like it's a bit of a stretch though, because it also feels because when you watch the prequels and then the original trilogy, it feels like one connected story. This feels like another story that's like connected, but like it doesn't feel like a complete follow-on from Return of the Jedi. It's like let's just dig it up
Sure.
and do another 3 movies. And,
Yeah.
like Ben's story for
Yep.
sure it does connect, but like to me, it feels like 1 to 6 is the saga, and this is like the sequel to
Yeah.
the saga.
Sure,
More
I get
so
that. I
than
agree.
that.
one of the most
More
agree
than
with
1
you.
to 9 movies. like.
Totally agree with you.
One
Totally
of
agree
the
with
most amazing things of the MCU is that all of those movies are connected,
Yeah.
and that's an amazing feat to pull off, and really is unreasonable for us to expect to have again and again.
I agree.
And
I
again.
think Iron Man 2 is
We
a
are-
really
we are
important
sp- we are
movie
sp-
for the MCU, and you couldn't have done it without that.
Couldn't have done
Yeah.
it without it.
And the
you.
Incredible
We are
Hulk had to be
spoiled.
there.
I do think
Exactly.
we're spoiled with the MCU though.
Yes.
We are
Yeah.
really so spoiled with Endgame
But
this year that it's
we-
hard for anything to be,
with this,
that good.
we had 6 movies that were already done and were interconnected.
Yeah.
So you already had 66.6%, because it's our fucking
Right,
thirds,
right,
maybe
right,
2/3,
yeah.
of the way there. And then you did it with The Force Awakens, so you had another episode in there. You just had to nail the final 2. And again, that is the reason why I have so much hatred inside, so much anger inside me for Ryan Johnson, because he ruined what would have been
Ryan
a
Johnson,
perfect shot.
Absolutely. It's one of those things like if you build 1,000 bridges,
Yeah.
right, but you fuck one goat, you're not the bridge builder. You're the goat fucker.
You are,
And that's,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
Ryan
yeah,
Johnson.
right.
That's Ryan Johnson,
Yeah.
right
It
there.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
And he fucked us.
Goat fucker. That
I know
goat
what
fucker
goat
right there,
fucker.
Jesus Christ.
Like he fucked us. He fucked us because you're right. It was everything was set up. It was all
And it
laid
should
up
have been so
perfectly.
easy
You
as
just
well.
had to tap it into the goal.
Yeah.
Tappy tap tap.
Not even tap it towards the goal, because the final tap was going to be done in the final thing. You didn't even need to nail the goal.
Right.
You just couldn't even do that.
Get it in the right direction.
And you purposefully did it the opposite direction. Anyway, I was just looking up on Rotten Tomatoes the scores right now. The critics,
Oh, it
as-
doesn't matter to me. I hate Rotten Tomatoes. It's
as
fucking
critics are, they're fucking idiots
yeah,
all the
the
time.
critics are so out of touch.
They're like 57% on Rotten
So you
Tomatoes.
know it's
it's
a
dumb.
great movie.
Look at Dave Chappelle's comedy special.
Yes.
Look at Dave Chappelle's comedy special. Critics do not speak for the audience, so I don't give a fuck what something. That's why
idiot.
James pisses me off more than anyone, because he always goes to Rotten Tomatoes.
'cause I
I'll bring
know
up
it
movies
pisses
like
you off,
I
that's
don't know
the
the
point.
movie. Let's just see its Rotten Tomatoes score. I'm like, who gives a fuck what its Rotten Tomatoes score is? I don't give a shit.
I think
Everyone
it's
Tyler.
I think it's funny to look at, because it's like we have the fans like us, and then there's always the critics, and then when the critics are always wrong, I'm like, how can you be wrong 100% of the time?
Who's
and
paying
you're
you?
still being paid? How can that be?
Boys, if you're listening and you want a job where you can literally be wrong all the time and still get paid, film critic. There you go.
If you want to be Tyler, be a film critic.
Dude, you and my sales list is the most same that I've ever met out of anyone.
What's that? Sorry.
Your list for Star Wars ranking
Oh.
is so similar to mine. At least at the top half,
Ah.
you putting the Phantom Menace in the middle is so fucking retarded. But
Are
other
you
than
kidding?
that-
Excuse
Phantom
me,
Menace
Phantom
is
Menace
the
is
only
fantastic.
good prequel.
It has Watto in it, goddammit, and it has the two-headed announcer.
The Phantom
It's
Menace is
anybody
the
want good?
worst Star
Someone
Wars
take
movie
the
of all
lead.
time. It's actually one of the
Okay,
worst just
hang
full
on.
stop
You
movies
would
I've
rather
ever seen.
watch Attack of the Clones than the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
100%.
You're downright
You're
wrong.
Attack of the Clones is boring. There's not even there's no high point
Whiny
in Attack of the
Anakin
Clones.
is the worst.
I disagree.
performance.
I disagree.
I'll give
I disagree. I
Tyler
disagree.
the benefit of the doubt here, because the full CG clone troopers are the most
Yeah.
amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. Those are fantastic. I never want to see anything else. You're welcome,
Thank you.
Tyler, for that. So
you
that's the
very
only
much.
thing I'll say
Fair
right
enough.
now. That's the only thing I'll say.
I'd rather watch Attack of the Clones than the Phantom Menace, and I think they're both my two least favorites. They're
can you
both
say-
my
it has
two
Duel
least
of
favorites.
Fates in
One
it.
exists.
Jesus
Duel
Christ.
of the Fates is one of the all-time
And-
greats.
And
songs.
I
Darth
love
Maul's a
Rogue
brilliant
One, so
villain.
shut the fuck up,
You're
James.
so
First
wrong.
of all,
You're so wrong.
and I love Revenge of the Sith. That's the best prequel, and James, you'd agree with me there.
Okay, we can agree on that.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is the best
Sith is
prequel by
brilliant.
far. It's a
weird
great
that,
movie
like,
from start to
I
finish.
used to think I like these guys, but they're just so consistently wrong on like every topic.
Every
Then why do I
topic is
consistently
so-
convince you of Star Wars ideas when you're like, I don't like this, and then you're like, you know what, Tyler's convinced me of it because he's a fucking.
No, we're
genius.
trying to be nice.
We're being polite. I think it's because you guys are AC content creators,
you don't really
you've
have
had a
to.
lot
That's
of
not true.
experience
That's
making
not true.
excuses.
That's not true.
So-
Wow. Okay. You want it? Oh, we're gonna talk about mamas. That's what you want to talk about. Is that what we're doing?
Oh, you want to talk about mamas?
Oh, you want to talk about mamas? Is that what you're trying to do right now? Oh shit. Okay. I see what you're doing,
Oh, this has been
motherfucker.
fantastic.
This has been a lot of fun.
motherfucker. Oh man. It has been 3 hours, and I
my
do want to
God.
sleep. It's midnight. I have work tomorrow.
We honestly
it's
can't
fucking-
do any content when it's us four together. Anything below 3 hours.
It's weird, isn't it?
We've never managed to do
Why? It's like we've only done 3-hour podcasts all year, and all 3 of them have been with you.
Yeah.
We've hit our trilogy. There you go.
There you
This is
go.
how you end a trilogy properly.
We did it.
Pay attention,
Yeah,
right.
right. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Oh god, that's fucking hilarious.
Thanks for having us, boys. We all
Well, this
love
is your
Star
show
Wars.
too. Thanks for having us on your show.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
going to be on
Kmart
our channel
Cinema
for
Rooms.
once. Yeah.
Yeah, we're giving you the free exposure. You're welcome. It's
exposure,
okay.
yeah.
We tried to play it down.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
honestly, it's so fun talking to other people that like Star Wars as much and will nerd out about stuff and bring callbacks in from like 5 movies ago. So
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
It's so much fun. So
Yeah,
much
it's a
fun.
good time.
This has been a great podcast. I
Good shit.
fucking loved it. Great way to end Movie Club and Cinema Room for 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
The
is
fir- the
final
first
one
year
of
of both
season one,
shows.
Season 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 1's over for both
Nice.
shows.
There you go.
And it's the last, as always, podcast for the year as
Oh
well.
my god.
For 2019, we've done 1,000 podcasts this year.
Podcasts.
But
That is
now
a
we're going
lot
to
of
take
podcasts.
the next
That is a
the next month off to which will actually be not a rest at all. We'll be so busy preparing and getting ready for the relaunch of everything. So
Yeah, we know all
get
about
excited
that.
for that.
Where can people find
Yeah.
out more about that? Like if they wanted to say get early access.
Now, if they
to-
wanted to, it's very simple. You just head over to patreon.com/as always. And Sheps, I'm really glad you brought that up once again. And again, I would pay you, but it's so easy to not because you're already doing the work. So patreon.com/as always, as Sheps has said. So just head there, $1 a month, and you can get 24 hours early access to this podcast. So, because you're listening to this now, you haven't done that. But in the future, when everything else happens, when episode 10 comes out and we do the cinema room on it, you'll be able to hear it 24 hours early on patreon.com/as. It was usually a week early. It's only 24 hours early for this special episode because it's a Christmas present for all you motherfuckers. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this awesome meeting of the minds with the Cinema Room podcast and Conbrosations Movie Club.
Yes.
Meeting, combining. It's been an amazing 3-hour show
It has.
talking about the
Good
Rise of
shit.
Skywalker,
Yep.
the final podcast from all of us for 2019. So I appreciate you all listening. Thank you, James, for another phenomenal fucking year of doing podcasts and running as always.
Oh, yeah.
It's all up from here.
As well.
Once as
Gaming.
always. And again to Eddie and Sheps, thanks for joining properly our community this year
Oh,
and
thanks,
becoming 2 fucking bros. Yeah, you're 2 of my favorite people. I love having you on the podcast and you know being on Movie Club as well because this is both podcasts. So
Yeah, I mean,
It
thank
would
you
mean
guys.
more. It would mean more if you had good taste, obviously.
Yeah, with me
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're
Yes,
saying. Yeah,
but-
yeah,
But
yeah,
genuinely,
yeah.
like we love that you guys have accepted us
Yeah.
with open arms. It's been such an honor to be with you guys, and it's so great to see this
Yeah.
this friendship and broship right here
Yeah.
flourish. It's been great.
Yeah.
Merry motherfucking Christmas.
There we go. Do you know? I imagined you saying that as Bruce Willis right there for some reason. Merry motherfucking Christmas. Maybe it's the Christmas movie.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Thanks for bringing us into the community, boys. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
With Star
well, there's more to come.
been
There's
great.
more to come. This is just the
There is
beginning.
indeed.
This is
It's
just
true.
the beginning. We're not going anywhere. Neither are you guys. So we'll see you all for the next fucking Movie Club Cinema Room in 2020. That's going to be weird to say. And can't wait to see where Conbrosations goes next year. And of course, stay tuned because as always, gets its season 6, 5 relaunch, whatever season we're up to of how many years we've been doing this.
Oh shit!
I guess
heard
if
that
you
show
count-
got cancelled.
Oh, I thought I was
Yeah.
really. I was like, thank God.
No one paying attention, and
But it's gonna come back. All right, let's see what they can do. Let's see what
Okay.
they can do.
Yeah, well, you soon find out.
I
You'll
hope
soon
they
find out.
recast.
We,
I hope they
Good
recast.
Yeah.
name.
I hope they recast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all in 2020.
Merry
See you later,
Christmas.
boys. And just to wrap things up, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters that are supporting us for $5 or more over at patreon.com/as always. We've got Josh Devillier, King Richard III, Smexy Dork, Real Cinema in Hawkins, aka HBars12, Seth, Ballsack47, Damien, Billy the Team Dynamite Captain Robertson, T-Man or Travis, Baby Boy, Kimo Sabe Gamer, aka my best friend Toby, Casey Wood, Pink Flame 313, Adam Sunling, Super Tuber Eddie, Alfie Rosell, Jamie Brown, Jesper Olsen, Lumistrad, Did Lotic, Mario 380, Did the Freaky with Palpatine, The Creed, Dane Schmidt, Fat Fuck Cuck, Brendan or BQ Overlord, Ravjai, Ikrek, Benedict Parker Returns, Jimly, James and Lad, Connor DeRose, Bully in the Alley, Max Age, Gene, Zeke Collins, Son of a Bitch, Ogiodogo, George, Noah Watts, Furious Coco, Sab2557, Nick Miller, the ACMJS, Travanoski, Kassassin, Kyle, S. Jaws, Marcus Blackburn, Emil Catborg, Joshua Mora, Ginkgo Swag, Malha has Glorious Dick, Master Bass, Ashton the Lad, Amir the Synth Potato, Yazen, Joe the Sexy Boy Smith, Joe aka Founded Scarab, Iron Man's for the Dads, Derrida, Alfie Robert, Brian Ford, Casper, Fishy, and Ben Fryer.